All right.
We're
Finally recording.
Oh, sweet.
I'm here with Derek. We've been chatting for a while, and we're going to do a podcast, a follow-up podcast to the last one.
Yeah, so lots to go into with hormones and whatnot. You know, I came to Adam's place thinking I was going to learn about psychedelics and how they're going to interplay with my life. And then
Connor Murphy, of course.
Yeah, and then I basically left, and his interest had been piqued in HRT and TRT specifically. And since then, he has... You obviously revealed that you're doing it now to your channel and everything.
I'm doing it to my channel, baby.
Yeah, so we can definitely deep dive into any kind of questions he has about hormones and whatnot. Maybe he's touched on the psychedelics thing again. I don't know. We'll see.
How many people have you converted, first off? Like, how many people have you fucking talked to where, like, they had no interest in it, then they meet you or they chat with you online. Next thing you know, it's like, oh, I'm hopping on the TRT train. Like,
I think I don't want to make it seem like I'm, like, convincing people to necessarily, but it's...
Well, the blood work convinced me, not you.
Yeah, so if somebody... Like, I don't know, man. I would imagine in the thousands people have got their blood work done because of seeing my videos, and then subsequent to that seeing, oh, maybe this is why I feel like shit. Maybe this is why I feel, you know, low energy all the time, why my dick doesn't work, why this is wrong, you know? And then from there, they actually have the kind of education behind moving forward to, you know, talk to a doctor about what makes sense as far as treatment options.
You have thousands of people like indirectly or directly through your videos, but how many people do you think that you like met face to face, like in that context?
I don't, not that many. No, no. It was kind
like
of
all nervous.
Yeah, yeah. With you, it was interesting because I was like, I was not really expecting it to go that way, but it had already been sort of in your head for a bit, right?
I was curious based off learning that testosterone makes effort feel good. Oh, yeah. That notion piqued my interest because I was like, effort feels like absolute dog shit to me right now. So having effort feel good would be revolutionary to how I live my life. So I was like, that's interesting. And I was curious how it compared to how amphetamine, you know, that also makes effort feel good. All these drugs that I've tried kind of do, not in the same regard. But then after that, then, you know, learning about what low test is like and then thinking, hey, maybe I have low test, which to be clear, I always thought I had high test. Like,
just based on how muscle bound you are and stuff.
Yeah. And if you look at me, maybe I was when I was a kid, because as a kid, people would often think I was on gear. Mm-hmm. But then again, as you've talked about on your channel, standards were so different when we were younger. Yeah. Like, I bet now if I saw myself as a kid and I don't have a lot of pictures, I might have one somewhere. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, huh, you didn't really look that good, Adam. But like back then, people would be like, are you taking stuff, man? Keep in mind, I'm short too. So like I probably pack on muscle, I don't know. Short guys, shorter limbs.
You fill out your frame easier.
Yeah, but then again, I have long arms. I have a big ape index, so I don't know if that.
You have like round muscle bellies, though. I think too, so you look bigger than maybe necessarily you weigh.
Maybe because if you look at me like standing, I've got these little legs, and my arms are like really long for my legs. Okay. So I don't know if that applies to me. Like I have the reach of someone who's taller. Right. Do you know what your reach is?
I think my wingspan is like the exact same height as me. If that is answering your question at all.
I think it is. What's your height?
6'1".
And your wingspan is 6'1"?
Yeah.
60.
Whatever that is in inches.
I don't know if it is. But yeah. So I thought I had high testosterone based off those factors. So then seeing that it was low was kind of like, that sucks.
Yeah, a lot of people have no idea. And this is like, you're obviously an educated person about drugs. So the fact that you could even have an oversight like that where you just assume, oh, I'm probably high T because of, you know, fill in the blank reason.
And I was horny. I forgot that. I had no issue with sex drive.
Didn't you mention you had like ED sometimes? Like you'd wake up without morning wood. Maybe not ED, but you're definitely not what you were before.
After Kratom though. That was direct. Like I actually took Kratom wanting those effects. I liked that it made me less horny because I was like so over the top. It's like I take Kratom. It's like, oh, finally a break. So I wanted that. Yeah. But in my head, you know, just jump off Kratom and then I'll get crazy horny again. So I don't.
Did you? Why, when you came off, or were you able to fully come off? I forget what the outcome was.
I've gone through periods where I went off.
And then your sex drive always bounced back aggressively, or?
See, it's so hard to say because honestly, over the past like 5 years, which is a topic I want to delve into about burnout. Since doing YouTube, I have used a myriad of substances that prior to making YouTube videos, I actually deemed like they were non-negotiable to me. There was no way in hell I would ever use them. I used to like criticize and judge people for taking said substances. And then I started YouTube and it's like all of a sudden it's just fair play. Everything's open.
Yeah.
And I think because of the interplay of always being on something, and some of these compounds like amphetamine makes you really horny, it's hard to say if I naturally really got to experience myself, because I was always on something.
It's the most like paradoxical compound. It like gives vasoconstriction, it makes you get erectile dysfunction, but it makes you like horny as fuck at the same time.
Yeah, it would be hard to get hard sometimes. Like, really.
Do you have your blood work, by the way? Like, I feel like I should have printed it out before we sat down.
I have. You know what? I must have been subconsciously keeping it down here for that reason.
Okay.
I have it printed out down here.
Sweet.
Right behind you, and I did not plan this. I think I blacked out. Yeah, just don't show it.
Yeah, of course.
Ignore my writing. This was notes for the video.
Yeah, no worries.
There we go.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's what I want. Like, I don't even have that in my notes.
Yeah.
We wanted to go over my blood work, and let's give an overview first.
In terms of just what you got and just a general, like, going point by point sort of thing?
Or maybe just give like an overview of why we're going over my blood work.
Okay. So, as Adam mentioned, he had a lot of, concerns about things related to drive and, motivations and your, goal setting and whatnot.
I didn't say that just now, but in previous videos, I had no drive.
Yeah. So and I did a video where he mentioned specifically about testosterone makes effort feel good. That's a video I did where I kind of detailed the science behind the neurological impacts that testosterone has in like the male psyche and whatnot. And I think, obviously our discussion in the last podcast, I think definitely pushed your, interest to the point where you were like, okay, this is definitely worth checking my bloods to see where everything's at. So he has like a relatively comprehensive overview considering we're in Canada. It's a lot harder to get what you need here. And that's why in general, I drive over the border to go to LabCorp to get my stuff. But
thanks to your suggestion.
Yeah.
You pushed for me to get all these biomarkers, and I had to go through multiple doctors.
Yeah. So Adam had a hard time getting what he needed, but he got it. And it's just, you have to find a doctor who's willing to work with you and give you what you need. Like, some will say, oh, you don't need this. Oh, you're being paranoid. You just need, Cialis and like go home, fuck off. Here's an antidepressant, like whatever it is. But like, you got to push for this shit. If you know what, you feel strongly is something is off, get a comprehensive panel done. Even if you have to pay out of pocket, like, this is your health. This is your livelihood, your ability to even generate revenue or income, whatever it is, to then, be successful in life is going to be heavily reliant upon you functioning at full tilt efficiency, which is predicated on you, evaluating your biomarkers, in my opinion. Like, even if it costs you however many hundreds of dollars one time to get it checked, knowing what's under the hood is like crucial to make an informed decision moving forward about how to proceed. So he got his hematology checked, basic urine analysis. He got, general chemistry, metabolic parameters, kidneys, liver function.
I did? I didn't even know I got liver function. Sweet.
Well, it wasn't all the markers, but it was like, it's good enough for us to go off of it. It's not like you were doing anything that was significantly hepatotoxic anyway. So
some people suggest that Kratom could be.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Could be.
Thyroid function in Canada, it's very hard to get what you need off the bat. We have a basic enough baseline. But anyway, like, if this is like good for what he was able to get. Anyway, he has pituitary function, which is very important. He almost foregoed getting FSH and LH, and I like highly recommended that he, make sure he gets that before he does anything. Because
I tried to get it all, but the thing was the doctors were saying no.
Yeah, and they'll try and convince you that you don't need this. If you've educated yourself and you know what you need, like, be like, I will pay for this out of pocket. Just like, please.
Oh, dude, you should have heard me on the phone with the doctor. I actually had 2 calls with him. I booked a second call because, first you got to book a call.
Yeah.
And the second call, I had the mind of convincing him to give me at least one other marker, just one, because all he was going to do was the thyroid function, just the one thyroid thing.
Yeah, they wanted to just give him a thyroid panel.
TSH, right?
Just TSH.
And then free testosterone. No, total T.
Yeah.
That was it.
And they said you can't get free tests checked in Canada, right?
Yeah. He said
which is
that
total
was a test
bullshit.
that they will do. He said first you got to do total, and if your total shows something abnormal, then we'll do the others. But as you have explained to people, you could have fine total T, but if the SHGB is too high, right?
Then your free could be in the gutter.
Yeah, so you need to have these other markers to have an accurate view.
Yeah.
And the doctor was trying to tell me that I was essentially stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you should have heard him on the phone. He actually was talking over me.
Yeah.
The doctors are so effing rude.
Yeah, especially when they're like factually incorrect. It's mind-boggling that they'll be like, they'll actually get like verbally annoyed with you.
Oh, he was. And so I tried to like compromise. I'm like, so he gives me this big spiel of why I'm basically dumb for asking for these other biomarkers. And part of his spiel was that you're an idiot. I didn't tell you this. So he, just to briefly summarize, the first thing he says, you could tell that he had a smirk when he's talking. He's like, so who asked you to get all these biomarkers checked? And I was like, or no, not who asked you. He just said why. Yeah. Why? Like, why? What? Basically, like, alluding to what research are you going off of? And I was like, okay, well, I have a friend who owns a TRT clinic in the States, and I should not have said that. Because he immediately was like, well, that's the States. And in the States, what they're going to do is they're going to try to get you to do all these tests so that they can find something a little wrong with you, and then they make money off
the medications.
Yeah, and that's what he was saying. And he's saying this is one of those examples. This is what he said, where Canada is better than the States.
Better.
Yeah, that's what he said, because he said in getting all of these, it's unnecessary. And the doctors, he's like, your friend is just trying to rip you off. And I'm like, no, he's not getting any money off of it. Like, he told me this is what I need to get an accurate view. And then he kept going. He's like, did you not hear a single thing I said? I was like, okay, all right, I hear you. What if we just do one more? What if we just do the free too? And then he got mad. Like, I could auditorily hear he was mad that I was still trying to like finagle my way. That's Derek's word, by the way, into getting more than just total. But like, I'm actually saying to him, but dude, I want to know. It's my health. I actually said, like, this is my health. Like, don't I have the right to know? He's like, so frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. Brutal. But fortunately, you were able to finagle the blood work you needed.
But how? Is I actually went down the list and I picked the most... I'm sorry if this offends anybody listening. I don't mean this in an offensive way, or like I think that this is any... No more than the fact that I picked someone who I thought wouldn't give a shit. So I picked the most foreign-looking name I could find.
Yeah.
Because I was like, English isn't a first language.
Yeah.
And like maybe there's just because of that, they're going to be more likely to just say yes. And it worked.
Yeah.
I picked a foreign guy. He had a thick accent. He was Russian. And I read off the list like apprehensively. Like I'm like, and then I need what the markers were. And then I need total and free. And
the fact how you even have to like nervously or apprehensively mention the markers you want to get checked for your own health and well-being is why I'm so passionate about what I do with my clinic. Like, it's just fucking ridiculous.
Dude, he's with like this very happy voice. He's like, yes, okay, we'll add that. Yes. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, I actually said to him, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I was blown away.
It's like, you're letting me pay to check my own health? Like, thank you so much. Like, fucking Christ.
Anyway, that's my story.
Yeah. So anyway, we got the pituitary function checked, as well as reproductive and gonadal, which is encompassing your total, your free, bioavailable, and your SHBG. So this was good enough to really get a pretty detailed insight into where everything's at. Do you want me to dig into the actual biomarker specifically now?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so main thing that was obviously concerning, was a red flag off the bat, was your, as you say, the hemoglobin.
Can I just give some context real quick? I don't mean to cut you off like continuously here, but I have this thing. I've always had it ever since I was a kid, where sometimes I'll glance at a word and I won't actually read it.
Okay.
You know, like how like they've done studies where you could put typos in certain words.
Yeah.
And if you look at it quickly, you could still actually make out the whole thing easily.
Okay.
So I'll glance at a word, and I think because globin is so close to goblin, and I'm a big fantasy dude, I just saw the word and I was like, oh, it's
It's a good example of getting more engagement on your videos through the comments.
But this is exactly it. I could be feeling like stupid, like, wow, I really fudged up that pronunciation, but it got so much interaction with viewers. But anyway, my hemoglobin.
Yeah, so the hemoglobin was
goblin
134 with a reference. Now, the reference ranges in Canada are a bit different on some of these biomarkers. So, if it sounds foreign to you, bear with me. Like, even the testosterone, we're basing it off of nanomoles per liter. You're probably like, what the fuck?
I wrote it down. I converted it.
Oh, you converted it for me. Oh, sweet.
Well, for me, but yeah, you can do it too.
Yeah. So anyway, hemoglobin, we're at 134 with a reference range of 135 to 170. And with the hematocrit, we are looking at 0.39 with a reference range of 0.4 to 0.5. So we're basically looking at your oxygen carrying capacity and your borderline low in red blood cell count as well. And to me, when I see this, like, the obvious first thing I'm thinking is, like, your testosterone is low. We'll get to the actual value.
But they are low. Like, they actually are below the reference range, right? Not the testosterone, the things.
No, yeah, your hematology is like actually abnormally low. So like 130,
like flag on
134 is like clinically low, and 0.39 hematocrit is also clinically low. Like, we're not just talking about like suboptimal from a reference range, like, oh, you're on the bottom of the reference range. Like, we mean below where you need to be considered healthy. So
what would that be?
So that interplays, I think, directly with your testosterone production and the effect it has on something called erythropoiesis, which is like what regulates, like you've heard of EPO use in like cycling and stuff, right?
No.
You never heard of like EPO injections to like increase your endurance or anything like that?
No, I don't know this stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, that's used by athletes in order to improve their oxygen carrying capacity. And
I've heard of this, improving oxygen carrying capacity.
Yeah. Okay. So like basically inflating this hematology profile, athletes will take this stuff exogenously to increase their red blood cell count, increase their hemoglobin in order to be able to oxygenate tissues more effectively to like super physiological levels. Gotcha. So for you, because you have such low testosterone, you actually have low oxygen carrying capacity to a point that it may even be unhealthy to be walking around and functioning like this.
But the testosterone is actually the thing that's driving it down?
Big factor.
Okay.
Like androgens directly drive the production of this stuff.
Okay.
So it has a big interplay with the erythropoiesis process, which is like your endogenous
So how
EPO.
could this be dangerous, having it low? Like what would
like
be some
tissues
of the
are
harms?
not getting enough oxygen to them to function.
Could that make you dizzy? Because I was having some dizzy spells.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's like if you get low enough, you might need like a blood transfusion.
Jesus.
Yeah, so this is like something like elderly people deal with.
Like, when you get up too fast, could it have anything to do with that? Because I was having issues where if I got up, and my whole life I never had this, but as of recent, past year, 1 to 2 years actually, I can't get up too quickly because I get dizzy immediately. So I wonder
I'd be interested to see what your blood pressure is like. You should get
my blood pressure's good. That's
no, but when you stand up, there's something called orthostatic hypotension, which is like if you stand up and your blood pressure might drop significantly.
Yeah.
That's like a condition some people have.
Doesn't happen now though. It hasn't been happening lately.
But you don't have a continuous blood pressure monitor to see what's happening when you stand up.
No, I mean I haven't felt it recently.
Oh, you haven't?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe that's a good sign then. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
So yeah, like even for example, like this is something you'll see in like elderly people who are menopausal. Like my grandma, for example, she's a vegetarian who produces like no hormones and doesn't get enough iron in. So her hematology is like clinically low to the point where she needed a blood transfusion not to be dizzy and like lethargic, just like walking around all the time.
So what else would cause it?
Well, it could be diet related too. Like if you're not getting enough iron in, if you're not getting enough of the proper micronutrient like substrate to support this stuff. But your
eat
diet,
a lot of fish, man.
like your diet model is not unhealthy. Like
I don't think so.
Yeah, like again, obviously some of this does play into your calorie intake. Like when you did this blood test, what was your calorie intake at again?
I think I was at 2,000 to 21 a day.
And for you, your maintenance is like what?
So at that calorie intake, I think I was probably at 15% body fat.
Okay. And were you exercising like heavily? Because that's something that's gonna like burn up your.
Not crazy heavily because I didn't have the energy to do it.
Right.
But I was exercising, yeah. I've gone way lower than that in calories, as I've told you.
Because some people, even if they have like decent natural production, if they're doing extreme amounts of endurance, like exercise, they can literally become like anemic essentially through their demand they're putting on their body.
I don't think I was extreme. Like, when I was talking about being extreme, that wasn't when I got this test.
Well,
I had already gotten off that train for at least half a year. Like I actually got a little fatter for a while, and then I lost a little bit, and I was probably floating around 15% body fat, and I wasn't at a point where I was like starving all the time. Like I didn't really have like my abs were in the right lighting, you could see them, but I wasn't like ripped.
Yeah, so like one thing to note with this, a lot of people that hear 2,000, 2,100 calories, they're probably like, oh, you need to eat way more food, like that's why it was so low, your testosterone and stuff, which like you might be able to eat it, like this is something you should do before you just haphazardly jump on TRT2. Is if you're an individual who's he wasn't trying to stay shredded year round, but if you are an individual who's like abnormally depriving yourself or exercising a ridiculous amount, you could have a like artificially decreased reading based on your lack of supplying proper nutrients. So it would be recommended to eat, closer to maintenance and ensure your fat intake is on point. Like you are eating fatty fish already too.
Dude, I was eating honestly a lot of fat. Like, I was not low in fat. I was eating at least 60 grams of fat a day. Like I used to count all this stuff. At least 60. Some days maybe 40 to 50, but some days was even higher. Because I would eat these really fatty Atlantic salmons often. And like salmon was almost every day. Okay. And the other thing is my height. When you're talking about calories, I'm 5'4".
Yeah, so his body weight, what is your body weight again?
Dude, I haven't weighed myself in ages.
Maybe it's not.
They didn't weigh me. But I would say when I was cutting, I think I got down to 135. Like, in that video you did of me where I looked like disgustingly thin?
Yeah.
That was 135. And then I think at like 15% body fat, I'm like 143, 144.
Yeah, so consider that when we're talking about 2100 calories, is just like in perspective relative to his proportional
I weigh like a chick, man.
height and body weight. Yeah, so it's not as insane as it sounds. Because like for me, 2100 is a significant deficit, but I'm like 6'1", like 215. It's a bit different.
And I've never been a big eater. As a kid, growing up, like there was my appetite has increased so much. There was a time where I could struggle to hit 2000. Like I'm one of those people where I would need to force myself to eat more to build muscle via protein shakes because I would just get a really big tummy ache. Like it sounds like a curse,
right?
But growing up, I never liked food. I used to actually say I don't really like food. Of course, I liked food. I was exaggerating, but like I never ate a lot. And as I've gotten older, I've started to enjoy food more and more, which is relative of me getting a little chubbier. But like for me, if I were to eat 2,500 calories a day without exercising, I would get noticeably fat.
Yeah, so the main point was it's not like this was totally dietary driven, but I just wanted to bring that point up for individuals who are, dieting themselves into the ground and then are like, oh, I'm low T. Maybe, I feel like there's something in the background.
There is. There's a little baby. Hi, beautiful.
That's it?
He just wanted to say hi.
Okay.
Getting a late bedtime tonight, I always put him to bed.
Oh, yeah.
That's my guy to put to bed. He's probably so thrilled to not have me tonight.
Oh, what's like the process of doing that usually?
I read him a story or a couple stories, change his diaper, read him some stories. And then I hold his hand and we put on his little nightlight with the music. And I hold his hand and I sit in there for sometimes an hour or more as he, wiggles around. He plays his little games where he's like, he smiles. He's adorable. And eventually he falls asleep. And then I slowly leave the room. And now he's dancing for us. So many distractions, goddammit.
So I was mentioning about the calorie thing. So just make sure you're not an individual who has deprived themselves to the point of being like malnourished when you're getting your blood test and then assuming you're low T when you could otherwise maybe just be putting yourself in an environment like competitive bodybuilders who are natural. When they step on stage, they will all be low T if they're actually natural, just by the fact that they've been depriving themselves so much.
Oh, quick question before I forget. What kind of differences could we see though? Like say someone gets tested and they are depriving themselves of sufficient calorie intake. Like is it like 50% less? Like what are the
like you
averages?
Could drop from like, it varies, but it could be an individual going from like 800 nanograms per deciliter all the way down to like 100.
No way.
Yeah. So like
that's how big.
Yeah, you could like self-induce hypogonadism just by diet pretty easily.
But how long would you have to be dieting for something like that?
A couple of months.
Oh shit.
Something like that.
Wow, I didn't know it was that severe.
It's more like the body fat you get to. Like some people's calorie intake will differ in general, like for where they hit that amount. Because obviously my calorie requirements differ to yours, but in that range of like how much you could lower your T, some people end up at 400, some people end up at 50.
Okay.
But in general, like you're going to lower your testosterone production when you deprive yourself, and as well as your thyroid too.
Yeah, let's keep going on the list.
Yeah. So anyway, the hematology is obviously concerning because the guy is, I always say the guy, like you're right fucking in front of me. Adam is
so used to filming alone.
Yeah, it's not like he was doing excessive amounts of exercise. He was eating not a ton, but like a reasonable amount for him proportionally, getting enough fats in. So the fact that you were still, clinically low in these hematology parameters is like concerning enough to be like, okay, above and beyond your low T and all the things that affects from a neurological perspective and, physiological, also even your ability to oxygenate organs to function correctly, concerning, obviously.
That actually does sound freaky.
Yeah, imagine your brain, your heart, all that stuff, not having enough oxygen carrying capacity around.
Would that be dangerous then when I would go for runs?
Yeah, like it's dangerous having anything like thrown off in general. But yeah, like having not enough oxygen getting around is... I don't know for sure, but it's like definitely not something you want to be long term. Like I imagine eventually you probably would have had pretty blatant, like this would progressively get worse over the years, I would imagine. And then you'd probably start to have like manifestations of side effects. Things like you mentioned, maybe, lethargy being a main one, significant fatigue, stuff like that is going to be very blatant and progressive as this worsens. So it's good that you caught it early though, because you were like right under clinical deficiency. It's not like you were severe, but it was like... So
you think that would have kept going down? You don't think it could have leveled out?
Maybe if you stopped the Kratom, I don't know how much your test would have bumped back up, but you were already trying to like wean off as far as I know.
It's hard because some people actually state that Kratom has no effect on their test.
Yeah, some people
doesn't it?
I think a lot of it is the numbing it has on you rather than its effect directly on gonadotropins and test production. So some people, the side effects are exacerbated of low tests by kratom. Because I know guys who have normal test levels on kratom, but they have their dick is like totally numb essentially.
Yeah, that's non-consequential to any of that blood work though. Like that.
It's hard to say without like direct before and afters how much it would have affected you.
I know.
But
all we got to go off is estimates. Because I'm actually like, I made a whole video claiming that kratom crashed my tea, but I really don't know. I'm not sold that it did. I think there's a chance that it had nothing to do with it.
I think it exacerbated your symptoms more than anything, potentially.
So you don't think it had much of anything to do with the actual numbers dropping?
I'm not going to speculate on that specifically because it definitely could, because like opioids in general obviously have an interplay on lowering test.
Don't.
Yeah, it depends though. And to be honest, it's not like I'm an expert in that field where I have like a meta-analysis in my head I can reference.
Your Leo buddy claims that kratom does.
Yeah, and I would defer to him as pretty accurate representation of problem. Like, is there a clinical study to actually show like a high, sample size of people doing before and after?
Like 1 or 2 people.
And even with tests, it's very finicky when you get these when these studies are done, because you're taking a snapshot in time. Like if somebody has even a bad dream or whatever and they fuck up their sleep for that night and then the subsequent day they're a little off and something else is thrown off, like you could have a transient low reading just at that one snapshot in time. It doesn't mean that's representative of forever. Like it depends on what time you take your blood, all that kind of stuff.
Dude, I was also taking ashwagandha and
it's
purposely because it's supposed to not raise your free, but it's supposed to raise your total.
Yeah.
So like that, like a lot of people, I'm pointing that out because there's a lot of comments. People are like, Adam, why didn't you just take ashwagandha? I'm like, bro, I was taking 4 pills a day. I forgot the milligram per each, but I was dosing it twice a day.
Yeah. As much as TikTok people would like to convince you that ashwagandha is the magic solution to grow your dick. I see that all the time.
I've never heard of this.
And like crank your tea up. It's not that significant at the end of the day. I would use ashwagandha specifically for like anti-anxiety / relaxation,
sleeping.
Yeah, but not for specifically like fixing a clinical endocrine deficiency.
If it did something to my test, you're looking at it.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, whatever is suboptimal in Adam's lifestyle, like this is like the best representation of what's his long-term data is. Like it's not like you're gonna get that much more dialed in much of what you're doing other than potentially removing the kratom, but it's like you also have dependence on it too. So is it realistic for me to be like, get off this shit, feel like dog shit for a while, and then get your blood drawn? Like, I don't know if that's a realistic thing to ask anyways.
I would have loved to have done that, but the main factor stopping me is my productivity.
Yeah.
I can't take that much time off work right now.
Yeah, and like everyone has their hang up of like what might be impeding them lifestyle-wise, so it's kind of impossible to say like, it would be like a doctor being like, oh, you have to get off steroids before I'll even look at something to treat you. Like you can't always assume everyone's capable of getting rid of every suboptimal thing in their life before pursuing.
People love to tell you should.
Yeah, it'd be like, oh, like your diet's not perfect, so like you shouldn't be on TRT.
Like, dude, a lot of people, when I made the video saying I'm going to go through with trying it, are saying they're so against me doing it because they're like, you're doing this wrong. You should have got off kratom first and then got tested and then yes.
I don't think people realize how hard it is for some people to get off kratom too.
Especially someone like me who's gotten off of so many drugs, kicked alcohol, kicked cigarettes, kicked an MDMA. Yeah, you can be addicted to MDMA. I kicked MDMA. I kicked amphetamines. Like I've kicked so many things. Nitrous. I was doing lots of balloons at one point. And there was times in my drug exposure where like it wasn't just one of those things I was addicted to at a time. I was like addicted to several at a time.
Yeah.
So when I say I'm taking kratom, I mean like I brought this massive poly drug user list down to just one thing. So that's like a proud thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So telling me to like you should kick, I was also not even fapping. So telling me, hey Adam, there's your way of doing it isn't right. You should have done it my way. There's a healthier way. Yeah, there is a healthier way. But also taking one drug is far superior to taking like 5.
Yeah.
So I'm already doing what's way healthier for me. We all can't just be like this perfect superhuman.
Yeah. So I think this was a good representation of like what's going on basically. So thyroid function, we get to TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone. This basically signals how much your the gland itself is spitting out, like there's stimulating hormone that actually tells you how much to produce of T4, which is like an inactive thyroid hormone. It's sort of considered that, even though it has its own interactions in the body, which is like above and beyond this conversation. But what you need to know basically, TSH is basically a stimulating hormone to tell your body to produce T4, which then converts in a specific amount based on a bunch of different factors to T3, which is like the active thing that regulates your metabolism sort of and has a bunch of other functions in the body.
I got that tested?
Yeah, well, the thing with Canada that's unfortunate is they diagnose hypothyroidism specifically based on TSH. So even if you have blatant symptoms and need treatment, if your TSH is not above 5.04, I believe this is milliunits per liter.
I don't know.
I forget what this actual unit is here. I'm not that familiar with Canadian reference ranges, but anyway, it differs depending on the province, depending on the country as well, pretty significantly. But at the end of the day, if you're not above this, they basically don't consider your body stressed out enough to warrant further testing. So like this is, the higher this number is, the worse it is, because this is the stimulating hormone.
So what was mine?
That tells you how much T4 to make. So for you have 2.24, which is like dead in the middle.
Oh, so that's not bad.
No, but again, you could still actually be hypothyroid and developing like worsening, even if you have an in-range TSH. Not everyone has, like, it's basically a flaw in the medical system where they only use TSH to diagnose hypothyroidism.
I see.
And then they'll only test your T4 and T3 if your TSH is high.
Doesn't mine specifically say other tests rejected?
Yeah, the free T3 and free T4 and free T3 orders were canceled as per guidelines. However, the specimen will be stored for 7 days. So anyway, they will only here test your T4 if your TSH is elevated out of the reference range. And then from that, they'll only test your T3 if your T4 is clinically low, which is a huge oversight and a giant fuck up in the medical community that a lot of more progressive doctors know to, you know, go above and beyond and give you the full panel off the bat like we do at my clinic.
But Canada's better than the States, right? According to that doctor.
They're more cost efficient, but yeah, from like what aspect, you know? It's not like these tests are that expensive at the end of the day. So pituitary function is the main thing. So these are your gonadotropins. So gonadotropins are what your, like you have the, I'm sure you've heard of the HPTA at this point.
I think so.
So the hypothalamus pituitary testicular axis, or like when you call it TA, you know, it would be more specific to say gonadal axis. You know, some people get annoyed when you say HPTA because that could represent something else. At the end of the day, you have your hypothalamus, which then sends gonadotropin releasing hormone to your pituitary, which then signals your pituitary to spit out FSH and LH, which you probably heard of. These are the gonadotropins that then go down and signal to your testes to actually produce intratesticular testosterone. So if these are low, that is going to result in low testosterone production. So for Adam, you had 2.2 follicle stimulating hormone, and anything like that's not that high. You know, anything lower than 9.5 apparently in Canada is considered normal, all the way down to 0, which is kind of ridiculous. But
the cutoff range is 9.
Yeah, 9.5 above that, you would be looking at, do you have some sort of like medical condition or like, you know, an adenoma or like something that is going on that is making you spit out a ridiculous amount of, or like non-responsive testes, you know, because it would be like, if your testes were not responding to gonadotropins, your brain would be like, oh my God, we need to produce more. And it would like.
So mine is a 2. So that means not a lot of signaling is happening?
Yeah, the main thing from the intratesticular testosterone production is your LH, which is your luteinizing hormone. That is 1.9 with a range of 1.1 to 8.8.
Oh, that's way low.
So you're like, you're not clinically deficient, but you're like borderline. And at the end of the day,
would some of these be clinically deficient in other ranges?
Off the top of my head, I think luteinizing hormone could be iffy depending where it is, but it would be sort of like your test where it's like, you're like right on the cutoff.
I see.
You know, like if you're talking about optimization, like sure, maybe you look okay for a 90-year-old who's like about to die, but for a guy who's in his 30s and is otherwise healthy.
So people try to sell you on TRT by always saying, oh, you got the testosterone or all of these hormone levels of a 90-year-old. Did I actually, or is that an exaggeration?
No, you did.
Like actually.
Like your total testosterone is, on a Canadian scale, is 8.7 nanomoles per liter with a range of 8.4 to 28.8. Now, how that represents in nanograms per deciliter, which is the units that we're more familiar with on this channel in the USA, 242 to 831 is the Canadian reference range, which is just baffling.
What was mine at?
250 point. It was actually like 0.8, and you rounded up to 251.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so like it's just funny how the Canadian reference range is like literally the highest test level you can have before you're considered like on cycle pretty much. is 831, which is like not very high.
But so in the States, it starts at 350, right?
No, it starts at around, it depends, but it could start at like 250, but it can go upwards as high as 1100.
No, what's the lowest though that it'll start at? 250?
Depends on the lab, but it could.
One that was 3 something.
Some might be, but in general, it's like 250, 240. But that's like 350 gives you more leeway where it's like if you're under that, they look closely at it versus for you, like 242, it's like you have to feel like dog shit before we even consider you deficient.
But I was almost there.
Exactly. So
like
that's like
10 whatever nanograms is like.
Yeah, and that's like where the problem lies is that this reference range is like way too general and they need to factor in for symptoms, not just your number. But even based on the number, we see there's a problem when you're in your 30s and you're at 250. Like that's not good necessarily.
Could that be seen as just a bad day?
Could be. Yeah, but it's like, again, these are always just snapshots in time. So it's like, are you going to get 10 blood tests and take the average of them? Like, it depends how accurate you want to be. But in general, if you have symptoms, it doesn't really matter if you have a 400, a 300, a 200.
Yeah.
If you feel like shit and you think something truly is wrong with you, like you might, just like the thyroid thing, you might have a TSH in range, but maybe you need treatment still. Like we don't know.
So here's the thing. Maybe that was a good day. Everyone always says maybe that's a bad day.
Yeah.
You don't know that wasn't a good day.
Yeah. For all we know, this could have been like your peak production. Like, I don't know. So we see you're 251. Like, but anyone would consider that like clinically deficient essentially, or like very concerning.
And so this is caused by those other pituitary hormones you were talking about.
Yeah. So your FSH and LH are like, pretty low.
Yeah.
And signaling to your testes to produce testosterone in suboptimal quantities.
Okay.
And then as a byproduct of that, you have a bunch of the issues with the lethargy, the fatigue, also stemming from, your hematology being low because you don't have enough androgenic signaling. Like downstream, there's a lot of consequences that don't just have to do with, I can't build as much muscle, like my dick's not like as hard,
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of other like health related shit that has to do with your testosterone being low.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting to the testosterone free now, which is like not bound to SHBG. It's like freely circulating around to get to tissues to do what it's supposed to do. You are 135 on a reference range of 115 to 577 picomoles per liter, which again, the free testosterone calculated gets a bit finicky with even LabCorp. Their assays will differ. Some will tell you, you're like in the hundreds. Some will say you're 25 to 30. It's kind of difficult to explain how this is going to translate, but just in general, you can kind of proportionally check the reference ranges and kind of get a gauge for, okay, he has a SHBG of 46.8, which everyone knows what that is. That's in nanomoles per liter. That's like in the middle ground between, a little bit creeping to the, not the high end of the spectrum, but like a little bit high-ish.
Have we covered that yet?
Yeah, it's in the same section, so it's all relevant. So this is like the main regulating mechanism that would be binding up, like binding globulin is what binds up sex hormones, hence the name sex hormone binding globulin or goblin,
so mine
whatever.
Wasn't too high?
No, it wasn't too high.
I thought it was high when I looked at it.
No, the high end of the reference range is 70.
Oh, okay.
With that being said, I would be concerned of anything like if you were 60, I would be like, whoa, this is like a bit iffy.
Yeah.
Because then proportionally you're getting less. Like free T, ideally you want to be like 2 to 3% of your total is like a kind of gauge that people will use as, is this like an optimal ratio?
Okay.
And for you, just because your total is so low to begin with, like obviously your free is proportionally not very good too. So you have a 135 with a 115 to 577. So this is like borderline clinically deficient again of the freely circulating test.
Okay.
So like in general, we can see direct representations in your hemoglobin and hematocrit that obviously not enough is being produced in that capacity. And then, upstream to that is your testosterone being suboptimal, leading to all these different outcomes and potentially other things that are being thrown off. So for me, this is like, I don't see more of like an obvious red flag that, okay, maybe TRT might make sense to explore further.
Right.
To kind of like see if you improve symptom wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not like you're just doing this because you just wanted gear. It's like you actually had low T symptoms that you want to rectify. Like you want to live a high quality, life with vitality and whatnot.
Yeah. And I was afraid of needles.
Oh yeah.
So like this.
Now you're not.
Now I'm not. But like this is not something that I ever in a million years planned on doing.
I'll just leave it here in case anyone.
But you know what? I like, breaking my mold, trying new things.
Yeah, it's funny how you were like nervous for this, and you'll like. It's because the total opposite. You're like totally comfortable with the psychedelics. I'm like terrified.
I wouldn't say totally comfortable.
Okay.
Depends on the situation.
I guess you've had situations that made you a bit more apprehensive.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's just funny how we're like totally like foreign to us, the total opposite side of the thing.
I know, but I've jumped onto your side of the.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Your side of the bench. Your side.
Your side of the pond, whatever.
Pond. Yeah, I'm on your side. I don't foresee Derek coming to mine.
No,
I don't think it's gonna happen.
I think I need to get to a point where I know, like, I want to do it. Rather, I don't know if I'm gonna benefit as much if I'm like negative about the situation. Because you're optimistic about your outcome of this, whereas I'm just, if I go into using psychedelics paranoid and like not optimistic and thinking I have more to lose than to gain, I don't think that is a smart way to go about it.
I think it could be terrifying. If like you're creating that fear.
Yeah. So again, it's not like I don't believe they could be useful. I just think for me personally, I'm not in the mindset to be like ready for them.
Well, that's good. I think that's healthy to know yourself.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I'm like glad to see that, you know, we could dissect this kind of underlying issue that you didn't even know you had. And
dude, yeah, obviously I appreciate it. I'm happy that you helped me do this. But my question really is, what caused it? What could you speculate? Because I speculated kratom, but what do you think?
Well, it's tough to say because obviously the average testosterone level is decreasing, you know, in this population. You could, you know, obviously the main things you think of are sleep deficiency, diet, you know, stuff like that. And then there's the camp that thinks it's all like phthalates and plastics and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know how much you're cooking with plastics. I don't know any of that stuff. Like,
I don't know plastics.
I'm just speculating as to what could have caused it. But at the end of the day, I can see the physical manifestation in your actual hormone production. And I can tease out all the factors that I think are super relevant. Like, how's your sleep quality? Are you getting 8 hours a night or close to that? Are you getting to bed at a good time?
So the tea could affect your sleep though, right?
That too, yeah. So obviously it's a vicious circle.
Because I've noticed, like I was having a lot of difficulty staying asleep.
Yeah.
I could fall asleep, I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, so I could fall asleep, no problem, but I'd wake up.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, it's like a power nap. I'd be up for a little while, and then I'd cycle asleep, awake, and it was really difficult to get like into that deep REM sleep. So I think it was a cycle, because one of the things not to go too far ahead, one of the benefits I've noticed, like one of the first things I noticed, it still obviously took like a couple to a few weeks, was my sleep is better.
Yeah.
With the testosterone.
Yeah. A lot of people think, oh, if I'm on steroids, then I'm going to be my mood is going to be more volatile. It's going to be harder to sleep. And it's like at super physiological levels, like, sure, that could be the case. But if you're literally clinically deficient, I actually see more anger in guys who are like low T and like inability to be like relaxed and sleep soundly.
I went through some angry phases for sure.
Yeah. Like some of the mood swings of guys who are low T, it's like, you'll just be like super apathetic because you're low T, and then 2 seconds later you're just like super angry for no reason.
Let's talk about that. So you said that so first of all, not everyone, a lot of people have this very negative view on testosterone therapy, and they think that everyone who takes it is just looking for an excuse to jump on gear. And there is this trend, especially recently, and with this uprising of the social media life, where more people want excuses. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who will actually crash their testosterone. Like, I'm sure I would bet good money there's a lot just to get a prescription.
Yeah.
And that's like their goal for crashing their testosterone. So like in that world, it's hard to see that there are people who could actually benefit, because most people think you take it and then it's this lifelong thing, where, I mean, they're right in that regard, but that there's going to be so many more dangers that outweigh the positives. But that's in an instance where the person didn't have clinically low levels, where they didn't need it. So what are some of the positives that you can see given already low? Like, what changes can you see that aren't going to be dangerous?
Not going to be dangerous in that,
like that rectify its use in the sense where you're actually healthier taking it versus not taking it.
Yeah, well, obviously, like, you know, the oxygen carrying capacity, that is like a big thing. Cardiovascular health, you see, you know, greater outcomes of cardiovascular disease in guys with low T. You see diabetes is huge. Guys who are low T are going to have way worse ability to deal with, you know, blood sugar and whatnot, because they have
dude, I was noticing that.
Yeah,
I was really noticing that effect.
Yeah, it's easy to become pre-diabetic when you like strip muscle off your frame every time you go into a deficit, to the point that you're literally losing more muscle than fat because you have such low testosterone production. And then the vicious circle of that is you end up having a very difficult time remaining insulin sensitive. And then through that, you eventually can become, you know, type 2 diabetic. I
was concerned. Like, I was looking up symptoms of diabetics, and I was actually getting concerned, like, oh, is this something that's going to happen to me?
Yeah.
Because I was feeling like at points, like, I needed a fucking apple. Like, without that apple, I felt like I was just going to be done.
Yeah.
Like, that was starting to scare me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. In some cases, low blood sugar, like your body's inability to regulate blood glucose could be a sign for sure. And like some people, they even have like reactive hypoglycemia where their body's like so poor at controlling their blood sugar, they'll eat sugar and then the amount of insulin they dump out to deal with it drops them back into low blood sugar and they end up like having to eat sugar just to get back to normal. It's really weird how it works. But yeah, like your body's ability to just maintain homeostasis properly and not end up in a bunch of like pre-disease states or develop like actual like progression to something like type 2 diabetes. Like it's
so that's going to benefit. So it benefits the oxygen carrying capacity, less chance of diabetes.
Yeah. Cardiovascular health.
What else?
Neurological health, like obviously having adequate estrogen production through your testosterone, like that is what's
estrogen's important.
Yeah, especially for libido too. A lot of people don't realize estrogen is critical for having your dick work. Like you could have, I've had sky high test levels and taken aromatase inhibitor to dry out for, back in the day when I used to try and get as lean as possible and like dry out intentionally. I would take like an AI, cut all the water from me basically.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like you literally are asexual. Like you don't give a fuck about anything. And you're like, you literally stop talking to women. You like don't care about anything. Your dick ceases to function other than to urinate.
That was me on a cut though. I felt like that.
Yeah. So estrogen deprivation through low testosterone is going to cause like that's literally what significantly contributes to cardiovascular disease and like Alzheimer's and stuff in women.
Alzheimer's
is when they hit menopause and all of a sudden they stop producing these hormones. All of a sudden you see a giant spike in all of these disease outcomes. So for a male, if your estrogen production is contingent upon your testosterone too, it's like so many downstream things you don't even think of. Like, oh, because I have low T, I also have low estrogen, which, is going to lead to like neurotoxicity, cardiotoxicity, and dick not working. Lots of stuff that is functional based on that. And even DHT production too. Like, from a standpoint of like gynecomastia, you could develop like bitch tits just by not having enough androgens to offset the kind of like stimulation of glandular development.
To cause a patchy beard?
In general, like having low androgens versus high, it will make a difference on your body hair and facial hair development. But it's like, I don't see that much of a difference between guys who like deprive themselves of DHT versus not. It will make a bit of a difference, but it's not going to be that significant.
I don't get chest hair. Like it's like there's like maybe one little patch. Like I've always got patchy body hair.
Yeah, like there's some like Asian guys, for example, who have like no body hair, and they'll take like all the gear under the sun. And they still don't really get that much.
True.
Yeah. So a lot of that is genetic.
But oddly, I have noticed since going on the testosterone for, what's the date today?
It is July 11th.
I think I'm either just at a month or just a day or so over a month.
Okay.
It could be placebo, but I think my beard's getting thicker. But I also started applying minoxidil.
Oh,
because I was like, if I'm already on testosterone, which can cause more facial hair, I would love to have a thick beard. So let's take advantage of this. So I've been doing minoxidil once a day, and I honestly think it's getting a little bit thicker.
If you want to double your results, start microneedling too.
I think I saw your video on that.
You only need to do it like once a week.
I don't want to poke holes in my face.
It's like literally a 1 millimeter needle.
You'll have to show me more on this later.
Yeah, and you won't even, it just feels like prickles. It's like a little bit painful, but it's nothing that's you're not like penetrating with a fucking like half-inch needle.
See, I thought you just do it on your head. You can do it on your beard too?
Anywhere you want to like enhance absorption and recruit growth factors that would otherwise stimulate extra.
Do you think my beard growth has to do with the testosterone or the minoxidil though?
More minoxidil than testosterone.
You think so?
Yeah. Minoxidil is like uber potent wherever you put it.
I see.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not go on that train right now. So have we gone through the whole list of benefits? We didn't touch on testosterone being higher having a health consequence.
Well, yeah, like if you go too high, then obviously you could end up with the opposite side of things. You could end up with cardiovascular disease. You could have.
But what does too high constitute?
Well, it depends on the individual again, and that's kind of why you get constant assessment of your health status through at least like somewhat like seasonal blood work.
Well, I wish we had the next test to do because I haven't got the next. He said in 6 weeks we'll do a follow-up test.
I think it's given the fact that you're still like reaching steady state concentrations in your blood. I wouldn't be like too concerned about like as long as you feel good and you're having symptom relief, you're not ending up with side effects. You can kind of conclude you're like sort of where you should be.
Some things are improving, not everything.
Yeah, it's not as fast as some people think it's going to be, especially with a long ester, but like...
Why is it so slow?
It's not really. It's just kind of like it's working for sure. It's just not as significant as some people assume it's going to be.
I assumed I was going to like take it And then in like a week, my lifts were gonna start going up. Like I was thinking, what are the workout benefits?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like almost a month, 3 weeks or so of taking it until one of my lifts went up.
Yeah, well, like, again, with enanthate, the half-life is like, I don't know, depends on where you look, but it could be like 5 days, 7 days, depends on who you ask and where you look. But like achieving steady state concentrations, like you're ramping up right now and your body's like saturating. So it's like, it takes a while for your body to reach a homeostasis where like your SHBG is going to go down a bit. You're going to have more freely circulating androgens. This isn't like an overnight process too. Like even the aromatization of estrogen is not necessarily like instant. Like these things have their own half-lives and their own clearance time. So all the downstream things that lead to like hypertrophy or changes in your brain, stuff like this, it's not like instant necessarily.
I'm seeing the body changes already.
Yeah.
I did not. I thought I was going to feel different first, but I'm seeing body changes at a month. Like I did a video showing my body never looked like that before. Yeah. I'm shocked.
Yeah, looking good, dude.
Thank you. I'm just shocked to see any results after a month. I thought it was going to take longer, like at this dose.
No, yeah. It's I think you just should start seeing the manifestation of improvements in all your symptoms like pretty soon here if you are dialed in on your dose, which,
I put the dose higher. Maybe we should talk about that.
Sure.
I don't know. Is that relevant? I guess it is, because maybe we could ask if this higher dose could be more dangerous. So the doctor prescribed me 120, and his exact words were, "We'll start at 120," and then he said to me, "I have some guys who take 200 a week. We'll see how you are," but being impatient.
Keep in mind, this isn't my clinic, so it's not like I'm saying to do this, nor is my doctor saying to do this. This is in the context of...
This is the doctor I saw.
Yeah.
Well, I saw 2 doctors. I decided to follow up with one of them. I actually have 2 prescriptions to testosterone. One gave me a script for cypionate. Am I saying that right?
Cypionate, yeah.
Cypionate. That's better. And then the other one gave me a prescription for enanthate, and he was much more knowledgeable, so I went with him. Anyway, so he got me on 120 milligrams a week to start. But again, because I'm impatient, I was like, let's just double it. So I've been taking 240.
Yeah. So that might, obviously there are risks to that. And like the amount you're introducing to your system at once, like it's like everyone, I think most people know by now, depending on, who's watching, I guess maybe if you're new to it, you might not know, but more is not always better, especially when it comes to symptom relief.
But that's still low. 240 is still low.
No, it's not at all, dude.
It's not?
240 is like borderline cycle territory. Like your total T is going to be like, I don't know, it could be like 2,000 plus.
But I've seen guys on TRT who are taking like 500 a week.
Yeah, but that's not TRT. That's a cycle.
They claim it's TRT. You reviewed one of them, that YouTube guy. Beast something? How to Beast?
Oh, How to Beast? He wasn't on 500. He's on like a reasonable dose. He used to be on more, but it was not 500 still.
There's a video where he was on 500.
Maybe he cycled 500 at one point, but there's no way he was ever dumb enough to say his TRT was 500 milligrams.
Go look at it.
Okay, what's the
video?
He
has a video. He's on TRT of 500 milligrams a week.
Beast 500 megs. 3 months on TRT, 6 months on TRT. He has a lot of videos, dude, so it's hard to...
Like, I'll know. Let me see the thumbnail.
I promise you, dude, I would have made a video on it.
Crazy. I wouldn't say this if I didn't see it. There's a scene with him in his car talking.
Oh, that's the one I did, dude. Yeah, I think you're talking about the one where he is... let's see...
Some of y'all are watching this right now thinking, David, you super physiological, you're lying to us. You're not doing TRT. You're blasting.
Yeah, this one.
A cycle, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that total is high, dude. Almost 1,500.
1,500, not 500. And this is nanograms per deciliter.
No. He was taking 500.
So everyone, this is your SHBG, and what it does is it...
SHBG going up?
Where's the part where he says the dose?
Fuck. And
maybe go into his actual video that you're reacting to.
Right. Beast.
Do you remember which one that was?
Well, yeah, it's got to be this one.
Okay.
It's a 1,450.
I think it'd be near the front, right?
Some of y'all are watching this right now thinking, David, you super physiological.
Where he says the dose.
You're lying to us. You're not doing TRT.
Well, he's about to say what he's using, I imagine, to get this.
I need to explain this. I did not change my dose, but my total testosterone increased. How did that happen? Well, I have a hypothesis. So as y'all know, my dosage has been 175 milligrams per week, and I inject every other day 0.25 cc's into my belly fat. That's called a subcutaneous injection using a small little insulin needle. Not sure if you guys...
175 a week.
Where did I hear 500? I thought you said 500.
Nah, dude. So anyway,
but there's a. So I actually know somebody who is on 500 TRT in the States. And I asked him, why are you on such a crazy high amount? And he sent me this study. Have you seen the study? Which
There's
shows
only
that
one study on graded dose response to super physiological.
Probably cherry picked, but
he's like, it's safe based on this.
Not it's safe. It was a study of specifically looking at the mood enhancement effects, and the study saw the greatest alleviation of depression symptoms at a dose of 500 a week. So that's why he's taking 500 a week. So I looked at him, and very smart guy. He's in school to be a doctor. I don't want to say who he is. He has a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Wait, maybe I shouldn't say doctor. Whatever. Super smart guy.
Yeah.
Really respect his opinion. And he's taken 500 a week.
Yeah.
And he's young. And I thought that was huge.
Well, if you're doing it acutely to fix, like, for example, Leo, who's very, very risk averse.
Yeah.
He recently he's having a kid. And now that he's not trying to literally like impregnate his wife, he's in a situation where he's trying to he was trying to improve his stress resilience. So he actually took testosterone at like 300 milligrams or something, which for him is totally abnormal when he's usually like trying to keep everything as optimal as possible from like a health standpoint. Yeah. But like if you're trying to get acute effects in some context, whether it be performance enhancement in the gym or some like
I was looking for mood.
Yeah, like a mood effect that is he's trying to like acutely fix something or like band-aid something. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe this is the dose you need. Like very, very infrequently would you have an individual whose symptom relief occurs at 500 milligrams.
Well, I thought that sounded crazy.
Well, yeah, like he might be just seeing, if he's seeing data that implies that that's going to be working for everyone, like most guys I know would be hella stressed out at 500.
Really? I'll send you the study.
Sure, yeah. But again, it's at the end of the day, everyone's dose is going to differ. For example, I feel worse on a higher dose than I do.
So yeah, I talked to him and I asked him, like, do you actually feel better on 5? He said, yeah. He said, that's the dose.
But he's comparing normal, natural to 500, or is he comparing TRT to that?
No, TRT. So he
what
tried
was his
a lower
TRT
dose.
before?
I think he started at 200.
Like that is even like borderline debatable.
I could be wrong.
Like the problem with it's not, I don't know if you call it a problem, but some of these clinics in the States are so liberal about what they prescribe. They'll be like, I guess if you're going to say like, because you could just lie and be like, I don't feel good. I want more. I don't feel good. I want fucking.
He's not a big dude though. Like this isn't a body. Like this guy, you can't even tell he lifts. So he's actually taking it for these effects that he says he wants.
Yeah, well, if that's what he needs, like I guess you can't. It's like saying you can't. I guess you can't really hate on it. You know, if that's actually what he needs. I'm just highly doubtful.
Sorry, continue. I just don't want to. If he's watching, I'm not trying to insult your body, man. You never sent me a picture. Maybe you look fucking jacked now. Yeah. So last time I saw you
one thing I would say is a lot of guys who don't think their dose is good enough also are administering in a suboptimal way. For example, they'll take 200 milligrams once every 7 days or 10 days, and they'll be like, oh, it doesn't, I feel good and then I feel shitty, or this happens. Well, and it's like, your levels are all over the map right now. Like you don't even, this isn't even an accurate representation of what 200 does, you know? Like, so you can't, I need way more context to gauge like the assessment of this guy and like what's going on. Gotcha. But in general, 500 is like way overkill for.
So I haven't been doing 240 the whole time.
No.
So I started at 100.
Yeah.
And then like I got super impatient, and then I raised it the next week to 200.
Yeah.
So I think it's just been the past 2 weeks of 240.
Yeah. So like put it this way, if you're trying to achieve like in a disproportionately quick time frame, like load your body with tests and get some like performance enhancing outcomes or whatever it is, or alleviate your symptoms faster, like maybe you might accomplish that, but then you're just making it a bit harder and longer to dial in to where you need to be.
So you think I should go lower?
Well, if you're just doing it for TRT, yeah. If you're trying to like blast, then 240 is like maybe even a bit low, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's in general, like most people are not, there are rare circumstances where some individuals have such high SHBG, or they just, you know, don't respond that well to, like they need a higher dose just to equate to better blood serum concentrations or get symptom relief. Not that the blood serum concentrations are necessarily indicative of anything, but it's just a number. But at the end of the day, some people do need higher. Like there are individuals who literally need 200 to 250 to like get symptom relief from low
I was
T.
influenced by my buddy taking 5. So in that context, I'm like, I'm taking way less than that.
Yeah. So if you're just basing it off an arbitrary like anecdote of like one guy, like I can tell you from the hordes of individuals who are on legitimate like normal TRT, that's like the most hyper rare weird situation ever.
Interesting. So would me taking say 240 or 200, like in that range, like I've told you, I don't know if it's even in the exact range. The measuring is hard. But if I'm in that range and say I do, you know, get all the symptom relief that I'm looking for, could I lower it down?
Yeah, you could titrate down and see kind of like where the minimum effective dose is to achieve symptom relief.
Because the whole point of doing it was to get there faster. I didn't want to stay at 200.
The problem when you try to get there faster by introducing like a bolus amount at one time is you're almost like, it's not like you're overshooting optimal, but you're not getting an accurate representation of what consistent hormones feels like, or what, like you're getting to such a hyperandrogen dominant state so quickly. You have all of these hormones going where you have super physiological testosterone, super physiological estrogen, super physiological DHT, super physiological blood building, super physiological this, all happening at the same time. So like you might end up in a situation where it's like, this isn't even representative of what normal TRT is. And you might be like, oh, like it doesn't feel optimal. It's like, well, we don't even know what your optimal is, you know? So like maybe you feel good, maybe you don't, but it's like, it doesn't mean if you don't feel good that you got there faster and then you
I
need.
hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it's hard to put into words, but I think you get it.
I get it. It's still 200 is not a lot. How to Beast was 175.
It's not a lot.
It's not like that's a big jump.
No, but in general, like it depends again on the context of, again, like a Canadian reference range. Anything more than 840 nanograms per deciliter, they would say you're too high, which is like, could be a guy at like 125 milligrams a week. You could be like way too high by Canadian standards, but it doesn't mean that dose is too high objectively to actually increase your quality of life and symptom relief to where you need it. Right. So a lot of this comes down to like arbitrary, is this number mean anything at the end of the day versus my symptom relief?
Could it be dangerous, the number I'm taking?
It's just a guideline. But yeah, it could be potentially. I would speculate that 240 lifelong is less healthy than 125. You know, like I bet you could use half the dose and probably get the same symptom relief and or feel as good, if not better. Maybe not get as much muscle growth out of it, but from like a quality of life and health standpoint, I would probably speculate you'd be healthier with half of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you can't do it acutely.
But it's not necessarily unhealthy being on this dose.
Might be.
It might be.
Yeah, it might put on more stress on your heart. Like, we don't know.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I got you.
It's definitely going to make it harder to control your blood pressure. It's going to make it harder to do a lot of things.
I've been checking and I'm fine.
What is it?
My blood pressure?
Yeah.
Like exactly. I think it was 85 over 120.
You mean 120 over 85?
Yeah. That.
Yeah. But in addition to that, it doesn't just come down to your blood pressure on paper too. It also comes down to things like cardiac remodeling is not going to be based just on what your blood pressure is. It's going to be based on like androgenic signaling. That is so distracting.
Sorry. I'm just looking at, I'm looking at my heart rate. That's what I'm checking.
What is it?
So
yeah, but another thing to note too, the higher your dose, likely the higher your resting heart rate is, which clinically has been proven now that the higher your heart rate is, the higher likelihood there is of dying. So for example, even 10 more beats per minute increases your chance of dying by like, I don't know what it was, like 10, 20% or something.
So my heart rate has gone up 10.
And again, that factoid I just throw out there is such a rough ballpark, but you know what I mean. Like if you go look it up, higher heart rate at rest is associated with higher likelihood of dying. Like we know that now.
So today's a bad example because my the averages for today.
Yeah.
Due to the activity I've done today, it's not like say a day where I'm actually like at rest for the whole day.
Yeah.
My average right now is 55.
Yeah, that's good.
Per minute. But before this, I was averaging like anywhere from 45 to 47 or 48. So it's gone up about 10. I would say, yeah, it's gone up about 10. But my heart rate was so low before.
So there's definitely a happy medium to be said too, because it's like obviously the most longevity. If you just like this, a lot of this is balancing quality of life versus how long you want to live.
Yeah.
Because you could technically live longer by being a lower body weight.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, the thing that's going to stress your organs the most is how much do you weigh? Like how big of a human are you? Like how much demand is there to support your organs? So it's not just the test that's making you have a higher heart rate that's going to make you die quicker.
Yeah.
It's also just the fact that you're a bigger human that has more demand. So it's like you also have to balance out like, sure, maybe you might live a couple of years longer without a heart attack if like eventually something's going to happen. You get cancer or a heart attack, most likely, one of the two scenarios, you end up with something that's cardiovascular or cancer related. That's just inevitable. No one's going to live to fucking 150 with none of those problems. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how long do you want to put that off in order? Do you want to be like a cold, like no energy, like non-functional enjoying life human, but drag out another like 5 to 10 years of longevity, or improve your quality of life and be a bit more muscular and be a bit more higher energy, increase, your metabolic rate a bit more. So you burn up more substrate and it maybe is more costly from like a energy intensive taxing your body aspect, but it increases your quality of life during those years.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day too, like, it's not like I'm saying the 240 or the 200 or the 175 is like definitely gonna like fuck you up versus 120.
That's not a big heart rate increase.
No, exactly. Like you're within reason. It's like the ROI on that. It's a big difference between a guy going from 45 to 55 than a guy going from like 70 to like 100. Yeah. You know, like if you're somebody who started TRT and your resting heart rate is already like borderline questionable, and then all of a sudden your high blood pressure, your resting heart rate goes tachycardia, like all this shit. Like, yeah, maybe it's being harmful at your dose. You need to like really reel it back.
Oh, but you know what? You always say this. I think part of the reason why I'm not seeing such detrimental effects is because I'm microdosing.
That's it. Yeah. So obviously,
I'm never hitting 200 at once.
Yeah, it becomes a lot more tolerable when your body's introduced like little micro administrations on a daily basis, replicating what your endogenous production would actually do, because it's on a pulsatile diurnal rhythm.
Yeah.
Where you like your balls don't just like chronically, they don't just like spike a like fuck ton of tests one time a week and then wait till you crash and then spike it again. It's like little bits here and there every day. So like
that makes it safer, doesn't it?
I would say so.
Because like I'm taking like, what would that be, like 30 or I write it down so I can add it up and it doesn't go past that number.
Yeah.
So I'm taking between 30 to 40 milligrams a dose.
Yeah.
Which is so much safer than 200 in one go.
Yeah, definitely. If you're gonna if you want to compare like cumulatively per week, even though your androgen exposure is the same between the two options, obviously the micro administrations I would argue is definitely healthier, not only from a side effect aspect, but just like hitting your body at once with a bolus of androgens is going to put your body into like fight or flight state, probably way more aggressively.
Right.
Probably gonna fuck up your sleep. You're gonna have very big fluctuations, and when you like,
I'd be too scared to try it, dude.
Yeah.
I would like if. So I think this is a good caveat to include here. It's not like I'm taking 240 in one go.
Yeah.
See, in my mind, that changes all of the parameters you're talking about, or at least it changes them a little bit.
Well, a little bit, yeah. I would still argue from a like if this was literally what you're gonna dial in for your long-term routine.
Yeah.
I would be like, what's the minimum effective dose to get everything you want? You know, because it's
I
like
wasn't planning on it.
Yeah, exactly. So eventually you're going to dial it back. And
I wanted to be on lowest effective dose.
Yeah, and I know people in the comment section are just going to be like, "Oh, it's like way too much. Like this is blasting." And it's like I would probably agree, but it's at the end of the day, this is like acute exposure for like part of it. I guess is experimental. At the end of the day, like you're just starting this. Like how many guys have done like tons of cycles who are probably going to be judging like what you're doing in this one moment for like a couple of weeks. Like it's not, you could easily pull it back whenever you want. It's not like you're going to die in the next 2 weeks because of what you're doing.
Right. That's a fair point. I'm testing out 240 to see how I feel, to see how my heart rate, my blood pressure is affected.
Yeah.
And to see,
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm doing this religiously. Like, you know, those people, they make those plans that they have to follow no matter the side effects.
Yeah.
Like if I see bad side effects, I'll reel it back, of course.
Yeah. And obviously your long-term plan, like you just said, is not this. So
no.
Yeah.
No, I just really wanted to. Here's my logic also. In my head, I'm like, if I'm going to do this, why would I just do it to get to normal levels?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I can take, a bit more and reach like super physiological levels, I actually see, we both of us like to experiment.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see, like teeter-totter on the line of like, where you're just at that point where it's like, it's not dangerous yet, but if you went a little bit higher, it could be like, I wanted to find the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Easily said.
Sure. Yeah,
so
and
that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, and this is where like the debate comes in if like you should be allowed to do that from like a medical context. Like should you be allowed to optimize yourself even though it might be like slightly more unhealthy than, keeping like bare minimum like normal as fuck ranges but not having like a bit more muscle and a bit more, I don't know, motivation or whatever it is. And ultimately that's a personal perspective. I can't say for certain like this is bad or good because everyone has their own individual goals and you can't just like quantify like this much is too much because you're super physiological. Like maybe some people again need that for symptom relief and some people maybe they just want to be optimized in what they consider optimized relative
so
to
for me is being on drugs. I wanted to see if I could take TRT to get me off the other drugs.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was also like, so if I take a higher dose of this, maybe I'm more likely to want to kick the other drugs. So
Right.
I've got that interplay as well, which is huge.
And obviously, I can just imagine people are like, it's just replacing one bad habit for another. And it's just like, this is like, ultimately everyone's going to do their own thing from an experimental aspect. Like this is not us saying this is an ideal way to do a medical intervention. Like this is like just you experimenting. Yeah. I just want to make clear because we were talking about HRT and then sort of we're transitioning into talking about like super physiological levels and like getting off of Kratom and having TRT in there instead kind of thing.
Oh, I've openly said this already. I wanted to replace Kratom with the testosterone to see how,
Yeah.
to see if it was a fitting replacement.
Yeah. So anyway, I just want to make sure that context is pretty clear. But yeah, like I definitely think the choice in general to try TRT was probably really viable and warranted for you given like all the health stuff. As far as like the super physiological experimentation, that's your decision at the end
I
of the day.
don't think it's that high. I don't
It's
think
not.
200 to 240 is high. You're making me feel like this is a huge dose that I'm taking.
No, I'm just trying to make clear to people who are learning about this for the first time that that's not like TRT.
Like the doctor literally said we could bump you up to 200.
Yeah. And some doctors in the States would literally put you on 300 and be like, see, like this is normal.
Right. I understand that just because the doctor said that doesn't mean that it's healthy. But in my head, it's not high. But, you're more educated than
I'm
me.
just like an extreme like harm reduction platform. So that's like all I'm trying to say.
I think people understand that the optimal dose is like 120 for most individuals. And I think a lot of people understand that everyone is different and some people do need more.
Yeah.
And the only way to know is with the blood work.
Yeah. And assessing like longitudinal data of your own like state from a symptom aspect too, which is not something that's necessarily going to be reflected in the blood test values. Like it's not going to say like, does your dick work on a reference range, So a lot of that stuff you need to figure out yourself too.
So what would the process be for like not being on TRT? Say I take it for 2 months. Could I easily just get like, say I have no effects that I like after the 2-month mark, my mood isn't improved, like nothing. How do I get off it?
Well, first of all, as far as the duration of time, no one would tell you who knows what they're talking about that 2 months is enough time to gauge.
Okay.
Like you would tweak your dose and like accordingly and see if you can dial in before you get off. Like if this was something you were still interested in.
Yeah.
Let's just say hypothetically you did all that or you just wanted to get off regardless.
Yeah.
At that point, yeah, you would have a pretty shitty time as you crash down to 0 and then recover natural suboptimal function. But at best, you're going to end up back here at best. Which is like...
I already know what that's like.
Which is like...
I'm used to it.
Oh, maybe, but you might get used to this now. And then all of a sudden you have androgen deprivation for months. Like you're on a long ester too. So this is going to take... It's not like a 2-week half-life clearance. Like this is something that's going to be like... People are usually shocked at how long it takes for HBTA to actually like fully bounce back in individuals who aren't like cranking it up artificially with things like HCG and SERMs and stuff like that. Like people who legitimately come off of long-term use... And then granted, you're not long-term use, so you might bounce back quick, but you're like suboptimal anyway. So it's like you're going to feel like shit for a couple months getting back to you feeling like meh. So like at best, you're going to feel like meh again.
But then I could get back to that point and then try to recover naturally.
Yeah, but you just recover to this, basically.
But I could get back to that and then I could try to,
I think you could. Yeah, I don't think you've like fucked yourself where you like couldn't get back to this.
Right.
It might take a few months.
At what point have you fucked yourself?
At whatever duration of exposure you try to get off, and after like full blown, even trying like post psychotherapy drugs, you still can't get your testosterone back.
So would it be a smart move to cycle TRT?
No, terrible.
Why is that terrible?
Because you are shutting yourself down. Like presumably, if you're getting on TRT, it's to fix a deficiency.
Yeah.
So if you're fixing a deficiency, you were in a suboptimal state to begin with, which you were not happy with and was giving you poor quality of life. So if you go on TRT, this is to rectify an issue, like a medical problem that is causing poor health and or poor quality of life. And cycling off, you're at best recovering back to that state. And during that transition time of getting off, you're going down to 0 hormone and trying to recover back up to suboptimal levels that literally made you want to get on TRT in the first place. So like at best, you're going from shitty to whatever you're at on TRT, deciding to get off, going to below shitty, and then hopefully recovering to shitty.
Right.
So like it just makes no sense.
But is there any scenario where you
maybe if you had
be
like
able to recover?
Is there a situation where you're never able to recover?
Yeah.
Well, some people who get on TRT, they literally have like hypogonadism where even like their gonadotropin signaling to their testes, it's like non-responsive, like dead testes essentially. Oh. So those individuals, it's not like you were going to recover anyways.
Right.
You need to be on TRT.
But for me, like say I
for
want to get
you,
off
you have like some function. It's just suboptimal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's eventually a point where just from age, as well as potentially if you're going to use a bunch of synthetic compounds or shut yourself down for long periods of time, I would imagine you probably would have great difficulty recovering. And then by the time you recover, at best, you might be up to where you would be from natural aging. So let's just say at like 40, you decide to come off. Maybe you might recover at like 200.
Yeah.
Which like you're not going to feel good probably. So, but I imagine you could recover. It just isn't like actual recovery because your baseline state is like not good.
I see.
So it depends what you quantify as like recovering.
So yeah, just get back to that baseline.
Yeah.
That's recovering.
I would imagine, I would speculate even after all of this, whatever you're doing right now, even if you experiment with super physiological doses, if you hated it and you want to come off, I think you could get back to this pretty easily.
Oh.
It just might be a shitty few months while you do it.
I see. Would I need, what's that one called that I showed you?
HCG?
Yeah.
It would definitely help during your transition for sure.
So does the dose make the poison with this in that regard too? Like if you're blasting higher, it's harder to recover?
Not really, because again, the clearance time of the hormone, it'll be longer the more drug is in your system. So yeah, you're kind of like dragging out your recovery if it's a bigger dose.
No, I mean in the sense of like if you're taking a bigger dose,
you're shut down regardless. So like if you're on 100 mgs of test or 500, you're shut down. So like it's not like your testes are getting the signaling to produce testosterone regardless.
So even if you're taking like 50, you're still shut down.
Yeah, and that's where the problem arises, where the most popular dose response study in testosterone, where they had guys take 25, 50, 125, 300, and 600 milligrams a week. The guys who took 50, they actually saw that they lost muscle mass when they used it.
Wow. So it's not like there's a point where your body's still using a little bit of testicle strength. It's like either all or nothing.
Well, actually, okay, there's a bit of context on that, because in that study, they sort of like, if I recall correctly, I think they castrated them beforehand, so they actually had no test. So this was like an accurate representation of what from baseline, and I don't mean permanent, like they use like, I believe it was a gonadotropin releasing hormone, GnRH agonist or something.
Oh, so there's a point when both are functioning.
Yeah, I think there is definitely a happy medium where it's not like you take 5 milligrams of test and then you're totally shut down. Like I think there's definitely a point where your body has like it works through negative feedback, and you have to have an adequate amount of that receptor activation to prevent your body from. It basically determines we have enough of this, so we're going to stop producing this because we have enough of it, and that amount may, if you're lower than what you naturally produce, it's not. I don't necessarily. It depends on the compound too, dude. Like, and on the person. I can't say for certain exactly what's going to happen.
Of course not.
But like in general, if you're on a TRT dose that's replacing natural function, or like a big fucking dose, you're gonna be shut down in both instances. There's definitely nuance to it, but the nuance is like irrelevant because no one's using like 10 milligrams a week.
This is interesting because it's very different than other compounds affect you. Because in my head, like if this was something else, you would say it's probably better to blast that one big dose. Because, as it wears, you spike faster, but it wears off faster. And then it's giving your body time to, actually produce some of its own. So you're not totally shut down. But because of the ester length, you're shut down regardless.
Yeah.
So it's very different than other drugs. Like normally.
But you're talking about introducing drugs into your system your body doesn't necessarily naturally make anyways.
Right.
Like you're using a signaling molecule to tell your body to make super physiological amounts of like neurotransmitters and shit versus this is like replacing something that you need there all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's directly comparable, but I see what you mean though.
But it's different in terms of dosing.
For sure.
Like, because normally I would say doing it every day is an awful idea. It's better to do one big dose infrequently than like constantly keep it in your system because it's going to take your body longer to reach homeostasis again afterwards.
Yeah.
But it seems with this, because of the ester chain, like it doesn't make a difference, does it?
Yeah, well, like the way they esterified these compounds to begin with is to make them more user-friendly in that you could get away with administering once every 7 days or once every, like in Europe, they prescribe something called undecanoate, or maybe it's Sustain on 250, I believe, which is like a mixture of like 4 or 5 different esters, and it has like different release times of each of them.
What's the point of that?
Basically, they want to have it as infrequently scheduled as possible so people adhere to the pinning schedule. Because if you told everyone to pin every day, you would have a huge drop off in how many people follow their schedule.
Why is that though? I don't think it's that
because
bad.
It's annoying to inject shit. People hate it.
I actually, it's so weird. I was so against it, and I'm doing it every day. My
but you're trying to like dial in, and you're like aware of this shit. A lot of people are like, I just want to like I don't like injecting. I would rather do it once a week if it was the exact same outcome.
Yeah.
But like for some people, that's why they designed the drug the way they did, is to allow more user adoption and consistency.
So why don't I take propionate then?
You could with your frequency.
Like, what is the benefits of being on?
With an anthate, you're still getting a bit more stableness because propionate is like relatively. It's not gonna be that different, but if you looked at like a graph of your levels, like maybe you're getting like within your stable levels, you're getting a bit more spikes and dips with a shorter ester compared to a longer one. Like ideally, if you're pinning every day, the net difference after a long period of time is probably like irrelevant, but you're also getting a different ester weight too, which is yielding more active hormone per milligram.
Just take less.
Yeah, you could do that, but it's like good luck getting prescribed testosterone propionate from a pharmacy as well.
Yeah, but you could just easily buy that online.
Yeah, but then is it accurately dosed? Is it sterile? Is it whatever?
Yeah, I found a site that sells it from veterinary clinics.
I still would rather have human-approved testosterone personally.
Yeah, I know, but at least it's made in a lab.
Well, like hypothetically, you could use test probe, but then again, it's like why though? You know, just like if you're on this for life.
I just like the notion of a fast clearing time.
Fair.
It just sits better.
Like it's not like I did that before. I did 100 milligrams a week, pinning every day. That was what I was doing for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had like very normal looking levels.
Wow.
Yeah, I did disproportionately high free, but it was still within the reference range, and my total was like 550 or something.
So in your case, 200 would have brought you up to like 1,000?
I would have been, like somewhere in the thousands.
That's not even that huge.
No, but my free would have been like fucking 40 or 50.
Is that a bad?
Well, yeah, you're getting like super physiological androgenic signaling in your heart, your brain, everywhere.
Huh.
Is it bad though? Like again, person dependent.
Right. So there's no real benefit for an anthate versus prop versus.
Well, again, no one else. You are a very rare individual who's going to pin every day and be happy with it. Most individuals are not going to do that. Even the thought of pinning more than once a week for some people is like, fuck that. So for those individuals, they need a long ester.
Gotcha.
You can't use propionate once a week. So
gotcha. I got it.
In your rare scenario where you're like hyper optimized and you're brand new to this, so you're like very invested in the process. You're very optimistic about the outcomes.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for a month. Think of guys who've been pinning, injecting shit for 10 years, 30 years. Do they want to pin 365 times a year? After a while, it gets pretty tiresome. When I was, younger, I might have been less annoyed by pinning than I am now.
I could foresee that in the future, I would want to pin less.
Yeah. So like you speculating how much you want to pin at 50 years old versus now, like you can't, like I would highly doubt you stay on propionate for the rest of your life and pin every day.
You're for sure right. I wouldn't want to do it every day forever.
Yeah.
For like a time being, it's fine.
And then at that point, a cypionate or an enanthate, makes more sense.
I could see myself being comfortable like every 2 or 3 days.
Exactly. And like the difference between every day and every other day is not very significant for most people. Some people I know who are like hyper prone to aromatization and or gyno development, those individuals, sometimes it can make a difference.
That's why that's a huge driving factor in me doing it frequently.
Yeah. Yeah. So from a side effect prevention aspect, every day is like the pinnacle of how you would do it. But again, it's like diminishing returns, like between every day and every other day.
Yeah.
If you're using a long ester, not propionate, not that significant. Going from every day to like every 3 days, like a bit more significant. Every day to every 4 days, like pretty fucking significant.
Gotcha.
Dragging it out to a full week, like night and day.
But even if enanthate every day is still going to yield the least side effects.
I
think gyno type side effects.
No, like all you would have to factor with the propionate would be the milligram active versus.
I mean like enanthate. Like if you're pinning say every day versus every other day, is every day going to drive less?
Yeah, so
chances of gyno happening?
Yeah, so like think of like the dosage input versus it clearing is if you have an enanthate every day. Let's just say you're doing like 20 milligrams a day or 20 milligrams every other day versus 10 mil. I don't fucking know. I can't even think right now. But you know what I mean? Like the equivalent dosage androgen load, if you were doing 20 milligrams every other day versus 10 milligrams every day.
Yeah.
That would be like, 10 milligrams, 10 milligrams, 10 milligrams versus 20. Like that disparity in that blood serum concentration is a different amount of aromatization at peak, 5-alpha reduction at peak, phlebotic action at peak. All that kind of shit is going to differ depending on how much of a bolus is introduced to your system at once. Brain stimulation at peak, like any of this kind of stuff is going to differ a little bit. It's not going to be that significant when you're only going from every day to every other day, but the difference again between every day versus once a week,
right?
Fucking huge.
So you feel better from like an emotional standpoint doing it more frequently.
Yeah, some people are so emotionally unstable and can't figure out why they can't feel better on TRT, but they're pinning once every 10 days.
But wouldn't that initial spike be like at least you get 2 days of feeling great?
Sometimes, yeah, and then people will be like, yeah, I feel good, and then I feel like shit. Like, why is that? Those are like the really obvious ones though. Like sometimes people will like deal with suboptimal function and just not even realize it's their administration frequency.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm just crossing off what I
No worries.
So let's just fully, crush this topic before we move on to something else.
Sure.
So in the realm of TRT, we haven't talked about like the effects I've had so far, have we?
No, yeah, you haven't told me like how you feel in general. You haven't really talked about. You said your body composition is improving pretty significantly, which is cool to hear. Your sleep is improved.
Yeah, the body composition wasn't the driving factor in doing
No,
it,
of
but that's
course
a
not.
cool bonus.
Yeah. So like so far the motivation and whatnot, not that significant of a difference yet, or
It's hard to say because I'm still tapering Kratom down,
Mm-hmm.
and then me getting off Kratom is like when I'm off it will be the pinnacle of accuracy because it's hard to accurately rate it when I'm still got this other thing going on.
Yeah.
So like I have lowered the Kratom now. It's not as high as it was. Still in the process of it. So given that driving factor in the direction these results are going to go in, I would say it's hard to notice much of a direct mood increase. Like I don't know if I'm feeling better, but there are aspects that are better. Like my sleep has improved. Definitely more sex drive.
yeah,
And harder erections, that kind of thing.
morning would know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely morning wood for sure. Definitely like feeling like the feeling of wanting to have sex is a good feeling in itself.
Yeah.
Because that releases a whole cascade of chemicals in the brain. And like you could argue that alone means that I'm feeling better.
Yeah.
Because during those periods, like I feel good. But again, then there's those periods of the Kratom withdrawal where I feel like shit because of the Kratom. So it's like, it's so hard to say the emotional. But I would say so far, results are interesting.
Yeah.
It's not what I expected.
Yeah.
For sure. Like
Yeah.
it's not like I feel fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
But then you got to factor in what's going on in my life right now. Things have been really hectic. It's like if I was like in a steady state,
Yeah.
where everything was so, monotonous day to day that like I could actually pay attention to little spikes and changes where, sometimes you're in that place in life, but like moving and all this shit that's been going on, too hectic.
Yeah, I think some people expect too much and that they think like test equals Superman, and it's like this is why blood work's important too, because I do mention how the numbers on a piece of paper are just kind of like arbitrary proxies for high quality function versus not, and you should go by symptoms. But in addition to that, if you have a fuck ton of stress in your life, you have other things that you're dependent on compound wise.
Yeah.
You're under financial stress, you're under whatever it is, you're in the middle of a move. It's not like testosterone all of a sudden makes all those things feel better, which is what I think a lot of people picture in their mind.
That's what Kratom's for. Like, that's what these other drugs do.
So like this is why I think, again, while blood work sounds like it, why would you even want it if the number doesn't actually equate to if I have symptoms anyways, then I just need test. This is where the cross of both of them comes in, because you could anecdotally say, well, I feel fatigued. Well, I don't feel good. Well, I'm not motivated. So I obviously need test. And it's like, well, maybe you just have like a shitty like lifestyle or like something going on in your life that's stressing you out. You're in a really bad toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff you might think is like low T. And that's, where the blood work, the intersection of the blood work and what's going on in your life is kind of where you get a more informed perspective on what is actually going on. So like how you mentioned, it's not what you expected necessarily. Like this is where having all the data is useful.
So all the data, let's go through the list. Ask me. See, I'm really like jumbled at the moment. I can't even speak. When I go to try to outline the positive effects, it's hard because all my brain gets filled with is the expectations I had and the other shit going on that's nullifying potential results. So why don't we make this easier? Go through the list of potential positive effects, and I'll tell you if I've had it.
I would love to remember them off the top of my head, but I'm not going to remember them all either.
Energy is one, right? That's a big one. I had no energy.
Yeah.
I would say my energy is up, like for sure. And when it comes to something like exerting myself physically, like working out, I could work out forever. And that is a cool feeling.
Yeah, and ability to recover from like very basic volume per week of like lifting, I think is a pretty, like obviously, again, diet, sleep, all that shit, like everyone knows that makes the big difference. But if you're doing everything right and you're not able to recover from like very basic like exercise shit, like that's obviously a red flag. You know, if you're like literally super fatigued from like very basic stuff. But again, that gets into the lifestyle thing. Like how many people sleep 5 hours and then think, oh, it must be low T. It's like maybe you are from your shitty sleep.
Right.
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 Or you just feel like shit because you're low sleep. Like that kind of stuff too.
Oh man, the difference in how you feel when you have a full night's rest. Versus
8 hours or it's like 5 is like night and day.
Oh my God, you feel so good. Like
Yeah.
I'll actually wake up and I'm like, I feel so fucking good right now because I slept.
Yeah.
Having kids, it's a big deal to get a big sleep.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, so I would say that there are positives. It's just not as dramatic as I thought it would be.
But again, you're new, you're using a long ester.
I think the results are still coming.
Yeah, and again, it's not like your dose, you've been like figured out what you're going to be doing. So like there's a lot of future potential for figuring out like this is not representative necessarily of like what is your dialed in thing. So it could significantly change despite the fact you're probably thinking, 240, that's a fuck ton if I'm not feeling it by now. Like what more could possibly happen? Like some people feel way better at a lower dose. Like you never know. Like I'm sure if you checked the hematology part of this, next time it'll all be in range.
Right. So even if the test is high, it'll still put everything in range?
It might be high to the point where they might be like, bro, you need to donate blood. Yeah. But I imagine the fact that you're like clinically deficient, it'll probably put you like somewhere at high normal. Like given your dose. I think it will definitely, like that in itself is going to relieve you of fatigue, not just like the motivation from the neurological adaptations to testosterone, but the fucking like actually having the proper amount of blood building capabilities.
I was surprised how long it took for the fatigue to go away. I was on it for 3 weeks. I only just recently started feeling like I have energy, and it's not consistent.
Manufacture of blood cells is not a quick process. So that's another thing that I should have mentioned too at the beginning is even though test is in your system quick, the manufacture of red blood cell counts and getting this hemoglobin up and stuff, it'll take weeks. Like the recycling of red blood cells, I think is like multiple week process.
So I could not be there yet? Like, is it still...
I imagine it's like getting to like where you want to be. I imagine you're in the reference range now. I don't know if you're optimal, but you're definitely like on your way there. So I imagine the relief of fatigue and stuff more recently is probably largely intertwined with this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool. The fatigue is... People don't realize until you start dealing with daily fatigue, like what it means. Like in my mind, I thought that meant I'm going to be tired all the time, but it's not necessarily tired. It can be tired, but for me specifically, it didn't mean I want to go to sleep. It meant like all I want to do is sit down and not move. And like the actual act of moving felt like I had to recruit so much more oomph and drive to do it. It's like I needed like a real good reason. And for me, the good reason was just to keep my body composition in a way that I wanted. So it was like constantly forcing myself to do a walk, to go for a run, to exercise. But it's like that takes so much mental energy, and that drains you when you're constantly having to apply so much discipline for something as simple as going for a walk. And having energy means it's not as hard to do that. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of obviously positives. I was just looking up the manufacture of your hematology, what like the turnaround time would be on that. But it's definitely red blood cells are produced in the bone marrow and circulate around the body for 120 days. Let's see, formation of red blood cell takes about 2 days. As far as I knew, like for somebody who was actually like one of the one of the drugs introduced to kind of attenuate this for individuals who have normal like testosterone levels would be something like the EPO I mentioned. That's used exogenously, and like as far as I know, the turnaround time on like getting the RBC and hemoglobin to where they want it is around a few weeks, I believe.
Okay.
Let me just double check that. Most people take 1 to 2 months to feel better using EPO. No, that's like directly stimulating the production of this, whereas you for androgens, you're like a bit more upstream to that. So it's like stimulating the endogenous erythropoietin, which then downstream is going to help you produce this stuff. So yeah, it's like a multiple week process to get to where you need to be. So yeah, I'm not surprised that you're like just starting to feel like the effects.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things people don't consider. They just think, oh, like my testosterone on paper is better, so like I should feel better. And it's like, no, like sometimes this stuff takes time. Yeah.
It's very different than other compounds where you get like an immediate effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Other question I had for you is on these, I'm assuming the dose has some interplay with the
androgenicity?
Yeah, say it again.
Androgenicity.
Yeah. Thank you. That's easier. Androgenicity. Yeah. Am I going to experience a lot of those effects? Like is my face going to change?
I think, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think you'll definitely look a bit more masculine for sure. It'll be most notable once you get lean again, though, in my opinion. But a lot of it will just come down to like distribution of like mass on your frame too, and like the way
like bones
like
are gonna
your neck and your face is gonna like fill out a bit, but in like
My neck's already getting bigger.
in like muscle though too. It's not like it just gets like fatter looking. Like when you get lean the next time, your face is gonna look like bigger from a muscular aspect as well.
I see.
Yeah, so like this kind of stuff definitely changes like how you look in a masculinity context.
Okay.
But from like an androgenizing context, like it's not like you're gonna lose more hair necessarily.
I don't care about that.
You might get a bit more beard development, but I think the minoxidil is mostly gonna contribute to that. And then anything else, like I don't know, like I don't think there's really anything else to note from an androgenicity side of things.
Jawline, chin, does that change?
That's gonna be mostly body fat, but like the more like mass you build on your face is gonna build like a bulkier look when you're leaner. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's not going. Yeah, it might like make it a bit more pronounced, but it's more so gonna be evident when you're leaner than now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people like that, I've seen you've done video on Kumal, like his face looks so different.
Yeah.
That's
but
from HGH?
I think he definitely dabbles with HGH, but mostly based on the fact that he's in his 40s and he has a lot to gain by using it.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think his entire like jaw is built by HGH. I think he was just like fat before.
I don't.
What?
Like if you look at people who are fat and they lose weight, their faces look thinner.
No, but like
so much
he always
bigger.
had like, even on his like first cut, his face was definitely turned into like a block looking structure. It was like the structure was always there. I think maybe it's definitely added because again, like the muscle around your jawline too builds up.
But
so
his nose changed too, didn't it?
yeah, but that kind of stuff can change just by aging as well.
I don't know.
But it
looks
changed
like
pretty.
HGH
It's
to me.
yeah, like I mentioned, I think he does HGH, but I think a lot of it is to do with his body fat and muscle accrued, and then I think there's HGH on top. But I don't think it's the only reason why his face looks like Womp from fucking Super Mario 64 now.
So steroids on their own without HGH are less likely to have those effects, or not at all.
I would say they're like, well, in terms of like growing actually like your nose and stuff.
Yeah.
That's gonna be HGH more so.
I see.
Yeah, but like actual mass around your like there's muscle everywhere here. So
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, like building up like your jaw area, it's definitely gonna be gear will do it for sure too. Yeah, yeah.
I see.
So I would
Did
definitely.
you notice that in yourself?
Yeah, like the difference between me lean when I was like a teenager versus like on gear, huge difference.
I see.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't like how I looked lean. Like one of the things I didn't like is my face started to turn into Golem. Like my eyes look real big. I get real thin.
You get gaunt looking?
Yeah, I feel like I look ugly when I hit a certain body fat. Like, yeah, I was getting some abs, but like it wasn't worth my face getting ugly.
Right. Well, that's I know that sounds weird, but it's almost a good sign that you thought you were ugly when you were natural, because some people, they get to a point where when they pack on a lot of muscle, it becomes harder to get that like lean face look because you hold more like intracellular fluid too.
Yeah, I've noticed some guys get so fat though.
Yeah, so like a lot of bodybuilders, you'll note they have so much muscle on their body, including their face, that even when they step on stage, even though they're like 260 shredded,
Oh, I've seen it, man.
their faces aren't necessarily like lean looking. They look fat. Yeah, it looks like they're like an obese person even when they're shredded.
I know.
Yeah,
I don't want that. No, thank you.
Yeah, like you're not gonna get that big where it's that problematic at all. But I think the fact that you were like gaunt naturally and you didn't like it, this will help you like get to a state where you look healthy or lean.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And in addition, you won't have to calorie deprive yourself as ridiculously, so you also just won't be as unhealthy. So maybe you were literally malnourished.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I for sure was when I was doing those cuts, for sure.
Yeah, because you had to get pretty fucking low on the energy expenditure, a lot of it, and very minimal calories
like
to
16, 1800.
Yeah, like again, like of course you're gonna look dying when you're eating that little.
All right, let's move on to another. I think we've crushed this topic.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, we can talk about the YouTube stuff. We were just talking about like the videos we make and like who comes across as like manufactured when they're doing.
You gotta move the microphone, baby.
Oh fuck. I don't know if you guys heard that, but we were talking about like YouTubers and like people who manufacture their personalities and come across as super fake.
Like everybody?
Yeah. So we were talking about like ourselves, or like you just asked me if I'd do that ever. Yeah. And I mentioned how like I think it's pretty representative of what I actually am like in the videos. Like even when I'm just talking with you in the podcast, or even when I'm not talking with you on the podcast and we're just talking, like it seems pretty similar, I would imagine, to watching the content.
Yeah, I think so. But there's also another facet to that is sometimes it's okay to put on an act. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad fake person, because I actively sometimes want to be like hyped up, And just because I find it fun.
Oh,
like I'll do little skits and videos where I'll like, I'm aware that I'm acting over the top, but I've always liked acting as a kid. So that's fun to me.
Sometimes if I'm like, okay, obviously filming videos every day, you're not always in an optimal mental state to record and seem like sometimes you could have an off day.
I've seen you pissed in videos before.
Yeah. Usually I'm reacting to something that's actually, I might play up how annoyed I am perhaps. So that might be manufactured to some extent.
No. Like I've watched you once and I don't think you were actually trying to be angry. And in my head, I thought Derek's in a bad mood today.
Oh, I'd be interested to see what video that
I don't know. This was a while ago.
Yeah.
But sometimes you think that you're manufacturing a positive emotion.
Yeah.
Or like certain traits or mannerisms will come out. Or
Right.
like the viewer's like, something must have happened today.
Yeah, sometimes I will I'll play music to hype myself up before recording, for example.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't tried that.
No, yeah, because like for me, that's like one of the biggest influences on my mental drive to do something acutely. That's why in the gym I listen to music all the time. What?
Big aha moment. The very first effect I felt from the steroids was music sounded better.
Oh, really?
That was my first effect.
Wow.
I wonder if that might be
I just did an Owen Wilson. Wow.
why you like the music.
Yeah.
It's because you've been on gear so long. Music's always enhanced.
I don't know, but yeah, like sometimes if I'm just lackadaisically working on the computer for 8 hours, and then I try to be like, okay, time to film, and I've just been sitting there in a chair, slumped over, not ready to just really get in and be high energy about stuff. I'm not always high energy, but just like being sharp and witty or whatever. Sometimes I listen to music to crank me up before.
Yeah, like your old videos, you look pretty slow.
Yeah, but that was not representative of my actual personality. That was just me being uncomfortable and also just not having I would read off a script for.
And you were younger. Age plays a huge role in this, not just from the fact that you're learning how to speak over time, but
my brain hadn't even reached full maturation when I started.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, definitely getting reps in with video creation is definitely huge, and eventually, it's almost like when you meet a chick, like how when you're young, you're going to act so much different on the first date than you will 3 months in. Mm-hmm.
Not always to your benefit.
Yeah, yeah. So it's the same thing with videos. I feel like until you become very comfortable, it's not an accurate representation of what you're really like until you've cranked out 500 plus videos.
I'm not even at that point yet, man.
Okay, maybe it's more duration then. But I don't know. Your entire length of videos, cumulative. I don't know. Obviously, there's definitely a reps component of it. For me, it was probably I would imagine by 500 videos in, I probably started getting really different, seemingly.
And this is great advice to give to people who are trying to make a YouTube channel work.
Yeah. Oh, some people think
500 videos.
Yeah, if you ever want to see even your favorite YouTubers, not me, not Adam, anybody, go scroll to we'll just sort by oldest to newest rather than newest to oldest and watch some of their first videos, and you'll see drastically different. It seems like they were a totally different human.
Unless they deleted them.
Well, yeah, some people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know, Greg and myself, for example, night and day different from our first videos to
I think
now.
for me too. If I look at my old ones, not even the script, I had some scripted ones, but even me telling stories of trips, like the very first trip reports.
Yeah.
I'm not as animated. And it's not, but then you could argue maybe now I'm faking the over amplification of moods, but it's kind of like you learn how to speak better and you kind of enjoy yourself speaking better. I don't know if that's it for you.
Oh
too.
yeah. Especially when you get in a flow during a video, you almost get excited at how well it's going, and it can actually ramp you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that way with these podcasts. In the beginning, it can be a little hard to talk. Then you get going, and then it's almost exciting.
Yeah, it was like the Connor Murphy thing last time. It felt like a giant the way we were talking, we're ooh, that fucking sucked. And then after that, we talked for 4 hours about other stuff, and it felt really good content. I feel like
it did. Well, and it felt like the time flew by. We were actually having a good conversation. But you also have to keep in mind that we had just met, so there's that. Factor. At play.
I bet a lot of people would be shocked. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't be. That we literally met right before filming that, and how well I think it came out from a chemistry perspective. Because most people would be they take longer to adapt to each other's personalities. I feel than an hour.
You know what I'm gonna say?
No. What?
What am I gonna say? Well, let's see how much of a bond we have. Why do you think that is?
Because they're faking it.
No.
I don't know, dude.
Damn, our bond's not as tight as I thought. Pickup.
Oh right,
I
the
think
PUA shit.
that comes from PUA shit.
Oh yeah, we talked about that last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's I didn't know we had so much overlap in that like social.
And just like what you learn from PUA shit.
Yeah.
How much of it sticks with you.
An example of how it translates into, again, I always mention translates to all aspects of your life. Another example, which you might not think of, just sitting here and like talking to another guy. It's not a girl. It doesn't matter though. It still translates into your ability to like, you know, be congruent and have
Might
like,
have been hypogonadal almost, but I wasn't a girl.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it translates into so much shit.
Yeah, for sure.
But not always. See, I almost feel like that's dismissive of being able to get along with someone. Like just saying, oh, it's because we did pick up. But there's definitely a lot of dudes who did pick up who I can't stand their guts.
True.
Like I've met some scumballs in the pickup fields.
I don't know. I think, yeah, obviously it helps you represent your personality in the best way that's like really you, if that makes any sense. Like you get comfortable with people quicker, which then lets you actually find out if you're compatible with them, sort of thing.
It's exactly that. You get comfortable with people quicker. And I think when I started getting good at pickup, I don't want to get on a whole pickup spiel, but I started getting good at it when it was almost like as soon as I would start talking to the girl, she would feel like we've been friends for, I don't know, maybe a few weeks, maybe. I'm not going to say years, but she had felt like we had previous interactions. And it's because you feel so comfortable talking to her. She's like, oh, he's comfortable, so now I'm comfortable talking to him. And you can't fake that. People think you can just fake it. Like, oh, yeah, I'll just pretend that I'm talking to an old friend. But you don't realize how much sub-communication is happening that's beyond just the verbal. Yeah. Like the body language, all this, the tonality is huge. And, yeah, it's that contagious comfort, I think, is the biggest contributing factor to getting good at not just pickup, but, like, the beneficial effects that are translating here. It's, Isn't that part of like the pickup thing was building comfort?
Yeah, that's like exactly what they call it.
And it's like you have to assume
it
comfort.
Sounds so manipulative though. It's like you have to build comfort before you like, and then they will, it's like a scientific equation rather than like just having a conversation. It's like you have not built enough comfort to yield the outcome of sex. It's just like, you know.
It sounds terrible.
Yeah. There was like a specific time frame too that you had to get laid in to be like matching the right formula. It was like from step A1 to like S3, seduction 3 in the mystery method, you equate to sex in like 7 hours is like the outline time frame, which is just baffling how they broke it down like that.
It's baffling that got so popular. It's terrible.
Yeah.
The whole thing is terrible.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I guess it got my foot in the door to like think about how to, I don't know, even develop in any aspect.
In my mind, I just want to come up with reasons to convince men to get out of their fucking comfort zone and go talk to some chicks. Like that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, yeah. It's if you can convince them it's like a formula, like, you know, after they realize it doesn't work that well, but they're already talking to girls, like maybe, I don't know, maybe you could argue that's a good
I just mean like in our world, because everyone's online with their dating, and I feel like the more you're online, the more you're afraid of actual social interaction. And yeah. Sometimes I get on this train where I just want to like really showcase how beneficial it is for like so many aspects of your life, but I don't think it properly converts or I convey myself accurately.
No, you can only motivate so many people too. And like even when I knew I like needed to do it, when you're literally in field and like in front of chicks, if you're by yourself, you don't have somebody to like it can be hard, dude. Like just to like jump, like go dive into the fire, or you know, like jump into the double jump rope that I mentioned last time. It's gonna like slap you in the face, but eventually you'll just like, you know, begin to be able to jump and actually get through it. But yeah, like it's easier said than done when you're actually there in front of a hot chick for the first time and be like, hey, go talk to her. It's like fight or flight goes off the chain.
You come up with a million reasons not to.
Oh yeah,
it's the first thing that happens.
Yeah, and then you just look creepy and you're like, okay, it's too long now, and then I'm not going to blah blah blah.
You get comfortable being creepy.
Exactly.
That's the funny part.
Yeah, which is weird. You would be like, isn't it's just easier to just talk to them at this point? But no. How do you like motivate yourself for videos? Like, do you just wait until you're in a good mood, or do, like on the day, or do you have days where you're like, I need to film today, so I need to like manufacture a state of like better mental whatever? Like sometimes it's an array of things. Sometimes it's like I need to film because I feel like I haven't in so long. So there's that driving factor. Sometimes it's a video that I really want to do. Yeah. Like just the content of the video excites me. And those are the videos that I think perform the best, not necessarily because they're the most, I don't know, clickable or they're the most interesting topics, but it's because I'm so excited that translates over to the viewer and they're happy because I'm happy. So that's huge. Yeah.
But a lot of the time it's with good old drug intervention, and not the kind of drug intervention that you're thinking.
Yeah.
The kind where you take the drug because it boosts your mental state and makes you want to record.
So Kratom's like your main go-to for that?
It's funny saying that because Kratom is actually a very weak agent in that regard. I always viewed it as like the most benign and the least driving out of all the substances I could take.
Yeah.
And when I started using the harder stuff, it got to the point where Kratom wouldn't do shit because it was like relative to this other high, like say an amphetamine spike, was way stronger than Kratom. So when I was taking amphetamines, Kratom wouldn't motivate me for crap. I would have to actually combine the Kratom with the amphetamines to get any motivation. So Kratom going down the rung to like the lesser of evils, I think is, especially in like really low doses, I don't think it's a bad motivator, but ideally, and not even ideally, just for the sake of your fucking health, you want to be able to motivate yourself sans drugs. So yeah, I don't like when I get to stages where I feel like I need the drugs to make videos. That's usually when I have a trip, because if I'm at that point, then it's like I'm doing something wrong in my life.
Right.
Because how are you supposed to be happy with your life if you need to force yourself via potentially hurting yourself?
So the trip helps you like get back to grounded status where you like
puts things in perspective.
Okay.
Sometimes in as simple of a way as it allows me to dissect my mindset and me and where I'm at in my life at that point and understand why I need or why I think I need to take a drug to say do work. And sometimes it's not the actual like reason that you find isn't what you're thinking.
Right.
Like there's a deeper meaning to it. It's hard to explain.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Somewhat. Like I've never done the tripping.
It's like a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
That helps you find things that you couldn't see with your eyes naked. So it's really interesting when it's used in that context. And like I feel almost like a hypocrite even talking about this because you could just relay it back to me and be like, well, it's clearly done you good.
Yeah.
If I'm still fucked. Like what good has it actually done me? And then I would bring back the point of, well, I used to be addicted to so many things and now I'm barely addicted. Like sometimes you can get really hard on yourself, and I get very hard on little old Adam in here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you actually have a lot going on. You've got technically 3 kids. You have a teenager, a very small one who just turned 2, a 5-year-old, practically a wife. There's all that shit like going on in the world at this time. You've got a business. Your stubborn ass hasn't hired a fucking editor yet. And it's like, and you got to make these videos and you're exhausted half of the time. And it's not like I'm this absent father who's not like involved. Like, I put, you know, it's not like she's doing everything. Like people have this view of me as I'm just like this guy taking drugs all day long, where if you like actually had a day in the life of me, I think most people would be shocked. Like I'm basically like a dad a lot of the time. And then when I'm not a dad, I'm getting yelled at because I'm not spending enough time with them because I'm trying to be a businessman. So I struggle to find the fucking balance.
Right.
Like I'm either all the way in dad mode or then I go all the way in business mode. And now we've added a new rung, workout mode.
Right.
So I'm trying to balance all this stuff, and that's why I tend to think I need something like Kratom to like give me that boost because I'm pulled in so many different directions. It kind of just relaxes me and centers me and gives me the ability to be like, okay, I can prioritize this now. Versus without it, I'm so just tugged.
Yeah. And it's not like I'm trying to justify any kind of drug use as like good necessarily, but it's kind of interesting because some people, for example, chronic caffeine abusers, they're seen as like that's the okay to abuse and have a shit ton of caffeine every single day. But then if you use Kratom even at micro quantities, you're like a rec drug abuser.
Even though it's in the same plant as the coffee?
Yeah. So like
same family. I mean,
you know, I think a lot of it is just stigma too at the end of the day. Like who's to say that this is, I don't know. Is this
why is alcohol good?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is that acceptable? But all these other ones are bad. But I actually contribute. Like I personally am contributing to the stigma because now everyone's heard me talk on repeat ad nauseum how bad Kratom is.
Right.
When like I don't think it's as bad as I say it is. I'm just so hard on myself. So what you're viewing is somebody who wants to be perfect.
Yeah.
Essentially. I want to be like, I don't need this. I need nothing. I just exist off oxygen and sunlight. Like I want to be perfect.
Yeah, having to admit that you like rely on something can be like a big factor for some individuals. Like even for me, like optimization stuff for not having like a dialed in sleep hygiene where I go to bed at like 10 p.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. every day. I'm like really fucking hard on myself for not maintaining that like militant. But
You're hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, this is why we get along.
Yeah.
We got similarities.
Yeah.
In our personalities.
And like I will actually sometimes go to bed and be like you fucked up the day because you're like going to bed at this time. Oh. You know what I mean? Especially when the sun. It sounds insane, but like sometimes I'll be going to bed at like 5, 6 a.m. on a regular basis, and that's not good. We know that. I'll get my 7 to 8 hours, but it's not necessarily the right time you should be going to bed.
But you're still getting 7 or 8 hours. That's really good.
Yeah, but you could argue there's like it's definitely not as healthy as getting to bed at like 10 p.m. and getting that 7 or 8 hours.
But if you go to bed at 10 p.m. and you sleep 4 or 3 hours, it's worse than going to bed at 7 a.m. and sleeping 7 or 8 hours.
But I should just get 7, 8 hours going to bed at 10 because it's like the same cumulative hours I'm awake.
Right.
I'm still up for 16 hours, 17 hours, then going to bed for 7, 8. So it's like, why can't I just get to bed on fucking time? I don't know. My brain's just like wired that way. But then I'll be hard on myself when I go to bed. Like, why'd you fuck up the day again? You're going to bed at 6 a.m. You know? Like, that's something I deal with personally. It's not like a drug related thing, but very, very.
But the end result is the same. You're hard on yourself.
Yeah.
For something that is. Here's what I learned from my drug use. Is the only reason why, or this also see it applies to sleeping or anything really, the only reason why you are going to partake in any activity that your personality deems as bad is when it's filling a need. It's filling a void that otherwise you don't know how to fill. It has a purpose. Otherwise you wouldn't do it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So like I can be so hard on myself for still drinking Kratom, but there is something that like there's something no one wants to hear this when they think it's negative, but there's something positive that it's doing for me. Mm-hmm. Like positive being subjective.
Yeah.
Like there's something subjectively, there's a subjective benefit that it is imparting on me. Whoop.
That's a good flip.
Thank you. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. So there's something that you need that's being met by doing this wacky sleep schedule. Yeah. But then like you're counterbalancing this with being this mean taskmaster and getting mad at yourself and like, you know, probably some negative self-talk going on for something that is clearly meeting a need. So what I learned from psychedelics is, and I have applied this to quitting other drugs, is to learn what the need is that it's filling. Because if you don't know like what you're getting out of it, then how do you expect to like actually fix it and like heal it? Like you have to know what you're healing.
One thing I do know is my phone does not ring off the chain and I don't get emails in the middle of the night. So that's typically where I can be most productive with the least distractions.
You used to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've been I don't know if you were forced into a good schedule because of your family or because you actually like would have done it anyways. But for me, like I'm pretty hard on myself for like I know it's not healthy to go to bed at 5 a.m. when the sun is up. Like when you sleep when the sun is literally up, it's horrible for you.
So ultimately though, since you know this is something that's bad, and you know like a huge reason as to why you do it, you know the need that's being met. You have to ask, why can't you make this shift? And I would say this is probably something that you're not either you're aware of and you're kind of like ignoring it, or it's something that you don't want to face yet. Because if the shift required something that you could manage or a negative consequence that you could easily mitigate, you would have done it. So there's something, it's discomfort. There's something uncomfortable that has to be done for you to make that shift.
Yeah.
And maybe it could be something so counterintuitive, like in order to work during the day, you would have to be rude to people.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Because your phone rings, you got all these people trying to contact you.
Right.
You'd have to be more rude. So you'd have to like say, ignore it, which might make you feel bad because you got these negative feelings of, oh no, now I'm ignoring them. They're going to think I don't like them. So you got to face something like that versus at night, you don't have to deal with ignoring people because no one's there to contact you anyway. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to deal with like the backlash of feeling like a prick.
Right.
So maybe the shift would require something uncomfortable like
airplane moding my phone.
Yeah. And dealing with the backlash of now people are going to be mad at me. I think it could come down to you wanting people to like you. And you're afraid that if you make this shift, you're going to have people that are just upset. You don't want them to be upset. I'm just shooting in the dark.
Yeah.
Am I close?
One thing I think is during daytime, it feels like when I'm working, people are like out and about doing stuff and it feels like I'm missing out and it's a lot harder to focus than when it's nighttime and it's just like silence and calm, tranquility. No one's doing shit except sleeping. So not only is my phone not going off, not only is there nothing going on that I feel like I'm missing out on, but it's just like peace and quiet. And I don't know. It's just like I'm more productive when I'm up late, even if it's for the same amount of hours in the day I'm awake, than if I try to get the same amount of work done during day hours.
I see.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not that you're afraid of hurting people's feelings.
I think it's like a mental like block of just like not being able to focus properly when like the sun's up. It's weird.
Yeah, but what is the underlying factor? Like you've explained it, you feel like you're missing out. That's pretty huge.
Yeah. Yeah, like especially in the summertime, like I obviously have work-life balance to some extent.
Yeah.
And like I've definitely prioritized making that that's something important that I focus on this year that I didn't as much in the past. And I've been doing good at that, but at the same time, every day when it's like super nice out in summer and there's stuff to do, it's tough to just like lock yourself in the office when the sun's out and just like sit there and grind.
Clinically, they call that ADHD,
Oh, really?
Where you can't focus when there's like, I'm not saying you have ADHD, but it's like, it's a similar thing.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Like once it gets dark, all of a sudden I'm able to like dial in way more. It's really weird.
But yeah, ADHD, it is kind of like the distractions. You have so many distractions in the day.
Maybe.
Distractions are gone at night. It's easier.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then it comes down to like this is what I've learned. So now like let's presume that you know why you're doing this thing that you think is bad. Why can't you just accept that those are the reasons and these are the needs that are being met and be nice to yourself for it?
Because then I wouldn't fix it if I was being nice to myself for it, it feels like.
But you don't want to fix it.
I do. I just haven't done it. And every time I've done it, but then it lasts for like a week. And then all of a sudden I'm up for another hour and then I'm going to bed at 11. And I'm like, okay, you only fucked up by an hour, so it's not that bad. And then the day after, my video's not ready in time. So I'm like, okay, I need to stay up another hour and it's midnight now. And I'm going to bed at midnight. I'm like, okay, it's only been 2 hours that you fucked up your schedule. It's fine. You'll get it back the next day. You'll go to bed at 11 this time, and then 10 the next day. And then the next day comes and boom, all of a sudden I'm up to like 3:30 because there was some like disaster that happened and I need to be on top of it instead of just being like, fuck it. I need to just like shut everything off right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you want to fix it, but you can't.
But it's weird because it's like, if that is the occurrence when I'm going to bed at 10 p.m. and I'm like staying up an extra hour every day, for some reason, when I get to like the 5 a.m. zone, I'm always able to like cut it off perfectly. I never like progress past that point where I end up like rolling the clock around. Oh. Like I get to like 5, 6 a.m. and it's like my brain almost goes like, this is unacceptably bad. You will not go past this point and fuck up that bad.
That's funny.
So it's like my brain's almost deemed like a level of fucking upness as acceptable. It's really odd. I don't know. Because it's like consciously I know where like I want to be.
That's not odd at all though. That's kind of like why people procrastinate. They push it until there's a point where your brain actually says, if you procrastinate anymore, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna lose your job. You get a bad mark. Like you're not gonna get it done.
Yeah.
So like that falls in line with procrastination, I think.
Yeah, I think it does, because the one thing I do know is the most productive I ever am is when there's an impending deadline to do something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I try to impose that circumstance on myself, which probably is not even a healthy mindset to be in.
Because it's fear-based.
Yeah. So if you're trying to like scare yourself into getting shit done because like all of a sudden you'll die if you like don't get a video out or something.
People claim it works though. There's a lot of videos on people saying that that's the best way to be. I contest that. I don't think that's the best way to be. I think the best way to be is something that draws happiness maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to like, I set timers for myself. I do like weird shit. Well, maybe that's not weird, but
you could also argue that maybe this is what also people get into. They get addicted to feeling like they're doing something wrong. Like they're actually, in some level, they're getting a chemical release of something they need from being mean to themselves. Am I making sense?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Like I can get how that might have like some effects on like your mental state for sure, and like how you might get like a paradoxical like chemical release from that, but
some people are addicted to bad feelings is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not saying you are, but
yeah,
it definitely happens with some. I was going to say something else and I totally forgot. Come on, Adam, you got it.
No pressure. I don't know, like the fear-based thing of like trying to stimulate your productivity by impending doom is bad, and you don't like it. You would like a happiness-based solution.
Yeah. No, I can't remember what I was gonna say, but on that one,
You don't do that? You don't like set impending deadlines and then like feel like shit if you don't meet them?
Sometimes, yeah. I'm sure I do. Sometimes with like doing certain videos that I know have to get done.
Yeah.
But like I really don't want to do it, but it has to get done. I will wait until the very last minute, and it's not because I want to wait until the very last minute. It's because I just fucked up.
Yeah, it's like weird because it's like in university, for example, I knew if I didn't prepare for an exam, the outcome would be failing an exam, failing a course, which I've spent like 6 months on or whatever, but I don't remember what the length of a semester is, 3 months, whatever it was. And, you know, you fuck up like a big span of time dedicated to this one moment that you could have prepared for if you weren't procrastinating. And then I'll like hyper exaggerate prepare in a disproportional way, you know, a few days before. Everyone does that. They cram for tests and they learn a fuck ton of stuff in like a short period of time. Whereas the ideal way would have been, you know, just like administering your test a little bit at a time rather than shoving a fuck ton into your brain at the same time.
Administering your test.
Yeah. So that's how I relate all shit to steroids. So that is like trying to impose that on yourself when you're doing a business that doesn't have any kind of like punishment because you're the boss. It's kind of hard. You know, because it's like it's all you do is have you feel bad to yourself, but there's no actual like implications. Like you don't fail an exam because you didn't get a video done in time. You know, like maybe you get less ad revenue or less, you know, subscribers or less, you know, I don't know, like whatever. But it's not like there's an actual very significant impending punishment for not meeting your deadline.
But it's enough to pressure you to meet the deadline.
For some stuff, like I still hit my like video requirements usually, like almost without fail. But at the same time, the basic shit of like getting to sleep I know it would probably equate to better productivity if I had, because you get higher quality sleep when you go to bed when it's dark out.
Right.
Versus like I've even seen on my Oura Ring, the thing that tracks your sleep metrics, I have better REM and deep sleep when I go to bed at like 10 p.m. and wake up at 6 a.m.
So accepting it is off the table. You're not going to accept it.
No.
You're not just going to like roll with it and be like, this is how it is.
No.
I'm going to just, you know, be happy about it.
No.
You can't accept it. You got to change it. You can't change it.
I can. I should be able to. I don't know if this is me saying I can't do it though, because then I'm accepting that that's the outcome that I'm just doing. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, man. Something like that's my hang up as far as like,
I think you should take a psychedelic and meditate on it, and then you'll get your answer.
So like, what would happen? I just like, I realize, I like see it from like a bird's eye view, and I'm like, huh, like I think I'm fucking up. I am fucking up. I'm okay with it, or like it somehow helps me conceive how to like just follow my schedule better. Like,
imagine this: people are taking psychedelics because they got, you know, terminal cancer. They're trying to get a new acceptance of death. Derek's going into it from like, how do I fix my sleep schedule? Yeah. Great reason to take psychedelics.
Yeah.
But sorry, say again. Ask the question again.
So like, if I did it and I get like a bird's eye view of like my situation and get like a new perspective on it, what's the outcome? It's just like I feel content and not mad at myself anymore for not fixing it.
There's essentially 3 outcomes that happen. Number 1, nothing changes.
Yeah.
And you have a trip completely unrelated to what your intended purposes are, and you're like, wow, that's fucked. Number 2.
Doesn't sound ideal.
No. Number 2, you get the answer that you're looking for, whatever it is. Like you realize that there's, you know, the thing. I don't want to make it sound like there's some secret that you don't know, but you realize the biggest driving factor and why you can't change it. And you're able to make that change because now you understand it.
Yeah.
And then the third thing that can happen is, I mean, there's more than 3, but I think these are the 3 biggest things that happen. Is you get your answer again, and then you're still in the exact same boat and you can't fucking change it.
But you feel better about it after?
You might feel worse. Because you're like, now I went through this huge trip.
Yeah.
Hell, I learned what I need to change and I still can't do it. Now you're even madder at yourself.
Yeah. You know, it's such a basic thing to fix too. Like just go to bed fucking earlier, but I don't know. It just always
stop taking Kratom, Adam.
Yeah, exactly.
Just deal with a few days of feeling like shit, and you'll be good.
Like I've done a thing before where it's like trying to roll it back is a lot more difficult than rolling it forward, where I stay up even longer and fuck it up to like such a bad extent that I eventually end up on the next day.
Yeah.
So I like, instead of going to bed at like 5 a.m., I go to bed at like 8, and I basically stay up until I can no longer function. Go to sleep 8 hours, and then I'm 3 hours ahead. Then I do the same thing the next night, stay up until like 11 a.m., go to bed then, and keep doing it until I'm at like 10 p.m.
But here's the thing. You can do all these tactics. You could come up with like even like a reward schedule where you reward yourself for doing it. But ultimately, the need that it's filling, that you explained, where you're less distracted, you don't feel like you're missing out on anything, you're able to really just dial in your focus. I think what you have to do is you're looking at it wrong. I think you got to convert that to, so how do I get all of the benefits, reap all the rewards that I get from working at night in the day?
Right.
And until you can do that in the day, you're not going to change it because the night's too beneficial for you.
So the first thing I do is black out my office.
Yeah.
Put my phone on airplane mode and leave it across my place on the other side of it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, just replicate nighttime environment as much as I can, and just like that seems like the only logic.
I think logically, if you can't change it, it's because the night is just, there's too many benefits in doing it, and you can't replicate it, or you haven't tried to replicate it in the day.
The only hang up I have on that though is knowing when my stuff is on airplane mode, the overwhelming amount of stuff that's going to pour in when I turn it back on. And it almost like makes you get a bit of anxiety of all the extra work that's going to all of a sudden flood you in one spurt once you go back and look at it.
So explain to me a normal situation then. Like normally at night.
It's like self-regulating because I can get them as they come in, and then I decide if it's important enough to address now or leave it. And like sometimes there are like fires to put out, but usually I get to them at like the tail end of the business day of Gorilla Mind or, the HRT clinic or whatever. And then it can like roll into the next day where I'm sort of not getting in back and forth with people that take hours.
Yeah.
Because text threads, and this is like something I've always, again, you've seen like my love for voice notes.
Yeah.
It's like, even though I do them, I often forget even to like just call somebody and like get something done in 5 minutes. You end up texting back and forth for like an hour.
Oh yeah.
And then you realize you burned like, you only have so many productive hours too. Like you're up for 16, but you maybe have like 8 like really good hours.
If you're lucky, man.
Yeah, that would be like a good day.
Yeah.
So like of those hours, if you burn them up doing like frivolous like texting, it's fucking critical. It can like ruin your whole day, and like you don't even, all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, like and then you're hard on yourself for like even not thinking of putting the phone aside or something. So I don't know, like some of this stuff sounds so basic. Like how would you fix it? Oh, like put your phone on airplane mode, and then just like when it comes up.
No, but you make sense. Then it all piles up, and then you're stressed because you're thinking in your head it's all going to pile up, and then you have a new anxiety to deal with.
Yeah.
Like there's a solution, but maybe it's just sometimes like when we fall back on these patterns that we want to change but we feel like we can't, it's because the solution is just so out of our comfort zone that it feels like it's just easier to stay in our current discomfort than experience even more discomfort, which the unknown always seems more uncomfortable than like the devil versus the devil you don't.
Yeah.
So people don't want to make that change, and it's understandable. It's scary. It's like I find it interesting how when you're younger you're more likely to be able to make these dramatic changes in your. Have you noticed this? Or maybe I'm a bit older than you. I've noticed this.
Yeah, well, like
more.
your neuroplasticity becomes like less favorable the older you get, and the less likely you are to make significant changes.
You
in
get
your
so much better. Like the groove in your routines gets deeper.
Yeah.
As you get older.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that could start coming into play too soon for you, where it's like now you've built this routine, it's going to get harder and harder to change it. Yeah. We've got a conundrum here.
Yeah.
How do we fix this? I love it. Like as men, we're always trying to fix things.
Yeah.
Find something broken, make something broken just for an excuse to fix it.
Yeah, the airplane mode thing isn't a bad idea if it wasn't for the piling up of shit.
Then you need to alleviate the pile via, I don't know, handing it off to someone
That's
who
the
has
thing.
a smaller pile.
Yeah, like I can outsource a lot of my stuff, but when it comes to like, I don't know, like athletes messaging me something, or like I guess some of the stuff I can get team members to help me out with, but I don't know, like sometimes stuff has to be dealt with by me, and it's just,
Of course.
I don't know, man. Like at the end of the day, it's the same amount of working hours in a day, so hypothetically, it should all net out to the same thing if I was being as productive. So
yeah, even if you put all of your text replies into like say every 2 hours every day,
Yeah.
you spend just doing that.
Yeah.
It's gonna net the same. Well, no, that's kind of flawed logic. If you're, giving it a set time, then it's gonna be less time no matter what, unless you like spill over. But
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also actually a benefit. If you put like a set amount of time to do it, then you know you have a time limit, and you're not going to allow so much time to be spent on these tasks.
Yeah.
That otherwise you'd spend, like you said, like an hour of one text conversation.
Yeah.
But, you know, real life doesn't always fit into these boxes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, real life is like too big for the box.
Yeah.
Different shape doesn't fit. But I think ultimately, when it comes to something like this, you just need to find a way to make it so that the daytime is maybe not as productive or as enticing as working at night, but at least it like comes up to like a somewhat equal level.
Yeah.
So it just makes it easier for you to make that jump.
I think
Right now the distance that you got to jump is too big.
Yeah.
You're looking at it and you're like, this is too far a leap.
Yeah.
You got to like shorten the distance. Make
It's
it
so
easier.
easy to fuck it up again though, and like drag it out. Because I could drag it back like an hour a day, and then it takes one day to screw it up by like 5 hours, and then you're like back at square one almost.
So that leads us to another point. If you're feeling, you know, would you say you're feeling overwhelmed with stuff like this?
Trying to fix it, yeah.
Yeah. That could be a sign of like some form of burnout. Like, do you feel like you might need a break soon?
I would love a break. That's sort of somewhat of the benefit of these podcasts, I feel like, too, because it gives me a chance to not, like, it's easier to have a conversation just here with you than it is to always, like, sit down in front of a thing, like, bang out, like, a new topic every, you know what I mean? So, like, hypothetically, tonight, I would have to go sit there and bang out 2 topics and get them up versus here, I'm just, like, talking with you and getting content done simultaneously. And I can get a lot of clips out of these too. So this helps me sort of avert the burnout. And that's sort of one of the benefits of doing podcasts, not only because people get to see deeper insight into stuff that I don't always talk about and the conversations with other people.
It's a deeper insight into your personality too.
Yeah.
Because it's a more relaxed form of communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the burnout thing, I don't really feel it yet, dude.
That's good.
Yeah, like I don't have any inkling of like, oh my God, like I can't sustain this. Like I think I can. I just need to be a bit more like dialed in. My issue is not even the schedule of the videos. It's more so everything else I'm doing with my other businesses. I want to be able to allocate more time to them and be on top of them.
Yeah.
And that is where I'm spread a bit thin. And I don't feel like I'm going to burn out though. I just feel like I definitely am hard on myself if I get to the end of the day and there's something that's been on my to-do list for 3 weeks.
Right.
Like for example, sometimes I'll have an email sitting there that's actually quite important. And before I know it, it's been a month since I've answered
I
it.
got those, man. I know what that's like.
Yeah, that kind of shit is like can eat at you because it's like, wow, like I can't even get this basic task done, like, you know, some little random banking document I have to go like get done or whatever. I have to go to like I have to go cash a check or like send a wire transfer.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. It's like, wow, this fucking check's almost expired. It's been sitting here for so long. Like that kind of stuff is like so tedious and small, but it's just
those
like
pile up, man.
Yeah.
And that gets stressful. I know that stress.
Yeah.
The only red flag that I'm hearing with like some of the stuff you're saying, I'm not actively trying to dissect it necessarily, but like you say some things that like I get like a ding in my head and I'm like, that sounds a little concerning. Like the way that you, and this could just be how you're framing it in conversation. I'm not saying you feel this way, but the way you frame stuff, like when you frame to me, these videos give me a break. Like this is what this is. This gives me a break. It's like if it's something, and there's always aspects of everything that you're going to do that you don't like. But if you're really enjoying it, you're not really looking for the breaks. Like maybe there's a lot of aspects of what you're doing that you're not in. Like I'm not saying you're definitely enjoying some of it.
Yeah.
And you can't expect to enjoy all of it, but you want to, in the perfect world, we don't live in one.
Yeah.
You want to be, I have so many like caveats to this, but like in a perfect world, you want to be enjoying what you're doing more than not enjoying it.
It's like I already know your caveats too without even having to tell me. Because it's
funny.
like we talked about this last time too. Like the stuff you do that you don't want to do because it helps leverage the catapult the stuff you do want to do to perform better.
Yeah.
And even though you don't like doing it, it's part of the shitty part of the job potentially. Because most people, they hate their entire job.
Yeah.
Whereas us, we enjoy a lot of it. And then there's some shitty parts that help propel the other stuff. You know what I mean?
So when the burnout hits its peak is when there's so much shit going on that you don't want to do.
So when did you burn out, or did you?
Oh, I burned out for sure.
And what like volume were you doing at the time?
But what happened to me in the burnout is I started to leverage compounds to help me get work done.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it actually works for a little while.
Yeah.
You get super productive, but then you burn out even harder from the compounds. It's like you mentally and physically. And I would go through periods where I'd be up like days in a row sometimes.
Wow.
Days in a row without sleeping because I was using the drugs that keep you awake.
Even if I use heavy stimulants, I can't stay awake for more than like 20. I can stay awake for more than 24 hours, but it's like my mindset is so fried that I know it's not productive enough to stay awake. So I just like force myself to go to sleep.
See, that's healthy. I was very unhealthy.
Because it was just like, it would get to the point where I knew, I used to try and do that actually when I first started working online. I thought once a week I'd pull a 24-hour all-nighter and I would get more work done. It was sort of like, Gary Vee does not promote this necessarily, but he gives the impression of like, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or at least he used to. And that's sort of what I thought the first couple of years I was working. I was like, once a week I can handle a 24-hour like all-nighter and just like crank out extra work. And then I started to realize the net output I was doing was actually like less, even though I was up for longer because it was like such low quality shit.
Right.
So, you know, for me though, like once I hit that point where I'm like, okay, I'm useless, I'm like able to wrap it up. But
that's good.
Unfortunately, that usually happens at like 5 or 6 a.m.
But like I said, it's working for you in some regard.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, the burnout was.
I don't even know
drugs.
how you have a family and balance this shit, dude. Like
I
have no responsibilities to anyone except myself and, you know, my immediate family if they need me, and friends if they really need me. But I don't have a wife or kids or anything. Like it's the fact that you can sustain even like what you're doing with all of that and like not be overwhelmed. Like that's impressive to me. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Psychedelics.
Yeah.
No, not really. But
yeah. But like, yeah, the burnout thing. I don't know, like I've never had it, but I think I have a lot less on my plate. Maybe in a business sense, maybe I have more on my plate, but overall from life perspective, you definitely have more.
Yeah.
So
do you think that's why you haven't burned out yet?
Yeah. If I had one kid, even a dog, I'd be fucked. If I had a dog, I'd be fucked.
Dude, dogs can be harder than kids sometimes. Take it from me. They can be. When we first got the dog as a puppy, we already had one of our kids.
Yeah.
And we were like, this is worse than a second kid. In the beginning, they need so much.
Like I've seen even like, for example, my mindset on like there's nothing wrong with dogs or kids, but like when you're grinding and trying to maximize your time and return on investment for your time, like when I see my athletes, for example, that we sponsor and they just like get a dog, I'm just like, all I can think is like, damn, dude, like that's a lot of time you just ate up.
Yeah.
And like maybe you can implement it into your content or whatever, but like you're going to take that guy to the vet. You're going to have to take him for walks. You're not going to film it every time. You have to deal with it shitting. You have to deal with everything. Like you just cut off like 1/4 of your productive hours.
But do you see like how your mind works though?
Yeah.
You're instantly thinking in terms of productivity.
Yeah.
People get dogs for the enjoyment.
I think of the ROI on time from pets in like a business aspect, which is like kind of fucked up.
So I went through this stage too. I'm not in it now, thankfully. I didn't like it. Maybe you like it, where you convert absolutely everything to like business numbers. And yeah.
Dude, even returning like recycled cans to the depot, I'm like, do I lose money going to the depot to return these cans? Because the time invested that I went to go return them, I could have made a video.
Yeah, you could have made money.
Exactly.
I think this is a horrible way to start thinking.
Yeah, but that's like sort of how I like quantify things sometimes.
But life doesn't work that way.
No, but then like
play into the enjoyment.
My work-life balance, from a friends and family perspective, is much better, and I definitely satisfy my need in those regards. But when it comes to like, I don't need a pet, and I don't really want one. But like stuff like that is like extras, I feel like.
How long have you been successful on YouTube?
I don't know, like 2 years maybe.
Has it been 2 years of like steady where like you've been at the same pace of
my growth
content?
Exponentially increased last October. So maybe like less than a year of like this trajectory.
Okay.
So like, okay, my like hyper aggressive posting schedule started like last October where I was like, I need to be up to 2 videos a day. So it was like, I almost hit like unsustainable trajectory at like October, I feel like.
Okay.
And it's not unsustainable. I'm sustaining it, but it's like to many people, this would be fucking impossible with anything else on their plate.
But what I like, the biggest red flag for me when I hear you talking is just the lack of enjoyment. Like if you're keeping up this schedule, I feel, and I could just be biased because I felt this way myself with posting videos. And again, I'm balancing so much more stuff.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like you will hit a point where you're not going to have any fun making videos. And like, if you're not doing this if this isn't something that you have passion for, why are you doing it? And like, when you keep that schedule, the passion is the first thing to drain out of it.
I definitely do. Let's not derail it too much in that I definitely do enjoy it, but there are definitely the volume whilst balancing everything else can be a bit much for sure.
Like, what about your personal life?
Personal life is good.
Okay.
Maybe I would, but I would like, to potentially go out, do nothing another day a week. I do 1 day a week right now where I basically do fuck all.
Nice.
But again, the average person still has like 5 work days a week and then 2 days off. And my flexible schedule, really allows me to just take whatever day I want off if I wanted to.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm very, very, like disadvantaged in that regard. Like I'm sure I follow a similar amount of time off. Well, maybe not a similar amount of time off as a normal person, but I take like 1 full day off a week, and then I'll still like be able to see my girl like once a week on top of that full day off a week, but not for like a full day necessarily, maybe like a night and like into the morning or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, family still, fits in there. It's not all the fucking time, but
it's so fresh though. There's a very real chance that you're still running on the high.
100%. Yeah. The trajectory is not really, it's cooled off a little bit, but it's not enough that it's like my foot's on the gas, like full throttle.
Yeah.
Still.
Like, what happens when the high dies?
I don't know. I guess I'll find out.
That's what I'm concerned about when I look at you. Like, I'm just like, from like a business standpoint, I'm like so impressed. Like, you're doing so fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it is. I've never performed to that level, so to me, it's like you're an alien. But it's pretty cool. It's cool to see someone succeed who just did it based off grind alone. Like, you had a channel that basically was just whatever.
Yeah.
And then like you grinded and grinded and grinded, and like you built it up just through like sheer willpower, which is so respectful. Like, not many people can do that. A lot of people on YouTube, what happens is they like hit some artificial spike where they happen to like talk about the right topic at the right time, and it was almost like a fluke, or they followed some viral video.
Or they have like a big falling out and it turns into like a back and forth, like conflict that like hits trending or something.
Right. Like, there's something that just gave them this, they had nothing and then they just spiked.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this slow build. And I'm not saying that you didn't spike, but it was based off, like you said, doing like 500 videos and just getting really good at talking and, constantly working at your craft and keeping yourself educated and learning. Like, that is amazing.
Guess how many videos I have now?
I don't know. 1,000.
I actually don't even know about the check. 1,087.
Pretty good.
That's a fuckload. That's a lot, dude. Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. So when I look at you, like you've done amazing, but I'm just thinking, when this high dies, maybe like part of the reason why you haven't burned out yet is because, like you said before, you're still getting rewarded for all this output.
Yeah.
And you're still like you keep getting new highs.
Yeah.
But like that high, like you talked about the hedonic treadmill before.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to scare you by saying this.
Yeah.
More like, I don't know. I don't want to see you burn out.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to like, I would like to find a way, and we're actively doing it with my companies, to outsource as much of the stuff as possible. So like dealing with a lot of the manufacturing. I used to be the only guy doing it, doing stuff like label review, FDA compliance, that kind of stuff. We're like dealing with getting high quality people covering it, and like I'm slowly like piecing out stuff. But the thing that never gets pieced out is me filming, which I can sustain that, but then anything above and beyond that is like very spread thin. So I'm trying to like, maybe I do need to go back to like in the future 1 video a day if I don't think I can hold this up.
But do you think that you're gonna like, how long do you really think your lifespan is gonna be making videos? Like, is this something that you want to keep doing in the foreseeable future?
Yeah,
it is.
I enjoy doing it, dude. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, this is like, it may come across as like we're just trying to like dissect my mindset here, I guess, more than anything. But I do enjoy what I'm doing, and I don't feel like my input for like the amount I'm filming is like disproportionately impossible to maintain, where it's like hurting my quality of life that significantly.
But I'm not asking that. Like, I'm asking, like, do you enjoy what you're doing? Yeah, but this is like what you see yourself doing for years and years and years.
Well, I guess it depends, like what happens with social media platforms, but like in general, I see myself producing content that's centered around pharmacology, endocrinology for like ever. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, like that's like mainly what I'm passionate about, and like I don't think I'll ever not do that.
Cool.
Yeah, unless like there's like drastic change in like how social media works, and I don't know if everything turns to fucking AI and like virtual reality. Like, I don't know, maybe people won't even care about their health anymore. They'll just be like strapped to a machine that like pumps their heart for them and shit, and like they just do VR all day. Like, I don't know.
Maybe, but if you got that passion for it, then there's a chance that you won't hit the burnout, or you'll just hit like a little break period.
No, yeah.
Then you'll go back, and then you'll hit a break period, outsource new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, like even you with your health and like getting your stuff checked and having such like difficulty arranging for something as basic as checking your health markers, like that's what drives even some of the shit I don't necessarily want to do every day. Is I think about like how much I fucking hate how the system works right now and how much I want to change it, and this is how I like leverage my platform to like help my clinic expand and be able to like fix stuff like this. So like there's definitely a driving force behind it that's above and beyond just like, do you like filming videos a lot?
Right.
You know?
There's a helping people aspect, changing stuff that sucks.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat. That's why I wanted to talk about drugs.
Yeah.
Shine like a light on it that wasn't so stereotypical.
Yeah. So like I'm very at the end of the day, everything is like underpinned by, I don't know if that's a word to say it, but
it is
underpinned by my passion for like, I sort of just like want to change like the medical system, to be honest, like that, especially in Canada too. I would love to see like some of my like US is becoming more progressive in many aspects, but there's still a lot of bullshit going on. And like, I want to be able to bring that to as global of a population as possible and like help people proactively, you know, stay as healthy as possible and optimize their lives. So like when I get like so frustrated when I hear of like your inability to get what you need, just like talking to stupid doctors who are like arguing with you about like trying to
making me feel dumb.
Yeah, like you're literally trying to pay for it yourself. Like you're not even allowed to without their like permission. Like how baffling is that? At least in the States you can like pay for whatever you want without a guy like shitting on you for it.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah, like here
it's egos, man.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. It's
like you're literally like asking your dad, like, can I please go to the store and like buy this thing? It's like, no,
Dad, I have a really bad headache. I just want an Advil. No, you can't have it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous, dude.
I don't understand. But I think because you've got this underpinned passion that on the burnout thing, just to like close this one up, there's like I think a lot of people burn out on YouTube when they're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I feel like when they're just trying to be primarily entertainment based and they have no substance to what they're doing, then it's more likely to occur.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are just like, oh, like what's a fucking like challenge that's viral I can do with like my fake girlfriend, you know, or like my family that I like made a family channel for that's like not even fucking like real in some cases.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. I imagine burnout is very real, but for somebody who's like driven by something above and beyond like the actual numbers and is like these numbers equate to people helped. And also, you know, monetary incentive on my part too to like build a high quality life.
Yeah.
That kind of shit is like.
But that's the people you're talking about. That's their only incentive is the monetary incentive.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like no real passion for what they're doing above and beyond that. So.
Well, I mean, like, you know, the fame and the influence, but I think it all ties into the monetary.
Yeah.
Thing ultimately. Yeah. Which I think is a lot of people who do YouTube. Like how many
rich people do you see who do YouTube just for fame because they've already gotten rich and now they're like, I don't have the fame of like YouTubers too. I think there's definitely like a huge aspect of that.
There is, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Like I've seen people who have like objectively all of the wealth they could ever need. They have like massive car collections, huge mansions, and then they're like, I have to build a good YouTube channel now. And then all of a sudden they're like putting out daily content and like trying to build their like fame because it's like the one, you know, social.
Like actors do that, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of that shit. And it's like you don't even know if they enjoy doing it or if they're just doing it because they just want to stay relevant.
Yeah, maybe.
You know,
it's a weird world we live in.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Like I don't like. Obviously, you've been around for a while, but it's like crazy that, like you said in the last podcast, that a channel about like your stuff made it to like it's like pretty fucking big, like 2.2 million subscribers or whatever. Like
for the content that it's about, yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So it's like that's cool, you know, like. Being able to bring that kind of knowledge to the masses.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm happy that somebody is doing that type of stuff. I started making videos, and I've talked about this a lot before, to not be a broken record, because lots of reasons, but one of the big ones was I wanted to influence and inspire other people to share their story, because if more people talk about, say, some of the benefits and negative effects, if people just openly discuss positive, negatives, everything about substances and kind of like bring it into the forefront of the conversation instead of keeping it behind closed doors, it's going to literally do that. It's going to open up those doors and it's going to bring forth the healing potential above all else, because how are you going to access the healing potential when it's shrouded in all of this danger potential that is sometimes justified, and because it's so shrouded in danger, people can't see how it can be healing, and they just, for that same reason, they don't know how to use it in a healing way, so it becomes even more dangerous. And it's like, I realize that the more people who talk about their experiences, the more normalized it becomes, and the more normalized it becomes, the more people who can be helped by it. So it's like, that was me. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to show and part of what I wanted to do personally that I failed miserably at is I wanted to show people what it looks like to be a healthy and, you know, by societal standards, successful person who also has these experiences and who can learn and grow from them.
Right.
So I kind of wish I was more in the healthy realm because I sometimes fail at that. But at least like physically, I look healthy.
No, I think you're doing a pretty fucking good job.
I'm doing my best. It kind of transitioned from like me, like what I wanted it to be, to like more what it authentically is. And there's also some, I think, harm reduction and help in showing authentically what it's like, because I think it's also healthy to show people that we're all fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. Like even me talking about like my sleep hygiene, it does not reflect what I advocate on my channel. It doesn't necessarily like help my image to be like, look how like fucked up my sleep schedule is, when I would suggest something totally contradictory to it.
Yeah.
Just like you, it doesn't help to talk about how, you know, you aren't necessarily like you're fucking healthy, to be honest, by like all standards. Like you have a pretty good diet, you know, you exercise, blah, blah, blah. You have low T, you know, you take Kratom, but so like it's not like you're the epitome of perfectness, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. You said it better.
Yeah. So like even for me, because people think, you know, if I say something, I'm just like, you know, fucking gospel sometimes, and like even I can't maintain like perfect rigidity in like everything I'm doing.
I think that's huge just in its own right, because people have these unrealistic standards in like all aspects of life that is pushed by the same platform that we're on.
Yeah.
And like often it's like in an indirect way, but it's definitely pushed. And I think it's part of the reason why we're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah. Circling back to the burnout conversation. So I'm interested, like for you, you've mentioned you've experienced it already before. You've kind of like, you've been around longer than I have.
Kids and stuff, so it's different for me, but yeah.
Yeah. But you sort of have like a more realistic grasp on probably what is sustainable for you and like where you're at with things. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, do you have like I asked this to Greg on our podcast. I was really interested to hear what his reply was. I'm kind of interested to hear yours. Like, what are your long-term, like, your goals for your platform, and like, what are you trying to do above and beyond? If or is it just you're happy with what you're doing? You want to continue doing that, or where do you see yourself?
I absolutely despise this question.
Really?
Thanks, Derek.
I don't know.
I hate this question.
Why?
I don't necessarily have an answer.
Well, that's fine though.
Like I gotta like really like think on it.
Okay, what are your goals for your platform? Or like, do you have any goal, or are you just like trying to figure it out still? Like, obviously, it's fine to not. I'm still
trying to figure it out, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I feel like I should have.
Like, obviously, what you're doing is working, so it's not like it's bad. I feel like maybe you're putting on a pedestal like what your answer needs to be, rather than like it could be exactly.
No, I really don't know.
Okay.
Like no bullshit. I don't know.
Okay. Didn't know you hated that question so much.
No, it's okay. I'm not mad that you asked it. I don't know how to answer it.
Okay.
Because like I think in my head, first my thoughts go to, am I enjoying what I'm doing now? And I would say yes, to an extent. Is there a lot that I want to change from what I'm doing now? Yes, definitely.
Like what?
Just the stupid editor thing. I'm a broken record, and I haven't just like.
Can you believe Adam has not got an editor this whole time? Like the guy is like the most massive drug-related content channel on the internet, and he's been doing it himself for years. I was like fucking baffled. Like I have 3 editors, and he's been doing it all himself. Just absolutely crazy. So like I can just imagine like untapped potential, obviously, first of all, which again, like I guess from an optimistic aspect shows like how much more you can do, and then like from there.
But what is more? This is the problem with tripping and shit. Because like, what does more equate to? What do I get more of? I get more money.
More education in mass, which
that's attractive.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you also think quite often. I feel like that when you repeat a topic that everyone has seen it, when you have a lot of new people to your channel who have never seen some of your introductory stuff,
I believe you that you can repeat yourself and you can say the same thing, even in a different like format. Like same thing. It's not like I'm saying the exact same word for word thing, maybe in a slightly different context, and it can be beneficial. I believe you. I just haven't implemented it yet. Just like the editor thing. I'm very stubborn.
Yeah. I definitely, I think I'm definitely helping you try to wrap your head around the idea of not having your hands on everything specifically. Like in regards to the editing and the production quality and all that kind of stuff.
The weird thing is you would think that I actually don't, like, I had a bunch of people apply to be an editor, and I sent them all footage to try editing, and like I've had people like, you know, randomly edit things before, not like a full-time editor, but I have, and it doesn't, unless it's like something private. Obviously some of the videos I do, like I might be naked in a scene, and it's like I don't want people, that's just too private, so unless it's something private like that, I don't really have a problem with people editing the videos. It just comes down to like I put too much pressure on myself to find the right person. And like I look at the time investment of doing all of that, and it gets overwhelming. I think it's because of having so much going on with family and everything. I just I get overwhelmed too easily.
And I guess your goals obviously are not all going to be like business oriented too. Like you have a family, so obviously it's stuff with that. Just like, you know, raising your kids well.
You don't, like, people don't understand sometimes how
like
much
my brain
takes.
is not even like from the same context of that question. Like at first all I'm thinking of is like, where do you see your business? Not like what's your family life look like at the same time? Like what are you trying to, you know what I mean?
Dude, here's the problem with my life too. Not to get too personal, but as soon as I start putting, like, I showed you that the past 2 months I did like 5 videos a month. Yeah. Which for me, come on, from 2 videos a month to 5.
No, over doubled.
Double. Yeah. For me, that's huge.
Yeah.
And this month I put out 1, and it was a shitty one. And because, you know, I moved and all kinds of stuff, like there's legitimate reasons why.
You put out 2 in this month.
Did I put out 2?
Reacting to the famous acid simulation.
That was this month? That was last month. I'm positive.
Oh, June 30th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, see, this month I think there's been 1. I was going somewhere with that and I forgot. Oh, not to get too personal. Right. So on that same thing, it's like I'm very proud of myself, and I really enjoyed putting out those 5. And I can see how having an editor could make it so I could put out like 10. But as soon as I put all that focus on working to do that 5, a bunch of stuff in my family started to deteriorate. So it's like the balancing act.
You don't think that the editing would equate to the exact amount of time it takes to film, though?
You know what?
Like, I don't know how long editing takes because I don't do it.
Editing takes too long.
So yeah, wouldn't it be faster to film twice as much and not
edit?
edit?
Wouldn't deteriorate as a result. Like yeah, that is really the answer.
And like hypothetically, you could do like 7 videos.
So you have the issue with the sleep.
Yeah.
Where like you know that you would be happier ultimately and healthier feeling and less mad at yourself. For me, it's like I've got the sticking point of just like pulling the trigger and hiring somebody. And it's not to do with the money of paying them. See, for you, you know, I don't actually really know why I haven't just hired somebody. I know that I don't want to sit down and deal with like the
you
process.
Worrying about disappointing the editor was like wild to me to hear.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Like you're paying them regardless if they're working or not. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Like after we get off this, I can literally help you pick if you want.
Help me pick what?
I don't know, your editor, and see what kind of like applicants you have, and like help you.
You
just
mean
like
from the ones I sent the test footage to?
I don't know, just like see what's going on. Like
another huge thing is like, I can't pay them like top dollar.
You probably can, and you think you can't.
Really?
I think you could.
Okay.
Yeah, like I kind of get a gauge of like where you're at with things, and I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I feel like you're overestimating like the cost of a guy who's editing 5 videos or 10 videos. That might not even be 40 hours a week. You're right. You're not doing. One of my editors could probably handle 1 video a day for me, and that's 30 a month. Yeah, the fact that I have 3 is because we post on every platform, so they have to repurpose it for Instagram, for TikTok. That's rendering a new video with a new format, with a new dimensions, a different thumbnail for each one, all that kind of shit. And I have 3 guys who do 60 a month. So if you were just doing 10, that's like 1/6 of that. You could easily get that done with 1 guy who's not working like that hard.
Okay. So would I even need a full-time dude? Here's my question. Could I start someone off at 3 days a week to see if I like how they're going? Or would it be more advantageous just to do full-time from the get-go?
I would just say, like, this is what you need to get done by this time, and like whatever hours they need to work to do it, as long as it gets done by the deadline, you just have like an allocated, salary for that week. Like however fast or slow they work, I think you can kind of get a gauge for like how much more workload they can handle.
So would I pay them? I was thinking of paying on like as I don't know if you just said that, a salary basis, like so they get the same regardless.
Yeah, like
or is that wrong?
I like salary because it not only is a fixed amount that's not contingent upon like the guy worrying if he's going to have work or not.
Yeah,
because you could just fall off at any point, but it also motivates you to work because you're paying somebody.
Right.
So one of the things where I have like impending deadlines that motivate somebody to do something. If you're literally paying for something, you're more likely to follow through with it.
Right.
So if you know you're paying like hard-earned money to somebody to edit and you have no content to give them, you're like, wow, this guy's just like sitting there and he has a salary being paid and he doesn't have anything to do. And it makes you feel more compelled to film, I feel like.
You're right. But then my fear kicks in and I go like, but what if I feel more overwhelmed?
I guess it depends on like how like even if you could literally just do your 5 videos with the editor and then see how under or overwhelmed you feel.
Yeah, those 5 are pretty, that wasn't hard at all.
So I would imagine, if anything, you would be like, wow, I have more free time.
Like the actual filming of them was so easy. It was the editing of them that took so long.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you had a guy who just like went through like the special effects and like the pop zooms and the transitions and stuff.
Easy to do, man.
That kind of stuff. The only reason we've already talked about this, is my volume. It's not as important to me to prioritize that and like tell my editors like you should like make sure you do more of this or make sure you do more of that. But like if that stuff's even important to you,
it depends on the video.
There's tons of very capable guys who will do that.
Would you want to do more production value stuff? Like, do you see any like enjoyment in that?
Sometimes, like for example, like the thing I had in mind for the 1 million sub video that I mentioned in your kitchen, I would maybe want to do high production value, which I imagine could be like a multiple day editing job where it would all of a sudden eat into my current schedule. Mm-hmm. But those are like special occasions. Other than that, like I would love to integrate more high production value, but then again, that requires a lot more oversight from me. And then does it actually yield a better outcome when I'm very information based, which is I think maybe where I don't know if you sell yourself short in that regard, but like you're largely an information-based channel rather than like you have the combo of high production value and information, whereas I'm like information, no production value necessarily, but it's like high enough quality that no one really cares.
Well, you are high enough quality that no one really cares.
But so are you.
Right.
So I guess it's just your personal opinion on. Well, I guess you asked me. Do I want to turn this on you?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Do I want to do more high production value stuff? If I could integrate it.
Do you not like talking about yourself, Derek?
No. Huh? I don't even know how I like flipped that on you. But anyway.
Do you not like it?
No, I do. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So, if I could make everything like elevate in production value and it would not eat into my volume, I would love to.
There you are, back on the volume though. I mean, would you get enjoyment out of it? Fuck the volume. Like all of those aspects.
I don't actually do the editing, so I can't say I would enjoy it, but I do.
No. You would have to change things though. Like you'd have to have a plan. Sometimes you'd have to have like intro slides. You might have to have like, planned sections. Some of it might be scripted. Like the actual putting together of the video would take more time.
I feel like that would overwhelm me.
Overwhelm you?
Yeah. Because I need to just sit down and like talk about what I know. I can't like sit there and.
But that's what you're comfortable with. And you don't want to pigeonhole yourself like that, man.
Right. Yeah, I've done a few videos where I've like planned out like
it could be fun.
I have one video which was like
remember fun?
Yeah. I have one video where it was like I had a bunch of chicks like pretend they hated this super expensive cologne I was wearing.
Yeah.
And it was like I was on campus and just had like a bunch of girls, telling me this cologne sucked and I spent like $600 on it. I was annoyed. And then I used the shitty cologne. Well, it's not shitty, but it's a cologne that everyone in like the fragrance community hates. And then this girl gave me like the best compliment ever about it. And it was like a skit. It's not even really important what the context was, but it was a skit with like not actors, but just girls I met that I like involved in the video. And I kind of like made it happen on the fly. And it was very time intensive. Like it was a full day of filming and then a decent amount of editing and like a lot of different, piecing it together kind of thing and adding special effects. And yeah, that was like a reward. I like the video, and it's very like a rewarding thing to see it like come to fruition.
Yeah.
The actual net outcome and the ROI on it, though, is not any better than me sitting here talking about information. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't take that much passion in like artistic elements as much as I do putting out high quality information. So for me,
But you would if it got more views.
yeah,
So that's fucked up.
maybe.
That's putting too much emphasis on the outcome when it should be about the journey, bro. It's about the act of creating it, having fun. Sometimes, maybe this is where we're different. Maybe
But I
this is
enjoy-
why I like the production value. I enjoy personally doing it. Like, it's fun. Even
We're
if
like-
it performs like shit, it's fun.
This is like contingent on the context of making it sound like I don't like talking about stuff sitting in front of a computer.
No, but I know you love that. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you don't.
Okay.
I'm not saying you. I know that's your thing. And
Yeah.
you have fun doing it. I am not. If I implied it, it was in error. I'm not trying to imply you don't like that.
Right.
I'm just saying there's another aspect that it's like if you were to disengage the need for it to perform just as good, because this is the issue I have, and I've been in the same. Still am sometimes. Definitely still am a lot of the time, where it's like you're constantly comparing your productivity to like the net outcome results, and you're like, okay, so if I just make this I actually do this. If I talk and I just make this very easy to do video, it's going to take me an hour to film, versus I do this video that's going to take me like maybe a day or two. This topic in particular will get more views. It's going to net a better outcome. Why am I going to put all this time into this other one that likely won't even get half as many? I mean, maybe if I'm lucky it does, but there's a good chance that it's going to perform terribly. Like, why? And it's like, the answer is just because it's the process and it's enjoying. You enjoy the process of doing it. And it's also just kind of fun sometimes to make these videos and like watch them back yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's, I don't know, it's a neat,
I definitely
maybe I like video making a little bit more.
I
It's just fun.
definitely have a lot of videos too from an information context standpoint that I know will suck in performance, but they're just so important to get out that I do them anyway. Like
Right.
I have, this would mean nothing to the most people watching, but I did a video on boldenone, which is like an anabolic steroid, and its implications on estrogen metabolism. And it was like a very important video because a lot of steroid users use this compound, have no idea how it works. It was like, I don't know, a 45-minute video with like elaborate scientific insight, a lot of research, a lot of digging into like obscure literature. That video, maybe since I posted it a year and a half ago or whatever, it's got 30, 40,000 views. I knew it would suck. I knew a very niche specific audience would appreciate it.
Yeah.
But like that content, I was like, I need to make this video. And like, I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Like that's rewarding to me. So like, I still do it. It's just like volume wise, it might seem like proportionally less so than before because I used to post one video every like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So now, relative terms, it's not as many like passion heavy videos, but they're definitely there still. Like even when I do my podcast with Leo and Steve,
Yeah.
we know a lot of our topics are not mass appealing. We talk about like the most obscure scientific shit that like some people out don't care about at all.
But again, the effort though is that's not high effort. Like it's yielding low rewards, but it's also low effort. I'm talking about doing high effort that might.
Our
yield-
effort is significant in how much we dig into papers and shit.
Oh, is it?
The amount of research we do just for the sake of like learning new things that is like honestly sometimes like relatively irrelevant to the grand scheme of like I could easily be like, you know what, I'm just gonna like rely on the education of everyone that works at my clinic. They're gonna be doing tons of research. Like I could just ride on what I know.
Yeah.
But I still go to my way to educate myself because I take pride in like knowing up to date information and like learning new things.
Right.
But I could definitely just ride with what I have and like get on just fine and probably crank another video a day, I bet, if I like stopped reading everything.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying specifically in those videos where it's like you're talking about stuff.
Artistic stuff.
I feel like we're talking about two different things
Yeah,
at the
for sure.
moment. Like I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
Anything about that.
I don't think we disagree like at all really on like what I'm necessarily doing, but we're trying to just like tease out different like elements of it in
We're
my
trying
mindset.
to tease it out. Exactly. I think this is fun.
Yeah.
This kind of picking apart style of stuff. I don't know. It brings new topics to the conversation. I'm not trying to like do anything,
No, of course not.
negative or
Yeah.
But all that I'm saying is like when you're doing these videos with Leo,
Yeah.
and what's the other dude's name?
Steve.
Yeah, Vigorous Steve.
Yeah.
Okay. You know that not a lot of people are going to view some of it, but it's not like you actually put a lot into making of that video. You just filmed the podcast. That's what I mean by like low effort.
Yeah.
All that it really required, like, yeah, you might have read research papers earlier, but the actual filming of it was just very easy. You guys filmed the podcast. So it's not that big of a loss if it doesn't perform well. Versus if you like were to put this elaborate video together and then it performed bad, it was this huge net loss of time and effort and energy, and maybe paying people to do it. So like, that's all that I'm arguing for. I'm saying like, you're looking at it from a solely, I don't want to put all that effort in because it's not going to give me big rewards. But I'm saying maybe it does.
Yeah.
Like those videos could blow up.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, some of the longevity of some of your like high production value stuff is like, it's obviously like cool to look back at too, like you said, for sure.
And some of them blow up. Like I have high production videos that millions and millions of views.
Yeah.
And do you think it would hit those view numbers if I didn't put all that time into it?
Yeah, probably not. Yeah. Like
and it actually gives you less work to do. Like I'm arguing in favor of doing this because I've had times when my channel was blowing up with like 3,000 or more new subs a day. Like I didn't just slowly.
Do you watch finance content at all?
No.
Okay, I was going to give a really good example of like a direct comparison here. There's this guy named Stephan. He actually used to have a Lotus Elise. Yeah, and he would
Love
have
that car.
He would have it in like the back of his videos. But that guy is like probably the premier finance related channel, I would say, in like good production value. Volume is like 3 videos a week, which is pretty fucking high considering he also posts like a podcast. He does other stuff on other channels. But he has friends. There's this guy named Meet Kevin who's like, he's like running for governor in California right now. And he's like the most high volume guy I've ever seen in my life on YouTube. He posts like 5 to 6 videos a day.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. He's just like, and he has a family. It's fucking insane. Like, I don't know how he does it, but he was blowing up to the point where, and finance content and like entrepreneurship content, because people run ads on it to their like, make money online courses. The CPM on those videos is so high that when he gets, for example, like, I don't know, like a good amount of views, it equates to like what for a normal YouTuber might be like 100K a month. For him is like $1 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was making like 1 million, 2 million, maybe even at a point at his peak, off just views, not his like sale of anything, affiliate stuff, not sponsored stuff, not anything. And he's also like in real estate and all this shit. But his like subscriber coming in relative to his views compared to Stephan, who does high production value.
Yeah.
It was like such a disparity between the two, where it would be like Graham still gets more subscribers per day than he does, even though he has like 4 times the views.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Graham like puts a fuck ton of time into like perfect everything.
Right.
So like there's definitely something to be said about what you're saying. Like you could definitely,
if you want subscribers, I guess, like if that's your goal.
I think it sort of is like a reflection of like how much people like want to see your content again.
Yeah.
They a new guy comes to your channel, he sees it, he either resonates with it and thinks it's good enough to sub or not. Like that's sort of a reflection of like the view to sub ratio. I feel like is a reflection of like what the general masses like view your content as.
Right.
Like I don't know any other way to quantify it other than like the ratio. Like granted, a lot of people who are like, there's definitely exceptions to that. Like, do you follow any of the fitness vlog guys?
Well,
like
the ratio also, the other way to quantify it is it gives you less work to do.
Yeah. Or arguably, yeah.
Arguably, yeah. But in some contexts, like I think it's arguably easier, especially if you're paying editors, to plan out a video and then film it and then have all these pieces and have your editor worry about, because the production value is made in the editing. Like it's a little bit in the filming, but most of it's in how it's put together. So then you send them off that video and then you have to film less. There's less time that you have to put into that. Because what I forgot to say was I would have these videos. I've occasionally put out these videos where it would be like for months, sometimes even years, it would be one video driving my whole channel. Yeah. I mean, like that video was responsible for the most subs every week or every month. The only 2 that I can think of offhand right now would be the LSD simulation one, which is hilarious because it's actually a repost. I took an old LSD video, deleted it, and re-edited it to add effects and reposted it. Yeah. And it blew up. Like that video was like every month you would be like, top video, that one. And then when that was the top video, I was getting like 2,000 to 3,000 subs a day, and the channel was blowing up. I don't think it makes as much money doing it this way.
Right.
Like you probably make more money. Like you still, you have these videos that are driving your income too.
Yeah.
But you make more money with the daily uploads. But this gives you the subscribers, which means if you wanted to do daily uploads at the same time, the subscribers are there to watch them. So like, see, they work in tandem.
Yeah.
So you get the subscribers through these big production videos. Then you could do the daily uploads, which would give you the monetary gain. But then these videos really drive all of the traffic to your channel. And a lot of channels actually have this formula that I've followed. There was another one, what DMT feels like. I think that was the first one that I had that blew up, where it was like, if that video were to have been like removed, my channel would just instantly like redline, because it's like this one video is just driving everything. And that's the power in these high production value videos. It can really like make or break a channel.
Right.
So there's some channel who their entire, like there's your style of video. You and Greg do this crazy, volume.
Yeah.
Then there's other channels like think of a Vsauce, where like he would make one good video maybe a month or every 2 weeks, and the channel blew up to like what was he at, over 10 million subscribers, no volume.
Yeah.
Do you think he's not making any money off that?
No, he's definitely making money. Yeah.
And then like you can make money in other ways besides just ads, as you know.
Yeah.
And if you're getting that many subscribers, I think it's more realistic that they're going to buy your products. Because that could be reference if they trust you more.
Right.
So there's a lot of channels that blow up just based off production value. So I think the best channel is a hybrid, where you have like, say you have like your primary focus is that one a month, like, you know, getting a script, get your editors to do it, but put like a solid, I don't know, week. That's all it really takes, is a week into making this one video a month. And then you get on this train or this trend where it's like, you know, that video is going to pull in like consistently at least 1 million views.
You know what's crazy though is channels like, have you ever heard of SS Sniper Wolf?
No, I haven't.
She has 28.4 million subscribers. She posts one video a day, and it's just reacting to stuff, and it's like consistently over 4 to 5 million views a day. She gets higher viewership than PewDiePie, and it's just literally just volume.
That's
Again,
insane. I'm going to keep my fart over here because that smells like sweet potatoes for some reason.
Great.
I apologize. How is she that high?
I don't know, man, but she has 28.4 million subscribers, but it's just like the content she puts out is like, it seems like brain dead content, frankly. It's like most oddly satisfying video to watch before sleep. And then it's just like a picture of her reacting to people like, I don't know, like feeling textured things and like cutting through fruits and shit.
It's my opinion that those people aren't going to last. Like, I feel like there's a deadline.
I feel like that would be a burnout type of channel.
If burnout's the word, yeah. They have like an expiry date.
Yeah.
Like there's actual examples. What was that one, Graveyard Girl? Do you know who she is? I think I don't know if she pioneered, but she really popularized. I could be wrong. I don't watch her.
Right.
But I think from my limited knowledge was, you know, the unboxing stuff.
Yeah.
Like she did so many unboxing
her
videos.
videos really don't do well for subscribership now.
But she was like huge. And then I think what happened was she lost the passion. And then it was just her constantly, what more stuff can I open up? And everyone like kind of sensed it.
Right.
And then like, is she still making videos?
Yeah, like 11 hours ago, 29K views. 3 days ago, 74K. A week ago, 56K. But she has 8.21 million subscribers.
How bad would that feel to go from like millions of video to that?
That's like the one thing about YouTube that's sort of good in that, I think we might have already discussed this, but like it will, however good your content is, even if you're like a low subscriber channel, you can still get pushed hard. Versus if you're 8.2 but you pump out like bullshit, you'll get shit views.
Well, you know that's because her own subs aren't watching them.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's just crazy
happening.
how many people could have this in their subscription section and like not watch it.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Like 8.2 million people get this in their subs and only 50,000 of them watched.
But that's also a good example of how YouTube works. It's not notifying them all for sure.
Yeah, it's weird how it like picks and chooses.
Yeah.
Like I don't know like when mine does versus doesn't or whatever. And like sometimes I'll see it like even from people I sub to, I'll like see a video later and I'm like what the fuck?
I don't get it.
Like, you know, it'll be like, how did I not notice this? I definitely would have watched this if I saw it come up at the time. I don't know.
On the like to end the production conversation, I think I'm so like heavy on it is because like it can help with burnout, so you don't reach it because you work less, and it's a new kind of video which could be exciting. And I don't know, I think it would be cool to see you do some high production stuff.
I don't even know like how to like what I would do though is the thing. Like there's one guy, his name is well, I doubt you've seen it. If you haven't, you don't really know who I'm talking about when I say this stuff. You can come like look at it. Here, just stand up and come over here for a sec. It's this guy, Noel Diesel.
I noticed Greg did a video on him.
Yeah, so
I have no idea who he is.
So I'm about to show you his stats, and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck?" Like you're about to shit yourself. If you already weren't close by all the farting.
I don't know what I ate, but something.
The protein bars with the artificial sweeteners. Okay, so he started posting, like, he has 46 uploads.
Yeah.
Look at his subs per day.
46 uploads?
Yeah.
That's it?
Look at his subs per day.
Holy shit, I've never seen numbers like that.
I know, right?
Okay. In a day?
Averaging almost 2 million views. Now, his production value is extremely high, but he does shorts, which are like
Let's see one.
YouTube's version of like a TikTok kind of thing.
You're like a good one.
It's so easy for us to blame our past for our lack of success. If only I grew up rich. If only my father was present. I wish I had the opportunities others had. Life doesn't always go to plan. How you deal with your situation determines your success. Are you going to allow your situation to beat you down on your ass? Or will you rise above it? It comes down to choices, decisions, mindset, and heart. Don't let your situation define you. You are in control of your life. Be the person who you want to be.
That's it?
Yeah. So he has
Motivational talk?
Well, he has a lot of like really short things about like
5 million. Hit one of these with like millions.
Okay, well this is a good example. It's only 15 seconds.
All right.
This one he gave me a shout out, by the way, which was cool. I really appreciated that. But
These are not high protein, but these sure are easy, tasty, high protein wrap bases. Handful of spinach, 3 whole eggs, blend that bitch. Pan, medium heat, cover. Add whatever toppings you want to it. Let's go.
I don't get it.
well, it's just like quick, easy, palatable like tips kind of thing.
It's too fast for me. Like, I need a longer video.
Well, yeah, you need to watch it a few times to like, follow it. But it's yeah, that's like all he does is make these like short, bite-sized, like high production value things, and then they blow up. But again, obviously this is a lot to do with him, but this is like an example of if I was gonna do high production value and it's fitness related, all I could think of as a reference point of what makes sense is like what he's doing.
Define makes sense.
Because like I know workout videos don't do that well, to be honest, and there are a lot of effort. There's a lot of effort. It's a very saturated, and who really cares at the end of the day? Like how many influencers can show you how to bench press? You know what I mean?
Well, they're not even showing. You're just watching them bench press.
Exactly. So for this is like he's giving. Well, some of it's like fairly generic advice, but it hits the mainstream. So guys who don't even go to the gym, like, will probably learn about like basic tips they might have not known otherwise. Like even stuff just like a calorie deficit. He'll like mention that in a video, and it's like a bite-sized thing that I guess maybe you're more encouraged to click on because it's short.
Right.
And there's definitely a different algorithm for shorts right now, which I don't know if you've heard of.
I've heard of it. I haven't looked into it.
Basically, you know how TikTok, you have people blowing up out of nowhere who just get like ridiculous views Yeah, and the videos are like less than a minute. He basically takes his TikTok videos, posts it on YouTube, and they perform like as good, if not better, on YouTube.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's just like it's obviously his videos, but also YouTube's algorithm for shorts is like it's almost like a whole segregated like thing.
See, I haven't done them, so I don't know about this. I see.
Well, anyway, I'm like, this is something I've been toying with in my head is high production value shorts.
Okay, that would be a good way to start. You could start with the shorts.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's like he posts one a day typically. And I'm just imagining like setting up this like elaborate scene to do like a 30-second video. Like I can barely even say like, "What's up, guys? Like let's talk about this in like fucking 30 seconds." Let alone, You got
a lot of limiting beliefs, baby.
Well, I just haven't.
You can do it.
Yeah, I could, I guess, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I could do it in my same like office setting, or if I need to like change. Like, I don't know if it's high enough production value looking where I do it now, where I film.
That wasn't like what he had going on. Just had some good lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
he almost reminds me of like, it's like streamer lighting almost in the back, like of like gamers with like the different colors and shit.
Like the RGB.
Yeah. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think you could easily do what you just showed me. For sure.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's going to come across as like maybe copycat though.
Is that bad though, necessarily? Like
it's a compliment to him.
If you're giving high quality information and like, and it's not like I would be doing the same. I wouldn't be giving motivational advice. I'd give like some sort of insight on like, you think you have low T? Check this.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
You have low T. PsychedSubstance has low T. Do what he did. Take TRT.
Just
it
like,
rhymes.
In 20 seconds, like blows up.
Then you do it before and after. Before TRT, after TRT. Don't you want to look like this?
That'll get me kicked off.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if Connor Murphy isn't kicked off yet, then maybe I won't be.
Maybe. But if you think that would be fun, and you think that it would benefit people, then like I say go for it.
Yeah, like that's been my idea I've been toying with in my head, is something like that.
So what's the like? Why wouldn't you do it?
Because it's more,
risky?
well, hypothetically, I could replace one of my existing videos per day with that.
Yeah.
Or I could, my head is thinking, can I add it on?
What if you like outsourced a different aspect of your job, and then like you could add it on in that time bracket that you were spending doing other things?
Yeah, that would be ideal if I just like knew what to like. It would be easier if I could film in my exact same seated setting, so I could just pump out like a minute video like while I'm already filming my other videos. Yeah. I just don't know if my spot is like appealing enough. Like maybe I need to.
What you just said sounds like supersetting a workout, like you know, like in
literally
bench press doing some.
After I hit
bent over rows.
After I hit failure on my full videos, I superset with the 30-second bite-sized clip. Yeah,
how Derek's brain works.
Yeah,
relate it all to number 1. Testosterone injections. Number 2, working out. Get more reps out of this one.
Yeah. Those like yesterday I tried my first one, and I basically talked about how you should, before you get on TRT, try adding fat into your diet. Because, and that sounds so basic like for my channel, but it's like, that's the sort of thing that's more like mainstream. Not that TRT is mainstream, but you know, like it's a very like quick tip that you don't have to sit through 20 minutes to get to. That's like a very important point potentially. Like if you're fat deprived, even if you're eating enough calories, you might be hormonally deficient just from that. So like, yeah. So like to me, I don't know. Like I
that could really help people.
Yeah. So like because some people love my long stuff, but some people want shorter. So if I could like concise the shit out of them into like
what people want, just do what you want.
Right.
Why can't you just do what you want?
Well, yeah, I guess. I don't know.
This is where my head goes, man. Yeah. When I'm looking at my videos and I'm going in my mind, what video do I make next? Adam, what do you want to do? I might go like, this performed well. And then the next question is, but did I enjoy making that one? And there's always a balance. Sometimes I will actively do videos that I didn't like making just because it performed well. But like, again, there has to be some aspect that I like. I will never do something just because it performed well. I have to like something. But you want some balance where you also make videos like that you don't care how they're performed, which you said you do.
Yeah, like for example, like this stuff, it's able to get across messages to so many more people that I otherwise wouldn't. Like for example, I've done sleep apnea videos. I don't know if you know what sleep apnea is.
Yeah,
but
you told me about yours.
Yeah, so that I've had it since, I don't know, like almost a decade at this point or whatever. And that my old videos on sleep apnea have like no views. He did a video that's 1 minute and 19 seconds called How My Sleep Almost Killed Me, and he got 1.8 million people to watch it. And I'm like, that's like educating in
title though. How My Sleep Almost Killed Me?
I don't, yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know, like, I don't know if I could get that, but I would feel very, very rewarded by having 1.8 million people learn about something very obscure that a lot of people suffer from.
It's funny hearing you like have doubts that you would get the same kind of attention. Like it's funny hearing your insecurities come up because we've discussed mine for so long.
Yeah.
Like we both have insecurities. What is this?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can replicate this kind of production value.
But why do you have to?
Well, obviously that's what makes it work, I feel like.
I don't think so.
You think it's just, well, it's definitely not just the length. It's also like him and like the information.
Yeah. I think it's him and how he's presenting the information. What I've learned about YouTube from doing it and making like high production value videos is most of the things that you think people care about, they don't give a fuck about. Like I will tell you without any shadow of doubt that people aren't watching it thinking, oh, this production value makes me wet. Like no one gives a fuck. Like it might, like, you know, for you, that's what you see. But most people aren't seeing the production value. They're getting some kind of a hit out of it that's making them want to watch the next one.
Right.
And like what's causing that spike that he's giving people? I don't know. I don't know. Something. Or like what he's doing is just making the algorithm push it so much that people are like in reaction to that clicking it because they're seeing it have so many, like, you know, it's popping up so often for them.
Yeah.
It's hard to say why they're watching it, but it's not the production value. For sure.
I guess we'll see. I don't know. It's definitely on my radar though.
It has something to do with the length, man. It's for sure the length too. It's because it's so short.
You got to see this. So I did one video that was a short, and it's my 3rd most watched video, and I posted it a month ago.
And it's a short.
Yeah, come watch. It's 13 seconds, so it's not that.
I feel like I've seen it.
You probably have.
But I'll pretend to react to it again.
This one?
Yeah, I saw this. Let's watch it again, though.
Don't want to get copyrighted.
Do you know this girl?
No.
So guys,
That's a good edit. Who did that edit?
It was well, my editors did. Yeah.
I liked it. It was like pink pixel synced to your shoulders. Let's see that again. The scene. There's actually something funny about that though. Like
Yeah.
I think that's silly. I like it.
Yeah. So like that kind of thing gets a ton of views, but it's like I can only think of something that funny like so many times, you know? So, but that was like an example of a short just disproportionately
Dude, you could have a whole
performing.
series on Death Star Delts. Like you've got that short, you've got the intro, which
Yeah.
is also basically like a short.
Yeah.
Or you should cut that intro and make that a short. I think that would do well. You know, the Star Wars one where they're like just cut that scene where they're like coming up on your
right.
shoulders. That would be a good one. It could be like the Death Star Delt short series.
Right.
You could do like a different series each time.
It's something to write down.
There's a lot of like you could come up. I think with the shorts, silly is good. Like just stuff that's just really almost like dumb, like roll your eyes at.
Yeah.
Is just people like that stuff. It's fun. It's playful. It puts a smile on your face. Things don't always have to be serious. So it's neat seeing you dive into those kind of silly things.
Yeah, because that's like an example of like I feel like what you'd be saying. Like, don't you want to do that kind of stuff?
If you have fun doing it, then do it. Because like the information videos, I know you enjoy doing it, but like if we're talking about burnout, having different types of content that you flip flop between can definitely help keep you on point.
Yeah.
We basically already went through a day-to-day. What does a day-to-day look like for Derek? We kind of did that.
Yeah,
with, like
sort
your
of.
sleep schedule.
Sort of.
Is there anything
I
else
don't
you
think
wanna
people
add?
know like what I like for you. I don't think we really specify like wake up, do this, then I like sit down and work from this time to this time, and then I go to the gym or whatever.
Do you have a schedule that's that?
I try
concise?
to, but it's in general, it's kind of just like wake up probably too late after my 7-8 hours, which we've already gone through.
Which is good. Let's not downplay that.
I typically will look at my phone, and to be honest, usually lately I've been reviewing my second video as I wake up.
Oh.
Which is crazy because I'll have my first video published, which I reviewed the day before.
Yeah.
But I'll literally be sleeping while the second one's being edited. It's late.
Right now? I'm usually asleep right now.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that's what the oof was that you were saying.
No. My zipper's stuck on my foot. Sorry, keep going.
Do you want to fix it?
Yeah, I just did. I moved it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'll like be waking up and like literally listening to my video, reviewing it as I'm waking up. And then after watching it, if it's good to go, then I will publish it. And then that usually brings me to like, I don't know, 2:30 or so. And then after that, I check if there's any fires to put out on my phone because sometimes stuff will have rolled in while I was sleeping.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'll usually like either make a coffee, take my Girl Mind Smooth, whatever it is in the morning with my morning supplements, and then sit down.
Shameless supplement plug.
Yeah, but that's literally what I do. And then sit down, and ideally I would have like a written out thing of what I want to do that day with like micro goals. Oftentimes it'll get to the point where it's too late and I'm like, fuck, I haven't wrote it out for the day. And then I get a bit more scatterbrained when I don't have that written out. But in general, it's like get as many emails done that are backlogged as I can and or address anything that's like emergency related. And then by the time that's done, it's, time to go to the gym usually. And I'll go to the gym and I'll come back and then I'll film for like 4 hours or something sometimes. And then kind of relay it to my editors of what to do. And then by the time I'm done all that, it seems like the day is off and done. To be honest.
Where's the downtime?
The downtime is once a week. Me and my girl will hang out and do like whatever.
Is that enough for her?
Yeah, but she works a lot too. And she has shift work, which is like, it could be bad and good because it reinforces my shitty sleep schedule. Because she'll be on as fucked up hours as I am.
I see.
Yeah.
But it works. That's pretty cool that it works, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of people would have like some kind of a butting head conflict.
No, yeah. A lot of girls, that would be like a huge, like, potentially like deal breakers if they're.
For sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll do that like once a week and I'll see like my buddies, at least one of them once a week.
I didn't even consider asking you about friends because I figured they were just out of the equation at this point.
No, yeah. Like usually I try to have like one day a week for the girl and for friends. And then family stuff sort of comes up as it comes up.
The girl comes before the friends.
No, it's just like And to be honest, a lot of my friends are in relationships, so they prioritize their girls over like friend stuff, which is just like typical of dudes. And like I'm pretty balanced in that if people are like free, because they have normal schedules though too, where they work Monday to Friday.
So these are friends that you've known for years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or I have some friends who are more like flexible too. Like, like you would be more flexible, or like some of my other buddies who are like entrepreneurs, they're flexible. But like my friends who work like objectively like normal jobs, it's less.
Isn't it hard to relate to them?
In some aspects, but like I've known,
even on making time, like sometimes they don't understand.
Yeah. Like obviously like for them, it's like I either hang out with them Friday night or Saturday or like nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is like really annoying.
Dude,
honestly.
I've had friends that well, we're not friends anymore, that I had for years, and they got so mad at me because they couldn't deal with my schedule.
Right.
Like they would get mad that I didn't have time for them, or when I did, it wasn't like you said, the right time, and it's like it ruined the friendship.
Wow. Yeah.
I guess they weren't good friends.
No, yeah, like we will see each other less frequently than we used to back in the day, but it's like when we hang out, it's just like normal always.
Yeah, I've got some like old friends like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's like typically like once a week for friends and girl, and it's pretty much. Dude,
that's pretty balanced though.
Yeah, I feel like because if you
really
actually break it down to like what a normal person is doing, it's like they're. Not that we're not normal people.
What
like,
is, no. Nobody's a normal person.
They'll work full time, and then some of them will have like, you know, families to attend to or whatever it is, and they have the gym, and like oftentimes like Monday to Friday is like totally ate up, and then they have like a couple hours at the end of the day for like relaxing, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like I don't think it's that. It's just the way it's like portioned out is like weird sort of. But
no, it's your sleep schedule that's weird.
Oh, well, that too.
Yeah. Unless you were like a nighttime factory worker.
Yeah.
Your sleep schedule is just not the normal person.
Yeah.
But besides that, no, it's pretty. I don't want to say normal. I hate that word. It's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Like you still have time for friends, for your girl. Like you still have time for you, even with all the work stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think what you're doing is too bad, really.
Yeah. So, you know, other than the fact there's some backlogged emails I'd like to get rid of, that other than that, I'm like.
The emails used to drive me up the wall.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I would get anxiety thinking about the emails for days.
Yeah.
And then I put them off, and then it got to the point where I just couldn't even look at them. Which I'm still at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I still don't look at them. I've had so many weird offers for like sponsorships, weird show offers. I got one. By the way, the only reason I know about any of this is because Jasmine reads them.
Oh.
And then Jasmine comes to me, and Jasmine's like, "Hey, Adam, some movie producer is doing a show on oddly successful people. They want you to be part of the cast." And I'm like, "Nope." Like, that was the weirdest one. Recently, I was contacted by some. Keep in mind, I haven't actually read the email. This is what Jasmine said. So assuming she relayed this is how much I don't give a fuck. I don't even look at it.
Yeah.
So assuming she relayed the information correctly, I was offered to be on some reality show where they follow me around as I make YouTube.
Wow.
Weird.
Yeah, it's like, what do you benefit from that?
Exactly. You know what I benefit? I mean, more notoriety. I'm thinking like from a harm reduction aspect, what does that allot me? And like, yeah, I could help keep more people safe, but realistically that's just a fucking ego thing.
See, what I've always been extremely interested in is what these shows actually equate to in views. So like hypothetically, if you spent a fuck ton of production time and like money on like high quality equipment, and you had a show even on Netflix or like Amazon Prime Video or whatever, how much views does each episode get?
They don't compare to you. Or even me for that matter.
But that's like, I don't get how the ROI is there for those people then. Like for those shows, like how do you hire all the actors?
They don't
and
make
do all
money
that?
in the same way. They're not based off like an advertisement every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like they're making money in a different way.
So Netflix just like pays them a giant amount?
I don't know. I don't know how it works. Do you know?
No, but I've always found it interesting. Like how could something get like less views than a YouTuber does and somehow be ROI positive still?
What I find equally interesting is it just shows how undervalued we are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, it's like even literally sponsoring athletes, like, and I have like a good gauge of stuff. Like oftentimes I still undervalue like myself even. Yeah.
Well, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard for me to value myself when I can't even leave comments, and I feel like I'm personally like,
oh yeah, that's
blacklisted.
Weird. That's the guy I showed you, the Graham Stephan guy, the high production value guy who does the finance content.
Ah, he can't leave comments.
Yeah, he's whatever, shadow banned or still, whatever. Yeah, I don't get.
It frustrates me when people say like, Adam, you're not actually shadow banned. It's like, dude, I can't even leave comments.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really weird when I saw it for like a split second and I replied to it and then they like both got deleted.
And it just turned into letters, remember? Like it said that it actually showed you replied, but instead of to me, it was like a bunch of letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for anybody watching, I was trying to show Derek how I can't leave comments. I actually have an interesting update on that. And I left like a bunch, and he quickly pinned one and tried to reply to one. And like it was up for actually, 3 seconds?
Yeah.
And then it just disappears.
Yeah, so like if you guys watching on my channel don't know, Adam, anytime he tries to leave a comment, it just like auto deletes itself, right?
Yeah, it vanishes.
Yeah, so
but it
like,
still tracks it.
Yeah,
so if there's 1,000, I'll leave a comment. It'll say 1,001.
Yeah, but the comment is invisible. So like we tried to see if I could like retain one of his comments by pinning it. Because if you catch it early enough and I refresh my video fast enough, I can like visibly see it and respond to it quick and like pin it and heart it and try and like lock it in the fucking system. But then when I refresh, even though I've pinned it, it's gone. It's so weird.
I know. I know.
I don't even get it.
So I was in correspondence with I told you I was talking to YouTube about it, right?
Dude, this would be a good short if I just like was like trying to save Adam's comment.
That is a good short.
Trying to save
I like that.
Yeah.
This is a good video in itself. Like this whole segment.
Yeah.
But what I'm about to say could be pretty good. I don't know, kind of controversial though. So I've been emailing back and forth. You're not going to believe how long. I don't want to lie and give the wrong info, so I should check. I'm going to check after I say it because I don't want to lose my train of thought.
Yeah.
But I think I've been in correspondence with at least 5 or 6 people from the Google/YouTube backend for the past 4 or 5 months. I think it's been that long. Where my initial query was, I'm having a technical error where, first of all, I haven't been able to leave comments. I think it's been over a year.
How'd you initially send in a query, by the way?
I just support chat in the back end. If you have a high enough subscriber count, you can chat with them.
Do I have that?
You will. So I've been with them, and initially...
How do you know when you get it, though?
Let me finish my story, man. I'm going to fucking forget. My brain's going to break. I'll show you.
Okay.
So initially, they came back with all this bullshit. They were like, please give us an example of the channel that you can't leave a comment on. And I was like, I cannot comment on any channel. The reply, we need an example of the channel. My reply, do you want me to send you a link to every channel on YouTube? Because those are the channels I can't comment on. The reply, I'm sorry, we cannot help you without an example of the channel this is happening on. I'm like, oh my God. So then like 2 days, I'm like, fuck this. 2 days go by, someone else messages me, like in the same thread. After I already got a reply, they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I understand the issue you were having. We're going to get on it. Something, can you show me an example of the comment that you're trying to leave? Or a channel, they said, send me a link to a video where you commented on and it's invisible.
Yeah.
And give me the comment code. Because here's the fucked up thing. I can see the comments.
Yeah.
If I'm logged in, I can see them, but nobody else can. So they said log in, and it sounds like they're trying to help me, right? So I logged in, I got the comment code or whatever by highlighting, I can't remember. I sent it to them. They're like, all right, we're sending this to our team. We're going to get back to you. A few days go by, and they replied to me, and they're like, okay, so in order to continue helping you with this issue, we need an example of the channel that this is happening on. I'm like, are you serious? Again? I'm like, okay. Again, it's happening on every... This... By the way, this went back and forth for a while. Like I mean, I can show you it's comical.
Until I met you, I wouldn't have imagined that a subscriber count as big as yours would encounter like issues like this.
Yeah, and this gets worse. It's been months. So then they finally get it. They finally, I don't know if they get it or they're pretending to get it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm talking to a human. I don't know what's going on. That's, every once in a while, someone else will reply and they'll be like, stepping in for da-da-da. We are still investigating this issue. And then they asked for more, some screenshots. I sent them screenshots. Okay, we're investigating the issue. I reply back. Thank you. Do you know how long this will take? No, it's sent to this team. And now I started to get these emails where I actually don't reply anymore. But it's like every 4 days, 4 to 8, sometimes longer. No, at least every week, I get an update email from them. And the update email will be either from the same person or someone new now stepping in for so-and-so. I just want to let you know that we are still investigating this issue and we will get back to you as soon as it is whatever. And this just keeps going. I've got like a huge stack now of them replying to themselves, just saying we are still investigating this issue, add like forever. So they are now forever investigating the issue. I've asked them, do you know when this is going to happen? And they're like, their reply is always so like, obvious that they're trying to relate to me. The reply is, we understand that being able to leave comments is very important to you.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they'll say. I didn't phrase it like that.
Yeah.
We understand this. You want this issue to be fixed as soon as possible. We are working on it and we will get back to you. They're never going to fix it. Dude, like they're never going to fix it.
So what about
They're just trying to like make me think that they're trying to fix it.
So like
it doesn't take months to fix it.
So this is totally separate to the whole getting a partner thing. You know how like showed you that link to like, oh, apply to this because you're, big enough now.
I did. And then they never emailed me back after a month.
Because I applied to that too, and I don't know if I get rejected or what. But
did you get an email back?
No.
Neither did I.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if the thing's just broken or what.
Maybe that's broken, but maybe the whole back end is broken because, like, yeah.
That's like a big deal, though, not being able to comment. Like, a pinned comment can be huge for, like, relaying a message that gets viewed more than, like, your video description. Or, like, being able to engage on somebody else's content and, like,
I can comment on my videos.
But people don't see that one.
No, they do.
Oh, they do.
I can comment on my videos, but that's it.
But even like, for example, if I make a video about you, being able to comment on my video and then have people click on your channel from there, like that's huge.
I guess so. I can't do that.
Yeah, it sucks.
Weird.
Like that, for example, that Noel Diesel guy just showed you, he made a video talking about how he's honest about his steroid use.
Yeah.
That video's at 5 point whatever million views right now. And he recommends checking out my channel in the video. And then me commenting like obviously it was much appreciated that he shouted me out. So I like dropped it down in the comment section. He hearted it. Like liked it, whatever.
Yeah.
And then that like engagement from that comment, I'm sure encouraged more people to like click on it than to like physically type it in.
Thanks for increasing my sadness level.
Right. Sorry. Well, like I'm just trying to give people like the gauge of like this sounds like it's a bigger deal than it sounds like. You know what I mean?
Well, it's frustrating because it looks like I don't care. Like you've got these videos, other people post videos. I want to interact with your following.
Yeah.
Like I want to leave a comment on the video and like, I feel like it's almost rude if you make a video about me and I don't like at least comment on it to show that like I watched it, I appreciate it. I can't even do that.
Yeah.
So I just look like a ghost now. Or I either look like a ghost or I look like I don't give a shit about anything. Whatever. There's nothing I can do.
I wonder if Graham Steffens is going to get reinstated.
If what?
Because he has the same problem. He's like he's like the biggest finance channel, like I mentioned. I wonder if I could find like and he just made that video about how he's like shadow banned. So I wonder if he's going to get it fixed or not. And then if he does.
How?
Yeah, like how
Are you in contact with him?
No, I'm not, but I'm sure you could get a hold of him and somehow get it addressed if he did.
How? I can't comment on his video.
Well, he has Instagram. You could message him through that. And he has an assistant too, who's probably fairly responsive. If you were like, I'm, this channel and this is like, my subscribership or whatever. And like, I would very much appreciate if you could, point me in the right direction of how you rectified this.
Maybe people will watch this video on YouTube and they'll do all that for me.
Maybe. I'm like seeing if there's examples of him being able to comment on other channels now. Oh shit. 6 days ago. Thank you for making this. What the fuck? So did you get it fixed? Let's help Graham tweet at Susan Wojcicki. This happened to the London Real guy. He took his content off YouTube. What the fuck? Okay, maybe I shouldn't be researching this now while we're literally doing a podcast. But
not a big deal.
But
just edit through this.
Let's see. Yeah, I think I don't know, man. Like I think
You think you got it fixed?
I would message his you're on Instagram. I would reach out to him and I think he would probably respond. Or at least his assistant would. I think they seem like nice guys, and I think if they saw it and they saw you're encountering the same situation, which nobody else is encountering this, so it's like it's not like he has a barrage of people asking the same question. So yeah, I think it's worth reaching out.
I think I'm just gonna leave it alone, and when this gets posted, hope that he sees it.
Oh, I'll have to like title the clip well.
Yeah.
To get his attention.
Maybe you'll see. Look, I'm not trying to sound like I'm too lazy to reach out. I've just put so much energy into this. I'm not willing.
Right.
As soon as I reach out, that means I'm putting more into it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to make it sound like I don't care. I care. It's just, you don't know how frustrating. For a while, it was really driving me up the wall.
Yeah.
Like every time I go to my email and I'd see one of those stupid replies where it's still not fixed.
Yeah.
And I know that they're lying. Like they're lying.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't take months.
Yeah.
To look into something.
Yeah, obviously.
Like, what do you want me to believe that there's like this monkey in his computer? Like for months, he's been like typing code. Like, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this PsychedSubstance problem. Like, no, nobody cares.
Yeah.
No one's fixing it.
Which is wild because it's not like you're just some random fucking guy.
It's not like I'm not making them money.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't get it.
Like, if anything, follow the dollar sign. You know, maybe if I post a video a day and I make them more money, they'll care.
You haven't made a video specifically talking about this?
No. I don't talk about YouTube concerns anymore.
Well, maybe I bet if you did, you probably could.
I haven't in a long time because I'm not going to be a fucking...
You're not complaining if you have like a genuine like issue. Like Graham made a whole video that almost got 1 million views called YouTube is deleting my channel.
Well...
Way more clickbaity than you probably would make it.
Let's see the facts.
This would be a quick pump out video for you.
Let's see the facts. YouTube is blocking his comments from being visible. They're not deleting his channel.
Well, I know that. But I'm just saying an example of he's getting this addressed seemingly by posting a video about it. People are like tweeting at Susan Wojcicki for him because he made a video about it. Whereas for you, like no one even knows this is an issue except for us now. You know? This is a video, dude. I would make this.
I'm not doing it.
Okay, well, I'll make it for you then. I might even do a whole separate video. Fuck it. I think it's probably a good time to cut it off, actually. We've been talking for like fucking 4 hours probably.
All right.
Yeah, so.
I had one more important question.
Oh, you do? Okay,
yeah.
Let's do it.
Are you actually, you're tired?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
fine. I just assume that I'm like way past your time of being functional.
No, I took Modafinil, baby.
Okay.
That shit, like, actually, like, dude, if I take Modafinil, even I took it at 11:30 or 12:30. Might have been 12:30. I can't remember. But regardless, I'll take that even at like 9 and I will have trouble sleeping. Like, I don't know why it is so long lasting for me. It just keeps me wired.
I forget what the half-life is.
It's forever.
Half-life is 15 hours?
Is that how long?
That seems mental.
Yeah, that's why. I'm still awake because of the stupid Modafinil. I would have to take
Dude, what the
a
fuck?
benzo to go to bed.
That's insane. So that means this stuff isn't keeping you in a wakefulness state for like half a week. Like if for a full, well, not like actually, but it's like a full clearance of this drug. If you had it in your system, like if you were taking it every single day, for example, like it's definitely dragging into your sleep time.
You know what I've noticed is when you take things like Modafinil and then say like the next day I would take Kratom or something.
Yeah.
It would feel different even though I wasn't still on it.
Kratom, something that you probably, I don't know if you're going to experience this, but actually it's something very notable is my friends who take steroids and Kratom.
Yeah.
Huge impact on how it affects you.
What do you mean?
Like some people's effects on Kratom, like one of my friends, he used to take Kratom religiously and he loved it. It was like his best like sociability enhancing thing.
Yeah, it does that.
And when he started using gear, it started to make it not work that well.
Oh, good.
Which is weird.
I would love that.
Yeah, but it's really weird. I've heard a lot of like Kratom veterans talk about how when they started using testosterone or other steroids, it like stopped working for them.
Because I speculated the reason why it didn't work well on you because you were on gear.
Yeah, maybe. And it's like the actual mechanism why that would happen, I'm not sure. But anecdotally, I've seen a lot of people become Kratom like non-responders after introducing steroids.
That is amazing. You know what? I've had something similar happen at one point since I started taking this stuff. One of the days I took Kratom, and I remember thinking like, I don't know if it was just the strain I took, but it like really sucked.
Yeah.
And I had that thought. I thought, is this because I started taking TRT? And then I was like really excited about it. I was like, this is awesome. I'll try it again. But then after that day, I tried it again and it felt normal again. So I don't know if maybe I just had like a spike.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very curious to see.
I remember him getting like actually annoyed because he loved Kratom so much and then it was like not working the same. And he used it for like PUA shit. Like it was like what he relied on it for like approaching.
Oh no.
Yeah. So obviously like you can imagine like some compound that's not alcohol that works like it's fairly benign.
You could try Phenibut.
We did.
Phenibut. We
used to
did?
use that all the time, yeah.
Let's see what I got on my list before we... So let's just no Connor this time would be good. We're going to cross that off. The guy's got enough of our attention.
Yeah.
We did a day-to-day. Sick.
Yep.
We've covered my whole little list, except for I wanted to ask you, what has it been like becoming pretty, notably like famous in a way? Is it a dream come true or is it worse than you thought?
I wouldn't say I'm famous.
You get recognized when you go out.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's I'm definitely at a happy medium where it's not like burdensome and it's like still cool, and it's like cool to know I have like a global impact where like even in Canada, where objectively like proportionally I have barely subscribership compared to like the US or something. And the fact that I can go somewhere and like people recognize me, and I know it's probably for I don't know, like they might, I don't know, most of the time I get feedback that's like, I love your, like some of the times it's like, oh, you're natty or not, or like great or whatever. But sometimes it's
sucks.
like, but also it's like, you know, I learned about this because of you, or like I, you know, got, you know, this problem rectified, or like
touching your foot?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to put my shoe back on.
I was like, is your dog down here? What
No,
the fuck?
I'm trying to get my shoe.
Or yeah, they'll like tell me like a personal anecdote about like how I helped them or something, and like that's cool. And like being able to know I have like wide reach is cool. And it's not so like, it's not burdensome in that it's like, it's not like I get mauled when I leave the house.
Right.
Like
right.
I randomly, like once in a while, you know, like honestly at this point it's maybe like once, like usually when I go to a gym, it's disproportionately so. But like sometimes now
Understandably
it's at
so.
like restaurants, the beach, stuff like that. Like,
It's like me at a psychedelic festival. At the gym.
you probably are like, yeah, that's,
No, but I'm saying it's the same thing. You at
Yeah,
a gym, me at a
exactly.
psychedelic, and it's nuts at the psychedelic festival.
yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. So I think, you know, it's cool. It's not like overwhelming. It's not like so much that it's, you know, impeding my life to a point that I'm like, oh my, like I imagine for actual celebrities, it's horrible.
I felt the same way when I went to the festival. My immediate thought was I couldn't imagine it being like this all the time. Like that would drive me nuts.
Okay, it's probably definitely more like if I go to the gym, if it's like a new gym, I'll probably have like a few people come up to me and like say something and maybe ask for a picture or whatever.
If you were at a convention, though, it would be different.
Yeah, if
Maybe
I was at a
that's more
fitness
relevant.
expo,
yeah, that'd be different.
yeah,
That's like this better example.
yeah. But that's literally people like congregating who know you're going to be there and like intentionally going there to
That's
meet
why
you.
they probably went to the psychedelic festival too.
Like,
So-
were you announcing you were going to make an appearance or something?
No, some people went just like hoping to find me.
Oh, wow.
which is freaky.
No, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's cool, man. Like I'm happy to see like the widespread reach. So, and it's not overwhelming in a way that is negative as of now. So it's like a happy medium. Like it's not,
Nice.
it's not like too low where I feel like I'm not impactful, and it's not too high where it's like you've achieved like some status that like ruins your quality of life.
Right.
So, and like, I think I can't imagine a YouTuber's going, well, I guess there are YouTubers who probably hit that status where they need like security and like, they like,
For sure there have been, yeah.
yeah, like, I don't know. I'm never going to get to that point, but I mean, like, I don't know. It's like a happy medium for
You
me.
might, maybe you don't want to get to that point.
Well, it's like self-regulating in that like you could always just like stop posting and become irrelevant pretty quickly.
Do you think it's that fast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you stop posting, you die in the algorithm like pretty quick. Maybe.
I don't think so. I don't know. We're conflicting in this because like I've gone through periods of posting like a video a month for like months.
I don't know, man.
I've gone through, actually, I think one time I didn't post a video for 2 months or 3 months,
Yeah.
and I still was fine.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess objectively at the beginning, it would seem like I disappeared because if I go from posting a lot to nothing, it's like, where the fuck's Derek? Whereas for you, it might be like, you
More
know,
normal.
I was only expecting a video every 2 weeks anyways.
Right, right.
You know? So it's like, oh, that.
You're right. You've built up this expectation.
Yeah. So, but yeah, to answer your question, it's like, I think it's like the perfect position personally.
The perfect position.
Yeah. Like it doesn't feel so low that I'm like not impacting people's lives in like, you know, a global basis. I don't know. Like I'm just trying to like get my information to as many people as possible, and it's like a good hybrid of like not being too excessive.
Well, and your viewers love you.
Yeah.
Like there's not many channels, I think, where the viewers like so actively want to see the person they're watching succeed. Like that's pretty cool.
It's like a very healthy subscribership.
I don't know if they're
great.
healthy, but
Well-
they want to see you succeed.
You know, yeah, like obviously there's like everyone has like haters and shit, but like in general, like it's like a pretty positive community.
Do you have a lot of haters? I don't know these things. That's why I'm
And
asking.
proportionally, no, but I definitely have like the more sheer volume you accumulate of
of course.
subscribers. Like, yeah, I definitely.
Oh,
have.
I'm not surprised, but
Yeah.
like, have any stood out to you where you're like, or you think their hate is almost justified in a way, like they hit a nerve?
Yeah, like sometimes their criticism is like fair and like notable. Like,
Yeah.
like some people like despise my like going away from all just high quality information, but then like proportionally, it's like if you actually look at the amount of videos I do relative to before, and then how much of that information gets integrated just in a different way.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I have more information now. It just proportionally seems like far lesser so because it's formatted in a gen pop appealing way and or proportionally to other content that's kind of just like mainstream appealing topics. It's not every video I do like it used to be.
Yeah, but I think this is a healthier approach. You want to break it up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a hybrid of like everything personally.
Yeah, you can't let those people bother you. They're always going to be there. I think Greg talks about this. He calls them mosquitoes. I've seen that video.
Yeah, he's like the most like able to brush shit off, it seems. Well, I guess at the same time he reacts pretty like intensely to them, so maybe it does bother him. But I mean, like he also is like, you know, very accepting that the hate that comes along with growing, I guess.
Why do you think there's this big like wall's not the word I'm looking for, disparity, I don't know what the word is, like between people who are really into fitness and then like for us there's a lot of cross breeds who like psychedelics and workout, but it seems like a lot of people who are into the whole workout scene are into like PEDs in that realm of drugs but not psychedelics. Like I've never heard Greg talk about psychedelics. A lot of fitness channels. Do you think they just don't have an interest in that realm of drugs, or they just don't want to talk about it?
Well, I think when you think of fitness, you think of, in general, you think of like what your body looks like, which is obviously not an accurate representation of like how healthy you actually are when you actually think about what goes into building some of those bodies. Yeah. But like from a drug aspect, obviously the PEDs are what build disproportionately ridiculous physiques, and psychedelics don't do any of that. So it's like the interest is just like not.
What do you mean? Working out on acid microdose is amazing.
It doesn't build more muscle though.
It gives you more energy.
Maybe, but it's like that would be
best like pre-workout.
That'd be, yeah, but then I guess pre-workouts do have a lot of popularity. So I don't know. I think there's just like again, no one really even thinks that it could be beneficial, and they think of more like mindset shit. I don't think they're as interested in than because it's not okay. Stimulatory things like a lot of guys who are into fitness do go to like festivals and shit to show off their physique, and they are really into like rec drugs. Yeah. But I think the view of them is still like very taboo in that it's like a party drug for like fucking themselves up rather than like for like an experience that is like transcending. And I can't even put it into words because I've never fucking done it, but like, there's definitely one element of fitness where it's like, do you know who Ziz was?
I've seen your video on him, but I don't really know.
Okay, he was like, I don't know, one of the pioneers of like the aesthetics movement, which is just like...
Did he trip?
I would imagine he took recreational drugs. Like it's speculated that his like what caused him to die was cocaine in a sauna, I believe.
That's not tripping, but yeah.
No, but it's like, I don't know, it's like sort of related and like altering your mindset a bit.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The fitness community is all about altering your aesthetic appearance versus I'm talking about psychedelics, which is about like mind and conscious enhancement, that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I
feel like there's such a connection between the two. That's why I'm personally shocked. Like Dorian Yates,
psychedelics I feel like is like the most antithesis thing to caring about your physique. So it's like people.
Have you heard Dorian Yates talk about it?
He like I haven't heard him talk specifically about psychedelics, but it seems like those guys who become like they become far more content with like being like yogi, like skinny motherfuckers.
Like Dorian Yates, he was one of the biggest dudes.
Yeah, but then once he became like into what he's into, he doesn't give a shit about that at all.
Yeah, like he talks about DMT and ayahuasca.
Yeah, but like look at what he cares about now.
And he relates bodybuilding to that, which I find fascinating.
Okay, I haven't seen enough of the content about it.
A spiritual experience, and he said when you reach that pain threshold, it you really do like transcend something in a sense. Like these guys looked at bodybuilding in such a different way than we do.
So PEDs in general are not used for actual performance enhancement. They're used to build physiques that band-aid insecurity. Oh. So a lot of people who use gear are using it to improve themselves objectively, to, fix a reason they feel inadequate. I feel like. So I feel like that's almost like the total opposite side of the spectrum to psychedelics, which are helping you overcome stuff like that.
Or face it.
Yeah, but like that kind of stuff makes you content and or view things more healthily if you do the trip correctly or whatever. Yeah. Versus the guy who's like pursuing ridiculous amounts of muscle mass to like be more attractive or like feel more powerful because he feels inadequate. Those are two like I can't imagine the overlap if somebody was like really balls deep on this side, the psychedelics, they would probably not give a fuck about this stuff.
But I care.
You're a happy medium, dude. I don't know. You're asking me a question that like why don't I do psychedelics, for example? It's like just because I don't see the ROI as much personally for me, potentially.
But you don't know.
I don't know that, though.
Yeah, you don't know.
I don't know. I just feel like objectively...
Why don't you microdose? That's a better question. Why haven't you tried microdosing yet since our podcast? I think this is a good way to end this off.
Even preparing the LSD properly, I don't even like know how to go about...
I can give you a microdose.
Not now.
I mean to like do later.
I can just bring it with me. It's not like a tincture thing or like it's prepared in a... Like, how is it prepared?
It can be prepared in many ways. We can talk about that after.
Okay. Yeah, I guess maybe that's not like YouTube friendly, whatever. But,
no, that's not it. I mean, it's just I don't want to get in. I might go on a tangent, but yeah.
Right. For some reason, I thought it was not something you could like transport easily.
You can easily transport it. No worries. Yeah, why haven't you tried that yet?
Well, first of all, the dosage requirements and whatnot, I have not really dug into like what I should be doing, and then even like relating it to like what may or may not be available, and like
what I meant right now. Like, take it this moment.
I don't fucking know.
Oh, that's funny.
Last time you smoked DMT, so like we gotta top that somehow. Which is like, what's the next step? It's like me taking some shit. So
off my radar.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I gotta like even just like anything new added on my plate, like as insignificant of like a preparing an LSD administration sounds. Yeah. Like me looking up, like, okay, what's the dose I need to do? How do I like prepare it? Because like obviously it doesn't come like ready to use necessarily with like the reason.
There's actually a website that sells within Canada prepared acid microdoses.
It's not on like those paper things.
No, it's in a dropper. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. Pretty cool that they're selling that now.
Right. Okay. Well, anyway, the thing, the like the paper thing.
Yeah.
Like I have to really like revisit how that is even done to like prepare it and so
the effort to like you're not seeing the effort to reward value.
Yeah, and like I just don't see what it gives me above and beyond what I could just get from like taking Gorilla Mind Rush or something.
Oh, it's way better than your Gorilla Mind Rush. No offense to Gorilla Mind Rush.
For what though specifically? Creativity, I would imagine yes. For actual productivity though, I would imagine no.
I think it is because when you're talking about Gorilla Mind Rush, the driving factors. By the way, I like the compounds in it.
Yeah.
Where's the thing?
Not like it even matters because it's a discontinued product, but I still take great offense in that.
I've actually tried it. Where is it? I lost it. Whatever. I sent you a picture of the thing.
If you had a bottle of it, you could sell it online for $400 probably.
I don't need the money, man.
I'm just like a random point.
Oh, you're just trying to show off your amazing product.
Yeah, I love that product.
Man, I've lost it. This actually frightens me. Where could it have gone?
Maybe it's with your other Gorilla Mind stuff, which is like over there.
No, it's not the Gorilla Mind thing that I'm looking for. Okay, I will have to find that later. Now this is gonna piss me off. I remember I wanted to try the powder on its own.
Oh.
So I got DH. What's it called?
The 2-amino isoheptane.
What's the name though? The DH what?
No, that is what it is.
I know, but what the DH is what?
DMHA.
DMHA. That's what I'm looking for. So I got that, and because I wanted to, like the Gorilla Mind Rush, I thought, wow, the effects were pretty good. Yeah. So I got that to try it without the caffeine because I don't know. Sometimes I like just trying stimulants without mixing them with other stimulants.
Right.
Is that dangerous? Good effects. Mm-hmm. Like if that's the primary driver in the Gorilla Mind that like is
there's
giving
so many different things though too. That's not just that. But yeah, that is
that's the strongest compound in there by far.
Right.
Is that one. And if you want to compare, say, that plus caffeine plus, say, even L-theanine, like that combo, to like an LSD microdose, the difference even in just workout intensity is it's almost non-comparable. Like you get a short burst out of this versus like the LSD thing is so long-lasting. It gives you much longer endurance.
What about productivity, mainly?
You don't crash after. I found with the DMHA, I already forgot what it's called.
I know what you mean, yeah.
You crash really fast. Like I've tried it 5 times, and every time I tried it, this is just my personal experience. I'm not saying everyone's going to do this, but within 2 to 3 hours, I was like falling asleep. Like it fucking crashed me.
Well, this is why my formula had things like dicaffeine, malate, and other like longer acting things in it. But
so you don't crash.
Yeah.
I see.
And there was like anti-crash components built into the formula too.
Yeah, I'm not saying your product is bad.
No, I know. Don't worry about it.
I'm just saying it doesn't compare to an acid microdose.
So LSD, 5-hour half-life, and you're saying for product, or no, it's 3.6 hours. You're saying the productivity enhancement specifically, not pain threshold, not endurance.
Oh, it lasts 2 days. So there's the first day you take it, which is like the direct effects, but there's some carryover into the next day.
So for productivity, it's good?
Can be. Not for everybody.
Okay.
It would be worth a try. Like, you've got nothing to lose from a microdose. You don't trip, dude. It is so light. Like it's not like anything really happens. You
Okay,
just get
teach
an
me how to
energy
do
boost.
it, and then I'll maybe do it.
And then you'll maybe do it. Trying to sell you on a microdose.
Because we have not, like, the last time we just talked about, like, the speculative benefits of it for me, but we didn't talk about, like, specifically how I would go about doing it, so I just, like, didn't do it. So it's not like I'm so opposed to microdosing LSD that I'm not going to do it. It's just, like, even learning how to do it, I have not done yet. So I guess
your viewers are going to love this.
Okay, well, like, teach me how to do it then.
All right, I'll show you how to do it.
Okay.
All right, we're done.
All right.
Thank you for being on More Plates for Days podcast, because it's probably going to be your podcast again.
Now, you got to post it on your channel as well.
I do?
Yeah, you should.
All right. I will.
Yeah.
Once I get it.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys all enjoyed the myriad of clips that have been presented for your viewing pleasure. And yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Much appreciated. Talk to you soon.